Hey everyone, welcome to FanFic Canon. Thanks for hitting play. I'm thrilled to bring this fan-made story to life for you. If you enjoy the ride and want more narrated fanfics, smash, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss an episode. And if you want audiobook of a novel of your choice, join my Patreon. Request any title that's freely available online, and I'll produce a full narration just for you. Now, let's dive into today's adventure.
Those shiny crystals must not be ordinary things. If they were ordinary treasures after hundreds of millions of years of shining, the energy would have been used up long ago. Obviously, there is the same thing here, which can replenish energy for them. Everything has a waveguide. Arthur silently perceives the waveguide here, trying to use his own waveguide to contact everything in the underground world. Suddenly, Arthur felt a little unusual. He actually found that in a certain place his waveguide was absorbed by something abruptly, which was not the case in other places. He quickly took Gible and Volcarona, went to that place point. Along the way, many ancient Pokémon also attacked him, but they were easily defeated by Gible and the others. Perhaps feeling the strength of the two Pokémon, those Pokémon also fled towards the surroundings one after another. Here it is. Arthur came to a place similar to an altar, and there was a black stone on it which seemed to be enshrined to normal. This made Arthur very curious. What is going on? This altar looks like it was built by humans, but this underground world, no matter how you look at it, looks like a place where no one has ever been. During the time when those ancient Pokémon died, humans seem to have not yet been born. Maybe they have already been born, but civilization has not yet developed. This world is different from Arthur's previous life. If human beings were really born very late and didn't know anything, where did those myths and legends come from? Humans have even participated in the battles between Gible and Kyogre. Arthur directly used the system's identification ability on that piece, but unfortunately it didn't seem to have any effect. This made Arthur even more curious. What exactly is this thing? Even the system's identification ability can't be used, but one thing is certain, this thing seems to be really a good thing. Just when Arthur was about to do something, a Pokémon ball on Arthur's waist was opened, and Gible's figure emerged from it. Gible, what are you going to do? Gible suddenly got out of the Pokémon ball, which surprised Arthur, and asked quickly. Wow, Gible looked helplessly at the black stone on the altar. You mean, is this thing useful to you? Arthur glanced at Gible thoughtfully and then reached out and grabbed the black stone. The moment he touched the black stone, I felt the pure dragon energy inside. What the hell is this? Arthur could clearly feel that the dragon energy contained in this black stone was much more than the dragon gem on Gible's head. There was a huge difference between the two, and this discovery also made Arthur's breathing quicken. Gible's growth has always been an important issue that Arthur cared about. There is no doubt that Gible's talent is very strong, and he is also Arthur's future trump card choice, but Arthur is also worried about Gible's resources. It's not that Arthur is reluctant to throw resources at Gible, but that Gible's growth rate is too slow. The previous Earth Gem was almost absorbed by Gible, and now Gible is just a normal-level Pokémon. Who knows how many resources it will take to evolve Gible to Garchomp and become the champion Pokémon. Now that there is such a black stone, it may solve Arthur's many worries. Suddenly Arthur felt a little different again. The waveguide he used to detect the black stone was actually absorbed by the black stone, and the dragon energy in the black stone also had a little more energy. Although it was very little, Arthur felt it is clearly felt. Asking for flowers. So, can this stone absorb my waveguide and convert it into dragon energy suitable for Gible to absorb? Thinking of this, Arthur also became excited. The waveguide has a strong vitality, and the waveguide Brave used his own waveguide to restore the tree of the world Earl Dervish. But if the waveguide is used too much, it will die. However, as long as the waveguide is used in an appropriate amount, nothing will happen, and the quantity of the waveguide can even be increased. And Arthur can replenish energy by eating and then generate a waveguide. This is equivalent to saying that this black stone can continuously provide energy for Gible, and Arthur doesn't think that only through the power of the waveguide can the energy inside be restored. I'll give it to you later. Arthur put away the black stone, told Gible, and put it into the Pokémon ball. Without a doubt, this was Arthur's biggest achievement today. Then he started to explore the underground world again. There are many fossil Pokémon here. But it's a pity that Tyrant and Amora, which Arthur likes, don't exist here, otherwise, Arthur might have to tame one or two of them. He didn't even pick up many treasures from heaven, material, and earth. The only gem he picked up was the normal gem in Aerodactyl's lair, and a lot of energy in it was absorbed. But this seems to be taken for granted. If there is such a good thing here, it will be used by these Pokémon long ago. Their strength will not be so weak. Okay, it's almost time we should go. After more than 5 hours of searching, Genial looked at the watch on his hand. It was getting late and their spies in Alliance had not sent a message. But it's time to leave. Behind her, there is a huge bag full of Pokémon balls. There are about 500 or 600 of them. There are also many members of the Rockets holding Pokémon eggs in their arms. It can be said that they took all the ancient Pokémon here. As for the future of Pokémon here, this is not a question that Arthur should be concerned about. Maybe some Pokémon will enter the laboratory, but most of the gods 273 Pokémon live a much better life than in this dark underground world. At least there will be no problem with food. Then I'll go first. Arthur nodded slightly, and then he wanted to leave, and then he had to return to Rampart. He remembered that Rampart would have a huge Tentacruel, and he was very interested in that Tentacruel. As for whether this Tentacruel will pose a threat to him, Arthur is not very worried. Even if he loses, there is still Professor Oak. If even Professor Oak can't deal with it, then there is probably no Pokémon in this world that can deal with it. Up. Don't you want any of the Pokémon here? True Bird took a deep look at Arthur and asked. Arthur doesn't seem to be taming the Pokémon here. No, I'm not interested in Kabuto, Ammonite, these Pokémon. As for those two Aerodactyls, they're not very talented. I'm not interested. Arthur shook his head slightly. Okay, Makoto didn't say much. It's normal for Arthur to look down on these Pokémon, and she had a hunch that Arthur got benefits they didn't know about, but since Arthur didn't say anything, then forget it. Ding, congratulations to the Host Help Rocket team for obtaining a large number of ancient Pokémon, obtaining rare materials, and rewarding Aerodactyl, Miracle Seed, Talent Development Potion, Mystic Water, Haunted Gem. Hearing the system's notification sound, Arthur's heart was also excited for a while. The system has provided Aerodactyl for himself. Presumably, the talent of this Aerodactyl is much better than the ones he saw in the underground world. As for Miracle Seed, Mystic Water, and Haunted Gem, there is no doubt that these are good things. Miracle Seed can help Ivysaur further improve his strength, Mystic Water is what Squirtle needs, and Haunted Gem also has Jengar to consume. Of course, the most important thing is the Talent Development Potion. Talent Development Potion. Pokémon specially rewarded by the system can allow Pokémon that have not yet evolved to further develop their own abilities, obtain evolved species strength and corresponding skill attribute bonuses, and cannot evolve after use. No side effects. Seeing the information about the Talent Development Potion, Arthur's breath also became short of breath. This is simply a magic potion. If this Talent Development Potion is given to the Dragonair of the real bird, then Dragonair will have the combat ability of Dragonite, but will not lose Dragonair's weather control ability. Use it for Pikachu so that Pikachu has the strength of Raichu, and you can still use Light Ball to further strengthen it. As for Arthur, there is a Pokémon that is most suitable for using Talent Development Potions. Eevee. Once Eevee uses talent to develop potions, then Eevee's various abilities will be greatly improved. It will still be Eevee, but it is not a normal Eevee. It usually still maintains a normal type, but it can learn its evolutionary type. Any skill. The most important thing is that when using those skills, you will get the bonus of the corresponding attribute. For example, if you use Thunder, the power you use is Thunder. Pokémon uses the power of Thunder. And if you use Moonblast, Sylveon uses the power of Moonblast and gets the corresponding attribute bonus. Before, Arthur was still worrying about what to evolve into after Eevee. Whether it was Ice Pokémon, Leaf Pokémon, Sun Pokémon, or Sylveon, they were all Pokémon that Arthur liked. Arthur likes whichever one he evolves into. It's just that Eevee doesn't seem to have the idea of evolution. Even the lovely Sylveon, once evolved, they can't travel on Arthur's shoulder. But now this Talent Development Potion is a good solution to this trouble. This almost makes Eevee compatible. Thunder Pokémon, Fire Pokémon, Water Pokémon, Moon Pokémon, Ice Pokémon, Leaf Pokémon, Sun Pokémon, and all the advantages of Sylveon. Although they can't get their ability, but the ability of danger perception is not bad. He had read a lot of novels in his previous life, and it seemed that in 5-7 there was an Eevee that could evolve and degenerate from Salaison. But this, one of his didn't even need to evolve and degenerate, just use the skills directly. Arthur's Eevee, once the Talent Development Potion is used, will have a similar effect. It is even more used than the Eevee that can evolve and degenerate from Salaison, which is too unscientific. At least Arthur's Eevee can be more scientific, and can maintain the Eevee's contest condition for a long time. It not only improves the combat power, but also solves the problem of Eevee's reluctance to evolve. It can be said that this time in Dasha Valley, Arthur made a lot of money. Come out, Aerodactyl. Arthur took out a Pokémon ball specially made by the system. It took him a lot of time to come here from Rampart when he came here. Now that he has Aerodactyl, Arthur will naturally not then spend a lot of time foolishly going back. Roar. After Aerodactyl appeared, he let out a roar and then crawled in front of Arthur, motioning for Arthur to walk on his back. This Aerodactyl, it's also an elite class. The real bird also came out at this time, showing a clear look. Why did Arthur know that there is an ancient Pokémon in the Dasha Valley? So he himself has an Aerodactyl. It is also very possible that this Aerodactyl was not resurrected through fossils. It may be a living Aerodactyl itself. What shocked the real bird the most was that Arthur already had 3 elite-level Pokémon. Such strength is enough to make him the executive of the Rockets. How long has it been? It's only been a little over a month since Arthur went on a trip with all his expenses okay. The members of Team Rocket on the side were also shocked when they heard the words, elite Pokémon. No wonder I wasn't interested in Aerodactyl when I was in the underworld. I already have such a powerful Aerodactyl. Pokémon, Aerodactyl attribute, rock flying height, 25m, racial average height is 18m, weight, 72. 5 kg, racial average weight is 59 0 kg, ability, hard head oppression. Abilities, bite, ancient power, supersonic, wing attack, scary face, rock slide, roar, crunch, iron head, takedown, stone edge, agility, destroyer beam, giga impact, fly, meteor beam, strength. Elite intermediate potential. Champion system review, Aerodactyl is very good. Its body size is much larger than that of normal Aerodactyl, but it still has quite good potential. It is recommended to cultivate it well. Suggestion, physical strength and defense are Aerodactyl's weaknesses. On the battlefield, if you are not careful, you can easily be killed by rival. It is recommended to take advantage of Aerodactyl's speed and continue to develop Aerodactyl's speed. If you have the Evolution K-Stone and Aerodactyl Mega Evolution Stone, you can already use Mega Evolution to try to make Aerodactyl proficient in Mega Evolution. Looking at the system's evaluation, Arthur nodded in satisfaction, as expected of a Pokémon produced by the system. In order to allow myself to have a better flying experience, my Aerodactyl is much larger than other Aerodactyls in terms of body size. Let's go. Arthur came to Aerodactyl's back, and the pair of wings with a wingspan of nearly 5 meters flapped twice, even taking Arthur into the sky, leaving countless strong winds on the ground. Excuse me, Aerodactyl, come back first. Unlike when he came, Aerodactyl sent Arthur to Forest Sea near Rampart in less than half an hour. This is still based on the fact that Aerodactyl is not flying at full speed. Arthur's physical fitness is indeed much better than normal humans, but he is still human. If the speed is too fast, the huge wind resistance is unacceptable to him. He directly fed Aerodactyl a can of energy cubes as rations, then directly retracted it into the Pokémon ball, took off the mask again, and left here quickly. When he returned to the hotel, it was almost dawn, but fortunately because of the power of Bird, he was not exhausted. Boy, W. After being released by Arthur, Eevee yawned gracefully, trying to find a place to take a nap. Don't rest yet, Eevee, I have a question to ask you. Arthur held Eevee in his arms and asked in a very serious tone. Boy, W, don't ask, we can't do it. Eevee turned his head proudly. Humans and Pokémon, Eevee's 607 sister said that she can't accept it yet. Arthur was speechless for a moment, but he still said, that's not what I want to ask, do you not want to evolve? Boy, W, Eevee blinked. It didn't expect that Arthur would discover this. He didn't want to evolve and couldn't improve his strength quickly. Will this disappoint Arthur, to abandon yourself? This was what Eevee was most worried about, and it was for this reason that Eevee didn't tell Arthur the news. If you don't want to evolve, there's no problem at all. Arthur thought to himself, as expected, if he didn't have a systematic potion, he might have to wait a long time to find out about it. But now it can be regarded as a perfect solution to this problem. He said earnestly, I have something here that allows you to have evolved characteristics without evolving, but you may never be able to evolve after that. There are almost no other side effects. Would you like to drink it? Bye. Hearing Arthur's words, Eevee showed a look of joy. It was willing to believe Arthur's words unconditionally, even if it was cheated. Because of this, the potion had side effects and might lead to its own death. Eevee was also willing to believe Arthur. Since he said no problem, it must be no problem. Okay, let's start. Arthur took out a bottle of potion and put it in front of Eevee and said, once you drink it, there is no chance of regretting it. Eevee drank the bottle of potion without even thinking about it. The moment it entered his stomach, Eevee felt a powerful force flowing through his body, and his body seemed to be about to normal exploded. Its body shape began to change and even began to have some tendency to evolve. Bide Eevee, Arthur said to Eevee with concern. He believes that the medicine given by the system will definitely not be a problem, but seeing Eevee's appearance, it seems to be very painful. However, no matter how painful it was, Eevee 567 still gritted his teeth and persisted, without the slightest thought of crying out for pain. This made Arthur feel distressed. Although it looks cute, Eevee has always been the strongest among his Pokémon. He usually trains a lot and even takes the initiative to train more. Otherwise, it would not be Arthur, the top 3 positions in conventional combat power. Even now, trembling with pain, sweating on his forehead, and biting his lip with his small mouth, Eevee is still Bide. With the passage of time, Eevee's aura did not weaken, but became stronger and stronger. Arthur, who was close at hand, could feel the waveguide in Eevee's body being strengthened at this moment, even if he didn't use the system. Even behind Eevee, Arthur also saw Thunder Pokémon, Fire Pokémon, Water Pokémon, Moon Pokémon, Ice Pokémon, Leaf Pokémon, Sun Pokémon, and the Phantoms of Sylveon. These gene energies in Eevee body CDBG are being developed and channeled come out. I don't know if there is an Eevee with attributes like Dragon Pokémon. In theory, Eevee has the possibility to evolve all attributes. Arthur is very doubtful now whether his Eevee will shout out a sentence when he uses Thunderbolt in battle in the future. Lay Pokémon, lend me your power. After a while, Eevee's aura that started to surge gradually slowed down and even the pain began to disappear. Buoy. After Eevee fully recovered, Eevee showed a look of joy. It could clearly feel how much stronger its own strength was than before. Whether it is strength, speed, special attack, physical strength, defense, etc., they are all incomparable. He has indeed become stronger. It looks at Arthur with excitement, and its little tail is also flicking. It will definitely become the strongest Eevee in the world in the future, and the current Eevee is full of confidence in himself. Congratulations, Eevee. Arthur smiled and touched Eevee's head because Eevee's body was already soaked through the severe pain before, but Arthur was still sincerely happy for Eevee. Pokémon, Eevee Strength. Elite high-level talent, Quasi-God. What shocked Arthur was that Eevee not only improved in strength, but also innately improved with the help of potions, becoming the second Pokémon with Quasi-God talent among Arthur's Pokémon. Before Arthur said to make Eevee the strongest Eevee in the world, but more is to strive to become the first. After all, Pokémon like Eevee are cute and can fight, and many powerful Pokémon trainers also have powerful Eevee evolutions in their hands. Many of these Pokémon are champion Pokémon. Eevee is indeed very talented, but at most it is competing with them for the first place. But now it is different, it has the opportunity to compete for the first place, the Quasi-God talented Eevee. This is probably unprecedented. Wow. At this moment Gible looked at Arthur eagerly. Eevee was on the hook, so what about himself? Okay, don't be afraid, here it is for you. Arthur took out the previous black stone. You can hold it when no one is around, but I will take it when you are outside. Arthur is not afraid that others will discover the special properties of the black stone. Perhaps sensitive dragon Pokémon can discover the special effects of this black stone when they are close at hand, but ordinary people and ordinary Pokémon cannot discover it. This black stone is absorbing even with a waveguide, so how can it release special signals to the outside world? Wow. Gible carefully hugged the black stone. His eyes narrowed. With this thing he can become stronger. And at the same time when Gible hugged the black stone, Arthur felt the dragon energy in the black stone pouring into Gible's body quickly. More than 10 times the energy in the dragon gem that Gible usually has. This is already an extremely fast speed. Originally, Arthur was worried about the slow growth of Gible. As for now, maybe within 2 years, Gible will grow up completely and become his absolute trump card. Jengar, this is yours. Arthur handed Jengar a haunted gem. Jai Jai, Jengar took the haunted gem with his short hand, showing a smirk, and swallowed the haunted gem without even thinking about it. Wait, Arthur looked at Jengar in shock. Different from natural treasures like Miracle Seed, gem-like natural treasures cannot be eaten directly. After all, this is a stone that contains a lot of energy. Pokémon unable to digest it. When the energy inside is gone, it also means that the life of this gemstone is over. It will continue to absorb the energy between heaven and earth, and after thousands of years it will become a new gemstone again. Not even the erosion of time can destroy this gem, nor can Jengar digest it. Is this going to give myself a stomach stone? Seeing Arthur's nervous look, Jengar gave a smirk, then spit out the haunted gem, swallowed it again, and Arthur was taken aback for a moment. So you can spit it out anytime. Jai Jai. Jengar nodded slightly, leaving Arthur at a loss as to how to complain, and sure enough, none of his Pokémon were simple. Arthur didn't care about Jengar's situation, maybe it would digest faster if he ate it. Ivysaur, Squirtle, it's just yours. Then Arthur also gave the two Pokémon the Miracle Seed and Mystic Water. Just like other Pokémon, none of them carried these props, but ate them instead. Miracle Seed and Mystic Water, if they are portable, can also increase the skills. Although this increase will also consume the energy of these items, but after a long period of breeding, these items can also be restored. Generally speaking, this is a relatively cost-effective prop. Even if this is already considered a sky-high price item for many people, it is usually even more expensive. Fortunately, Arthur's system is quite special. After completing the task, he usually gets a lot of props. By the way, Gible, this is yours. After thinking for a while, Arthur also took out Dragon Scale and Dragon Fang and said, "This is the reward from Lucamine's mission before, and the Nevermelt ice I got together has already been eaten by Vulpix. For the current Arthur, it is better to carry or eat this kind of props, which can improve the strength of Pokémon faster and even increase the background of Pokémon. If there are too many items, it may not be possible to improve the potential of Pokémon. The difference from the game is that in special moments of Dragon Scale and Dragon Fang, normal is edible, especially Dragon Fang. If you let the teeth of other dragons fit on your body, shouldn't the diaphragm respond? Normal Dragon Fang is used to eat everything. After the teeth fall out, it is not easy to become a Dragon Fang's teeth. At least it must be a champion level, or even above the Dragon Pokémon. The teeth contain a lot of their dragon's energy. The energy inside can help the teeth of Dragon Pokémon become sharper and harder, and the power of occlusal skills can also be improved. As for the Dragon Scale, if it is not used for evolution, the energy of the dragon type inside is quite a lot. Originally, Arthur planned to wait for the Dragon Gem to be used up before giving it to Gible, but now it seems unnecessary. Wow, looking at Dragon Scale and Dragon Fang, little stars appeared in the eyes of Gible, who was holding the black stone. Dragons are greedy like this kind of treasure, how could it not like it? Asking for flowers, eat it. Arthur directly threw the Dragon Scale and Dragon Fang to Gible, and then saw Gible clicking and surveying, and bit the Dragon Scale into pieces. Seeing Arthur's hair standing on end, his body hardness is far inferior to Dragon Scale. Usually Gible wants to bite himself, but this little guy really wants to kill himself. After eating the Dragon Scale, Gible held the Dragon Fang full of vigor and bit it again, but this time, it seemed that it couldn't bite the Dragon Fang anymore. Instead, it used the Dragon Fang as a teething stick. A look of satisfaction. 0. Arthur didn't care about this. Maybe for Pokémon like Gible, they subconsciously know how to know about props like Dragon Fang, so Arthur doesn't need to worry at all. Looking at his several Pokémon, which more or less got a certain degree of Krypton Gold, Arthur nodded in satisfaction. At the same time, think about how to do things next, earn more natural talents and earth treasures, so that these little guys can improve their strength faster. While Arthur was very satisfied with the progress of his Pokémon, and the real bird returned to Rocket Hideout with a group of fossil Pokémon, and was considering how to distribute the rewards this time, the Indigo Plateau, the headquarters of the Alliance, could not calm down. Team Rocket has been doing a lot lately. Lorelei Elite checked the information in his hand, sighed and said, "I went to investigate the attack of MT, Moon before, and it was indeed caused by an elite-level fire-type Pokémon, a Fae. It seems that the Rockets still have a lot of masters. Although Granny Agatha said this, she didn't seem to take a Fae seriously. Although she was only an elite, her hands, but there are several champion Pokémon. No one knows what level of Granny Agatha's real strength has reached, only that Granny Agatha doesn't seem to be participating in the championship challenge. Otherwise, she may have already been the champion of the Kanto region. Granny Agatha naturally despises the usual little elite. The Rockets are the biggest dark force in the Kanto region and the Johto region, and the strong players in it are naturally 207. Although it is not yet known who the boss of the Rockets is, it should be a champion-level trainer, otherwise he would not be able to control so many strong men. Yu Longdu nodded slightly and said, "Some time ago, the Rockets just hijacked the San Annuo. Now they are attacking Dasha Valley again. What are they doing? Do they really want to start a war with Alliance?" As for the truth about the San Annuo, Yulondu also knows more or less, but they don't know whether the Rockets have reached a cooperation with Lucamine, or is it really an accident or a coincidence. If the Rockets really reached a cooperation with Lucamine, it would definitely be an extremely troublesome thing. Of course, as long as Lucamine does not go too far, Alliance will turn a blind eye. After all, Lucamine itself has great power and the big family of alliance. Many people have a history of cooperating with evil organizations and Pokémon hunters, and even a lot of evil forces are kept by them. In the absence of evidence, no one can say anything about it. Maybe it's for the Pokémon below Dasha Valley. Bruno said with folded arms. According to the investigation of the people below, there are obviously traces of Pokémon's long-term life in the ground, and there are ancient Pokémon's corpses there. Maybe there are Pokémon that many people think are extinct. Bruno's words made the other Elite Four a little silent. Actually, they didn't care about the extinct ancient Pokémon. It's just that so many ancient Pokémon were taken away by the rockets. This is an extremely troublesome thing. As Elite Four, they also understand that Alliance's actions may not necessarily be good, and the rockets may not necessarily be evil, but as Elite Four, they have some things that need them to do. Ancient Pokémon, if it's Oak, he should be very interested. At this time, Granny Agatha said quietly, "Are we talking about Professor Oak at this point? In short, let the Rocket's undercover agents investigate that off-Fae first, and at the same time, go and find out what the Rockets are doing recently. I always have an ominous premonition." Yulongdu rubbed his head helplessly. Let's hope things don't go in a bad direction. When Elite Four started the talks with the Fae and the Rockets, on the other side, Makoto was already reporting this incident with Giovanni. "Well, you did a great job. For those ancient Pokémon, keep 3 of each type for experimentation and the other breeders should be assigned." Giovanni nodded in satisfaction. Then Arthur, Matori asked hesitantly. This time Arthur has made a huge contribution, so what rewards will they provide? Does he already have 3 elite-level Pokémon? These Pokémon are not registered on the Pokémon Pokédex. It seems that he intends to use these Pokémon as another Pokémon. Giovanni tapped the table with his fingers a few times and said, "Are you sure that even you can't tell his identity when he's wearing a mask?" "Yes, if I didn't know his identity in advance. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to recognize him even if he stood in front of me." Makoto said in a deep voice, "During the period, I also used the rocket team's equipment to carry out after testing. All the signals were blocked in the end. Very good technology." Giovanni nodded slightly. "A Fae has made great contributions to the Rockets. Let him become the executive of the Rockets. He will still be responsible to you, and the tasks he usually performs will remain the same." Makoto's face became weird for a while. Didn't this change anything? It just improved Arthur's status in the Rockets, and as for the others, it didn't seem to have any effect. Does Arthur need a promotion? No need either. 3. 6. He himself is the Prince of the Rockets, and he has plenty of time and opportunities to build up his prestige. Call another 200 elite members and follow me to Saffron City. After pondering for a moment, Giovanni continued to speak. "Can I ask what it is for?" Makoto asked quietly. Giovanni has been dispatched, which does not surprise Genio. After all, Giovanni's identity as Arthur didn't know what Giovanni was going to do, and he couldn't control it for the time being. Even if Arthur had Jengar, Aerodactyl, and Volcarona, he didn't have much qualification to participate in his affairs. It's better to take advantage of this time to quickly improve your strength. He would often go to the beach in Rampart or the nearby forest for training, and after Gary knew about it, he also participated in it. As a result, Arthur can sometimes get advice from Professor Oak, which benefits Arthur a lot. This old man is not only a strong trainer, but also a humanoid Pokémon encyclopedia, and has unique insights into Pokémon training. Although Arthur is also very comprehensive in Pokémon training by relying on cheating and Professor Who's ability, Professor Oak also added a lot of 23 training experience for him. Of course, the main reason Professor Oak is willing to coach Arthur is Arthur's Alakazam, which surprised him, a Pokémon whose theoretical knowledge is not inferior to that of the ordinary Pokémon professor. This is something that Professor Oak could not have imagined before. Moreover, this Alakazam not only understands theoretical knowledge, but also can train with coaching Arthur's Pokémon and can also make money by investing in stocks. How can such a Pokémon keep Professor Oak from being tempted? If possible, he wanted to bring Alakazam back to his laboratory, but how could Arthur agree to this matter? He also needed Alakazam's teleport. In order to observe Alakazam, I originally planned to stay in Professor Oak for a week in Rampart, but I deliberately stayed for an extra week to observe Alakazam. Before he knew it, another week passed, and the giant Tentacruel hadn't come yet, which made Arthur very suspicious. Would the giant Tentacruel not come? Professor Oak is leaving tomorrow, and Arthur is going to leave at that time. It's impossible to stay here, especially for that huge Tentacruel, right? And because of this nearly half a month of training, Arthur's Pokémon strength has also been significantly improved. Ivysaur, Elite High Gible, Elite Elementary Eevee, Elite Advanced Squirtle, Elite Elementary Vulpix, Elite Elementary Alakazam, Gym Advanced Volcarona, Elite Advanced Jengar, Elite Intermediate Aerodactyl, Elite Intermediate. With a lot of resources and hard training, Arthur's Pokémon has made some progress. Especially Gible, Squirtle, and Vulpix, their original strength is relatively weak, and with the help of a large amount of resources, the speed of improving their strength is unexpectedly fast. On the contrary, Ivysaur has reached the time of accumulation, and it wants to go further and reach the gym level of strength. Evolution is the best choice, and now the final preparations before evolution. Of course, the most special case is the case of Eevee. Pokémon, Eevee attribute, normal. Height 0.36 m, racial average height is 0.3 m, weight 7.3 kg, racial average weight is 6.5 kg, ability, danger prediction, special skin. When using thunder, fire, fairy, water, psychic, evil, grass, and ice skills, you will get attribute bonus skills. Covet, help, growl, tackle, tail, whip, sand, attack. Quick attack, baby doll, eyes, swift bite, copycat, baton pass, take down, dig, charm, water gun, water pulse, thunder shock, thunder wave, double kick, thunder fang, ember, fire, fang, confusion, Cybum, power swap, snarl, confuse, ray, dark pulse, razor, leaf, leech seed, magical leaf synthesis, icy wind, ice shard, ice fang. Hail, disarming, voice, light, screen, misty terrain, draining, kiss, strength. Elite high-level potential, quasi-god system evaluation. A special Eevee possesses unrivaled talent among ordinary Pokémon. Whether it is speed, attack, special attack, defense, or special defense, it has special talents. In terms of using various skills, it has a natural advantage. It can learn all the skills of its own evolution. The only flaw is that it is still very young and needs a lot of time to improve itself. Suggestion: physical training is indispensable. It is recommended to use a weight of 5 kg. Let Eevee run with weight for at least 2 hours a day. Various skills need to be familiarized with, and the body needs a lot of energy. In addition to being able to measure cubes and moo milk, you can also take in a large amount of natural materials and earth treasures with corresponding attributes, and you can absorb all 9 kinds of attributes. There is no doubt that the current Eevee is the most special Pokémon on Arthur's side. Especially in terms of skills, Eevee has learned a lot during this time. Most of these skills are skills that can be learned after it evolves. With its talent, Eevee forcibly excavated them from its own genes. Although it has not mastered these skills like fire and pure love, it has indeed learned. Then you need to master these skills thoroughly. And during this period of time, Arthur could clearly feel that Eevee's need for energy has increased a lot, and even his body has become stronger than before. I don't know what it will look like in the end. Just as the last day of training was over and he was about to rest, Arthur suddenly looked into the distance. Is it really here? What's wrong? Professor Oak asked. After observing for a period of time, he found that Arthur has the ability to communicate with Pokémon. Although he didn't know which one it was, he really envied him. If I also have such ability when researching, it will be like a tiger with wings added. I felt a huge waveguide. Arthur said with a solemn expression, among the Pokémon I have seen, this waveguide is only inferior to the huge Dragonite in Bill's lighthouse, and the size of this guy is probably too big. No smaller than a giant Dragonite. He also didn't deliberately conceal the fact that he was able to waveguide. Compared with the power of Takua, although the brave men of waveguide are rare, there are still people who have such power, and he is not what he used to be now. Huge Dragonite. Professor Oak was also stunned when he heard the words. He had studied the huge Dragonite based on the scarce information, and it was a Dragonite comparable to a god. This conclusion was also made by Professor Oak. Now there is a monster of that level. Is it a giant Pokémon again? At the same time, he also knows what Arthur's ability is, the power of the waveguide. And it seems that Arthur's power of the waveguide has been developed to a certain extent, but unfortunately there is no corresponding Riolu. Otherwise, the power of the waveguide can be brought into full play strong effect. Well, the other party is coming towards Lample, Arthur said again. Not long after his words fell, a drizzle began to fall at their location, and then in a blink of an eye, it turned into hurricane rain. Come on, let's go there. Professor Oak's heart trembled, and he said to Arthur and Gary quickly. Although what happened this time was very dangerous, Professor Oak still wanted to take a look. What's more, standing in front of them was Lample, a big city in the Kanto region with a population of at least several 100,000. How could they sit idly by? That's it. Tentacruel, you're lying, right? Tentacruel, can it grow so big? Suddenly, Gary pointed to the huge monster drilled out of the sea and said in disbelief. At this moment, the huge Tentacruel has already swam towards Rampur. and the cruise ship parked at rampart to this gigantic tentacruel, it is nothing more than a round black 10 o'clock older. And brought by the huge tentacruel, there is also a monstrous tsunami. It seems to be the end of the world. Normal. Countless human beings are running on the streets trying to stay away from this dangerous city. There are also some trainers who spontaneously ran towards the sea. They want to prevent this disaster even if their strength may be a drop in the bucket. Pokémon, giant tentacruel strength, quasi-god potential, elite. Arthur also directly used an identification technique on the giant tentacruel, and he was very surprised in his heart. This giant tentacruel originally had the potential of elite, but now its strength has abruptly reached the quasi-god level. He remembered that this incident seemed to be related to the Rockets trio. Could it be that they unintentionally researched a special potion? Sure enough, the Rocket trio, except for catching Pikachu, almost all other skills are at full level. Giovanni doesn't know how to employ people either. If it was him, he would definitely let the Rockets trio join the research institute. Or let them make money. That's the specialty of the master group. However, although these three people are directly under Giovanni's jurisdiction, Giovanni only knows their identities. Even if he can't even remember their names, how could he know their abilities? It is indeed a very strong Pokémon. Professor Oak also showed a cautious look on his face. Letter 3005, but why did it attack Rampicamon? Perhaps in the early days of mankind, the relationship between humans and Pokémon was bad. But after the establishment of the Alliance, under the constraints of a group of legendary Pokémon, it has been a long time since Pokémon took the initiative to attack human cities on a large scale. Professor Oak also subconsciously thinks at this moment, who offended them, the giant tentacruel, isn't this trying to kill them? Although the other party is not a god's strength, it is not something that normal people can provoke. Maybe it has something to do with the habitat. After thinking about it, Arthur also said, I also heard the information on the internet before. It seems that Grandma Yin Si Hotel has invaded the homes of Tentacruel and Tentacool, and returned, hired a lot of trainers to drive them out of their habitat. How can you do this? Isn't she afraid of being held accountable by the forest rangers? Gary was furious when he heard the words. Alliance Rangers, whose name sounds like a gardener, but their status is higher than the normal Alliance investigators, whether it is Pokémon poaching or ecological maintenance, is their management scope. The Ranger is indeed very powerful, but in the end it's not up to the Alliance. Granny Yin is very rich, Arthur said in a leisurely tone. It is said that she and Agatha from the Elite Four are still classmates. Undoubtedly, there are quite a few forest rangers working hard, but some people, Alliance ask them to turn a blind eye. As long as the money is in place, they can't do anything about some things. Just like this time, don't they know about Lample, Tentacruel, and Tentacool? I must know that Grandma Yin is still recruiting people to drive away Tentacruel and Tentacool online. Arthur would rather believe that Eevee will not be arrogant one day, rather than believe that the Rangers don't know what's going on here. No matter what, we still need to stop this Tentacruel. Professor Oak looked at the huge Tentacruel like a mountain normal, took a deep breath and said, I'll stop this giant Tentacruel and you guys go to stop other Pokémon, try not to hurt to them. After finishing speaking, Professor Oak released a Pokémon ball, a Dragonite drilled out of it, and very fast 913 rushed to the back of the Dragonite. Old man, let's go. After speaking, Dragonite flapped its little wings and rushed over. Pokémon, Dragonite strength, quasi-god potential, quasi-god. Looking at the data of Professor Oak Dragonite, Arthur's teeth were also sore for a while. It must be too luxurious, right? Sure enough, it is Professor Oak's trump card Pokémon. Fortunately, Professor Oak did not continue to be a Pokémon trainer. Otherwise, Professor Oak would be for other trainers. Absolutely a nightmare for normal's existence. Grandpa, Gary looked worriedly at Professor Oak's leaving back. Although he knew that Dragonite was very strong, he didn't know how strong it was. He hoped that nothing would happen to Grandpa. He is not too young. Don't worry, from the perspective of Waveguide, Dragonite's Waveguide is even higher than the giant Tentacruel. Arthur took a deep breath. His goal is to train Gible to the level of Dragonite. If you can't fight such a Dragonite, what kind of trainer will you be? Gary opened his mouth but didn't say anything. The two rushed towards the beach one after another. At this time, Professor Oak had already commanded the Dragonite to fight against the giant Tentacruel. But in general, Professor Oak was commanding the Dragonite, attracting the firepower of the giant Tentacruel, trying to lure it away from the giant Tentacruel. It's just a pity that the giant Tentacruel seemed to be staring at the building that was about to be completed on the sea. Even if the Dragonite launched an attack on it, the giant Tentacruel didn't bother. Damn it, hurry up and stop it, hit me. Get rid of these nasty Pokémon. Not far away, surrounded by a group of bodyguards, an old lady commanded a group of Pokémon trainers. Facing Tentacruel and Tentacool, they launched an attack. The scene has already become very dangerous, especially every time the huge Tentacruel moves. Countless waves sweep towards the west in all directions, and the huge waves engulf many buildings by the sea. Seeing all this, Arthur's eyes flickered for a while. Sure enough, those guys are the source of all evil. Is there anything wrong with the human beings in Rampolchi? There is nothing wrong, CD. This is their homeland, which was destroyed by the giant Tentacruel. But is there anything wrong with the giant Tentacruel? It is also not wrong, it is just taking back its own homeland. What is wrong is Granny Yin, who destroys Pokémon's homeland for her own benefit and the interest groups behind her. And Alliance happens to be her biggest protection umbrella. But this time the incident may be able to come up with some big moves. Watching this scene, Arthur's eyes also flickered for a while, exposing all the truth to Lucamine or the Rockets, which can weaken some of the credibility of the Alliance, and at the same time it can retaliate for Lucamine. Arthur didn't care whether he would be remembered by the Alliance or not. I really thought it would be so easy to find a trainer with elite Pokémon, and one or two elite Pokémon can't do anything to him. Even now he still has his own cards. Eevee, show your style, use Thunder Wave. Arthur used a miniature camera to film the scene, especially towards Granny Silver, adding a few more close-ups while commanding Eevee to fight. Bowie. Almost instantly, Spark moved, and countless electric currents fell on Tentacruel and Tentacool not far away, paralyzing them and floating on the sea without moving. This number is really too much. Eevee uses Swift. Gary said that he had nothing to say. His main Pokémon are not very suitable for fighting in such an environment. Arcanine is Fire-type, Nidoqueen is Ground. Wartortle is not particularly suitable for fighting in this environment with Poison-type ones. Should I subdue an Electric-type Pokémon? Indeed, we still have to look at Professor Oak. By the way, I remember that Ash is working nearby. Let's go find them. After thinking about it, Arthur also suggested Ash. Hearing Arthur mention Ash, Gary's heart tightened. There are so many Tentacool and Tentacruel here. Could that idiot be trapped by them? If he is unlucky, he will be caught in the tsunami among them. The final outcome is only a dead end. He hurriedly asked, "Can you find Ash?" However, before he could say anything, an annoying voice appeared on the other side. "Are you trainers? Quickly, kill these damned jellyfish for me and I'll give you money. These Pokémon should be damned." An old lady said with a slightly crazy tone. This person is the instigator of this incident, Granny Silver. If she hadn't caused the occupation of Tentacool and Tentacruel's home, there would not have been a huge Tentacruel invasion. "Shut up, old witch. If you didn't make trouble, there would be no trouble here." Arthur said in a cold voice. Even as a member of the Rockets, he felt that he was not as evil as the other party. Not only to invade other people's homes, but also to find someone to kill each other. Sure enough, there are such people, and there will be so many dirty things in the Pokémon world. Old witch. Gary couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth when he heard that. It's not wrong for him to hate Granny Yin very much. Even after this incident, he would encourage his grandfather to deal with Granny Yin. Although he is the grandson of Professor Oak and comes from a big family, he still has a sense of justice. Gary was very displeased with Granny Silver's expulsion of the Tentacool and Tentacruel groups, and now she even asked them to kill the Tentacool. How does this make Gary accept it? Arthur directly scolded the old witch. This is the rhythm of making trouble. "Boy, you are looking for death." Granny Yin heard Arthur's words, and there was a cold light in her eyes. Any woman would mind being told two things by others. The first is ugly and the second is age. Arthur's old witch has really offended Granny Yin's outrage. She is not a magnanimous person, if not there were too many people here, and Granny Silver wished her bodyguards could directly attack Arthur. "It's not up to you if I seek death or not." Arthur sneered. "This time Lample has suffered such a big loss. I think there will be many people who will trouble you and your backstage will still be there. Do you support me? You can stick to it and talk about it. And you said that if you spend money to hire someone to deal with these Pokémon, it's already pretty good if you don't go bankrupt afterwards. How can you have the money to pay for it?" After finishing speaking, Arthur took Gary to another place directly and no longer cared about this old lady Yin. There are some things that Ah Fei can do but Arthur cannot. Damn kid. Seeing the back of Arthur and Gary leaving, Grandma Yin was even more annoyed inside. She finally decided to have this damn kid killed after this matter was over. Anyway, she didn't do less of such things. And the most important thing is that the trainer I found before looked at me with Shendu changed. All of this was caused by myself. How can those trainers not be rage? The most important thing is, that guy said that he is going to go bankrupt and can't pay the fee. How can this make these people not worry? Without money, why should they listen to Granny Yin's words? Even Granny Yin's bodyguards have already begun to shake their hearts. Unlike the trainers brought by Granny Yin, they understand the situation better. The mother-in-law made it up. Once the mother-in-law Yin needs to be responsible for this matter, she may really go bankrupt in the end. Thinking of this, these bodyguards gradually became less productive. What are you looking at? Why don't you hurry up and do it, otherwise you will all die. Granny Yin also angrily shouted after noticing the situation of these trainers. Arthur, you have to be more careful in the future. Granny Yin may launch revenge on you. After leaving, Gary also reminded Arthur. Asking for flowers, he knows the behavior style of those guys very well. At the same time, he also regards Arthur as his friend, so there is such a reminder. It's okay, she'll come if she has the ability. Arthur chuckled lightly, but he was mocking in his heart. Granny Yin also had to be able to persevere under this matter. Ah Fei will not let her go. Perhaps Granny Yin has a lot of scandals about alliance. For the time being, a living Granny Yin is more useful than a dead one. Hey, seeing Arthur's appearance, Gary sighed. He decided to wait and talk to his grandpa about this matter. Maybe grandpa can help Arthur. Come on, I've found Ash's trail. Tentacruel, please calm your anger. If this goes on, both you and humans will be victims. Professor Oak shouted loudly while directing Dragonite to avoid the giant Tentacruel's attack. Buzz. The red gemstone on the giant Tentacruel's forehead exuded a dazzling redness, but it didn't seem to pay attention to Professor Oak's thoughts. Countless turbulent waves. The huge body swayed in the sea, rolling countless waves and destroying houses by the sea. Damn it. Seeing this, Professor Oak cursed inwardly, and he didn't know whether he was cursing huge Tentacruel or Granny Yin. Seeing that the huge Tentacruel caused more and more damage, Professor Oak finally stopped holding back. Dragonite, launch an attack, use thunder. Roar. With the Dragonite roaring, the soaring in the sky, which was already covered with dark clouds, flickered with lightning, and it seemed that lightning might land at any moment, striking the giant Tentacruel. This made the giant Tentacruel nervous. Although after obtaining this power for no reason, its strength has been greatly improved. But when faced with the energy accumulated in the black cloud, the giant Tentacruel will still feel afraid. After all, its power is not exercised by oneself or innate. It's power that you get for no reason. On the other side, Ash is also directing Pikachu to fight them. It's not that they want to deal with the Stinger Water, 053 and Tentacool, but the Tentacruel and Tentacool who came here no longer care who you are. They have already declared war on mankind. Tentacruel and Tentacool want to regain their own homeland. Any human that stands in their way is their enemy. After Ash and the others defeated several Tentacruels and Tentacools, more Tentacruels and Tentacools also launched a siege towards them. The dense group of Tentacruel and Tentacool also made Ash's hair stand on end. Pikachu, is there any problem? This time, even Ash was a little uncertain. Although the number of Tentacruel and Tentacool is not as large as the Spearow group they faced back then, the red eyes on the heads of Tentacruel and Tentacool are really scary. Ash, let's get out of here quickly, Zio Gang said with an extremely solemn expression. With so many Tentacruels and Tentacools, unless elite or champion Pokémon come here, normal Pokémon are hard to deal with. Ash's Pikachu had indeed demonstrated superhuman combat power last time, defeating his own Onix abruptly. But facing so many Tentacruel and Tentacool groups, I am afraid it will not help. This is the last time Pikachu used Thunder. Ash nodded slightly, then shouted at Pikachu. Pika! Pikachu leaped up, the lightning on his body surged, echoing the lightning and soaring in the sky. At this time he recalled the scene when Pikachu jumped up and used Thunder on Spearow. Boom! It seemed that something had been sensed. Under the control of Pikachu, the thunder and lightning in the black cloud did not come towards the giant Tentacruel, but was directly taken away by Pikachu, and then landed on Tentacruel and in the Tentacool group. Almost instantly, many Pokémon in the Tentacruel and Tentacool groups not far in front of Ash and the others lost their fighting ability directly. This lightning, Gary looked at this scene in horror and said in disbelief, it seems that Ash's Pikachu did it. To be precise, Thunder was saved by Professor Oak's Dragonite, but Pikachu directly took control of it. The corner of Arthur's mouth twitched. It really was a skin god. When it's no longer on, it's not Pikachu's rival, even quasi-god. On the other side, Professor Oak was also stunned when he saw this scene, and then fell silent for a while, as expected of Ash's Pikachu. When this Pikachu and Ash are together, it will burst out with amazing strength from time to time. How is this possible? Gary said that he was completely stupefied. He had some understanding of the Dragonite's strength, but now he was directly controlled by Pikachu Snatch. Is this possible? Of course not normally. However, Gary still believed Arthur's words in his heart and then ran towards Ash with Arthur. At this moment, they were less than 100 meters away from Ash and the others. They were also the ones who saw the most clearly just now and also felt the most shocking. Great Pikachu. Looking at the densely packed bodies of Tentacruel and Tentacool, Ash hugged Pikachu and said, Misty and Zyogang's eyelids jumped wildly. They didn't know how Pikachu did this after defeating Tentacruel and Tentacool. Let these lightnings not affect them. Unscientific, seeing his clansmen being hit by a thunder. The giant Tentacruel was also completely raged. It looked at the Dragonite at the side, gathered a huge amount of energy in its mouth. And then a ray about 6 or 7 meters thick, the beam of energy light was sprayed out by the giant Tentacruel, attacking Dragonite and Professor Oak. Professor Oak looked at the city behind him. If he were to dodge at this time, the destructive death light would fall on the city, causing damage beyond imagination. He gritted his 2-3 teeth and said, Dragonite, use protect. Just like that, an invisible energy barrier appeared in front of Dragonite, abruptly blocking the huge destructive death light for Dragonite, blocking all the attacks of the giant Tentacruel. Tentacruel, don't continue anymore. Humans will give you an account of your affairs. After the destruction and death light dissipated, Professor Oak also said to the giant Tentacruel, such a battle is meaningless. Hearing Professor Oak's words, the huge Tentacruel, even if he fell into a stiff contest condition, is still raged. What explanation? You humans snatched our home, beat my family, and now tell me that you will give us an explanation. How do we believe this? Why don't you try to contact the god of the sea? At this moment, a voice suddenly entered the minds of the giant Tentacruel and Professor Oak. This is... Professor Oak recognized Arthur's voice in an instant and quickly turned his head to look, only to find that Arthur was still hundreds of meters away looking at them. Is this a special application for waveguides? The Professor Oak immediately understood. God of the sea. The huge Tentacruel is also a bit confused. What is that? God is sorry, before it became huge, it was just an ordinary Tentacruel. How could it know the existence of the god of the sea? Professor Oak glanced at the huge Tentacruel in surprise, and he could understand its words. The power of waveguide is really powerful. Drag both him and the giant Tentacruel into a channel. God of the sea, Lugia, Arthur said lightly. As Pokémon in the ocean, you should be managed by it. Now your habitat is being invaded. If you go to the god of the sea, it will for you. Professor Oak blushed for a while. Wait, there's no need for this kind of thing to come to its side. Lugia, the god of the sea, how can Professor Oak be calm? Lugia, the god of the sea, is the most top legendary Pokémon star. Although it is said that Lugia has a good temper, no one knows what the consequences will be if he is annoyed. Even Alliance cannot bear the wrath of this truly top legendary Pokémon. The gigantic Tentacruel glanced at Professor Oak in surprise and realized for a while that the god of the sea was really powerful, making these humans fearful. Before, it thought it had got a great power, so it could retaliate and bring home Snatchback. However, the appearance of Dragonite broke its cognition. It turns out that human Pokémon are so powerful, but now they have no way out. It's just that the giant Tentacruel hesitated when he heard that there was still the god of the sea. What should he do? Go to the god of the sea to uphold justice. But I can't find where the other party is. Looking at the hesitant huge Tentacruel, Professor Oak also understood for a while and gave Arthur a thumbs up. How could he still not see what Arthur's purpose was at this time? At least now the huge Tentacruel can listen to their words instead of attacking the city regardless. This is a good start. Tentacruel, I will negotiate with the Alliance to return your homeland and even establish a protection zone for you. After that, no one will invade your homeland again. Please rest assured I still have this bit of face. Professor Oak at this time, he said hastily. The huge Tentacruel looked at Professor Oak suspiciously. To be honest, it doesn't trust humans very much, but think about it, now it has a backstage. It didn't know the existence of the sea god before, but now, as a sea creature's instinct, it believed in the existence of the sea god. It fell into deep thought. What worries Tentacruel the most is that human beings will settle accounts after the autumn. An old man is so powerful. If there are a few more corresponding Pokémon, how will he face it? But if they demolished this place and fled to the deep sea with the group, they would not get the slightest benefit. Listening to the old man's words, it seems to be good. You can make Professor Oak swear to the god of the sea. At this time, Arthur said quietly again. The corner of Professor Oak's mouth twitched, and he swore to the god of the sea. Whether Lugia would sense it, even Professor Oak is not sure about this. After all, there are not many studies on Lugia, the god of the sea. However, he also believed that he could appease the Alliance's thoughts, and after some consideration he said, I, Samuel Oak, swear to Luja, the god of the sea, that I will promote the Alliance's protection of the tentacool habitat of Rampur, and I will be responsible for this time. Be held accountable for the destruction of the habitat of the tentacool population. However, at this moment, an ancient and long voice came from the minds of Professor Oak, Arthur, and the giant tentacruel. Yes, 203, holy crap, can the god of the sea really hear it? Arthur was shocked in his heart. Why did the god of the sea hear this and make people swear indiscriminately? I don't know how many people are praying to you at Whirl Islands, can you hear it? And in the sea area not far from Lamperky, a big white bird figure thoughtfully glanced at Lamperky's position, left a sentence of interesting little guy, and then gave up and continued to Lampuki. Poo-Urky turned and went in other directions. Luja, the god of the sea, was heading here before. After all, such a large-scale ocean Pokémon is at war with human beings. As the god of the sea, how can it not care? After knowing this, it also rushed towards Lampuki, but it did not expect that such a scene would appear. Originally, it wouldn't say anything at this time, but after thinking about it, it also left this word and expressed its attitude. Arthur and Professor Oak looked at each other, obviously shocked by the sudden incident, and now that Luja was involved, things suddenly escalated. However, Professor Oak breathed a sigh of relief inwardly. Originally, he was worried that those fellows in Alliance would go crazy and want to revenge the huge tentacruel, and even wanted to capture it for research. The darkness in the Alliance is no less than that in other places. When Professor Oak gave up becoming the champion of the Kanto region, the main reason was that he couldn't get used to the guys in the Alliance. They didn't do research, and train them in Pallet Town. Children see nothing but see the darkness. Because of those things in his youth, he can also be said to hate poachers, but knowing the truth of this world, he only wants to use his own method to change the world. Maybe after the civilians get up, they can change the world more or less. Professor Oak deeply knew that once this giant tentacruel was captured by the Alliance, it would most likely be dissected. But it's different now. Standing behind the huge tentacruel is Luja, god of the sea, which can still make the Alliance fear a little bit. Thinking of this, Professor Oak looked at Arthur with more admiration than before, and he didn't think it was a coincidence. Maybe he felt Luja's wave guide before, maybe even he was hinting at himself. Arthur, no, I didn't, don't talk nonsense. At this moment, Arthur felt a bit pained. He never expected that he would accidentally provoke Rocky, so what are you going to do next? I hope it's better for Luja not to stare at her. Okay, I agree with your words. As long as humans return our habitat, we will not attack humans again. Letter 3005. The huge tentacruel over there said after hesitating for a while. Then it looked directly at a building that was still under construction, stretched out its tentacles and slapped it. In this regard, Professor Oak did not stop it. This building was built on the tentacool and tentacruel homes in violation of the regulations. No, Grandma Yin wailed when she saw this scene. In order to build this hotel, she invested a lot of money and spent a lot of effort to manage it everywhere. It was stopped. But now this hotel is also destroyed, it's all money. She looked into the air. The eyes of Professor Oak, who was still sitting on Dragonite's back, were full of hatred. This guy could obviously stop all this. Why didn't he do anything? Tell your other clansmen to stop fighting. Arthur also reminded the giant tentacruel after the building was crushed by the giant tentacruel. The huge tentacruel also found such a small guy as Arthur and stared at Arthur closely, which also made Gary, Ash, and others beside him very horrified. They didn't know that in the previous conversation between Arthur, Professor Oak, and the giant tentacruel, they thought that the giant tentacruel was eyeing Arthur. Okay, I hope you can keep your word. I will give you 3 days to restore our habitat to its original state. Otherwise, I will not let you go. The red agate on the giant tentacruel's head flickered a few times. Tentacruel and Tentacool, who were still attacking, also stopped attacking and dispersed one after another. They retreated. Great, we survived. The humans who were still surrounded by Tentacruel and Tentacool were also excited. They survived. Damn it, don't even think about running. Just looking at the group of Tentacruel and Tentacool who were about to leave, Granny Yin couldn't calm down. You demolished my hotel and you still want to run? Kill them for me and I'll give you money, a lot of money. Granny Yin roared hysterically. It's just that this time no one is foolish enough to follow her orders. Isn't it good to be alive? If I annoy Tentacruel and the Tentacool group again and come to trouble them, will I not be the one who is unlucky in the end? Even if you want to make money, you have to live to get it. The huge Tentacruel took a deep look at Professor Oak and then left directly. Seeing the huge body dive into the sea, Professor Oak also breathed a sigh of relief. Although there are still many follow-up issues to be resolved, everything is heading in a good direction. Kings. He commanded Dragonite to return to the ground. Many people also recognized the old man's identity and were shocked in their hearts. They did not expect that Professor Oak is not only a researcher, but also possesses such powerful strength. Arthur, this time, thank you so much. If it weren't for you, I don't know how to solve this matter. Professor Oak twitched Arthur's shoulder and said. This also surprised Gary and his team. Arthur contributed. Why didn't they know? Hadn't he been paddling around them all the time? After that, he couldn't even command the Pokémon to fight. Seeing Arthur like this, Professor Oak also nodded slightly. Whether he is proud of winning or not discouraged, he is indeed a person who does great things. And thinking about the fact that Arthur helped himself connected himself with the giant tentacruel, Professor Oak is even more satisfied when he sees Arthur. Phew. It would be great if I could bring Arthur back to the laboratory so I could communicate with Pokémon all the time. The power of Waveguide is really an enviable ability. Okay, Lample is ruined. If you need it, you can stay in other nearby towns. Then Professor Oak also said to Arthur and the others. Because of the huge tentacruel, although it didn't completely destroy Rampur, it also paralyzed the most famous tourist city in the Kanto region, like the hotel where Arthur stayed before. And after that, he still has a lot of things to be busy with, and he doesn't want Arthur and the others to get involved. This is also a kind of protection for 597 and them. There is no doubt that for Arthur, Professor Oak has a heart of love and talent. Okay, I plan to go to Saffron City later, then I'll take my leave. Arthur nodded slightly. Are you going to challenge Sabrina? Gary looked at Arthur with a little surprise. He, who had just been defeated by Sabrina, naturally knew about Sabrina's strength. It's just that he didn't expect that Arthur wanted to fight that woman directly. That woman is not easy to deal with. There is still a lot of distance from Saffron City. I plan to continue training in the wild. I will challenge Sabrina when I have enough strength. Sabrina will not use the main Pokémon to deal with me. He chuckled. Sabrina is indeed very strong and he is not a vegetarian. During this time, the little ones have made significant progress, and even Ivysaur has reached the edge of evolution. CDFE, in the next period of time, it may be possible to evolve at any time. Then it will be the time when Arthur's strength will further advance by leaps and bounds. It's not impossible to challenge Sabrina. Arthur is still looking forward to the battle with Sabrina. Go to Saffron City, then let's go together. Ash also said at this time, but he remembered that Gary failed when he challenged Sabrina. If he defeated Sabrina, does it mean that he is stronger than Gary? No, I prefer to travel alone. Then everyone, let's take my leave. Arthur waved to several people, then turned and left directly. What? I still want to travel with him. He doesn't fit in at all. Ash was also hostile when he saw this. No, he is for your safety. Gary said in a serious tone at this time, and several other people showed puzzled looks, and then Gary also told what happened before. Arthur is really a man with a sense of justice. All of this was done by that old lady Yin. If it were me, I would also want to call her an old witch, Misty said viciously. Grandma Yin is not the kind of person who is easy to get along with, Xiao Gang said with a slight nod. How is this possible? Anyway, we are also friends. How can he face it alone at this time? Ash said dissatisfiedly, trying to catch up with Arthur but was stopped by Gary. Ash, don't mess around. Arthur won't have the problem. If you get involved rashly, it will only drag Arthur down. And as long as this time passes, Granny Yin's problem will also be resolved. After speaking, he turned his gaze to Professor Oak at the side. Facing the eyes of several people, Professor Oak also nodded slightly and said, Indeed, Grandma Yin will not be jumping for long, and that child Arthur is more mature than you imagined. He will be fine. Hearing Professor Oak's words, Ash also breathed a sigh of relief, and he still trusts Professor Oak very much. Damn Tentacruel, damn Samuel Oak, damn Agatha, damn Brat. When Grandma Yin returned to her house in Rampur, she kept yelling. This time, because of the giant Tentacruel's troubles, she suffered a lot, and even her affairs were exposed on the internet, pushing her to the forefront. Originally, Granny Yin wanted to spend money to cover up the matter, but this time, she obviously sensed that something was wrong. It's not so easy to cover up, you don't need to think about it. This is done by Professor Oak. No, it's our righteous rockets who are fueling the flames, looking for trouble with our prince. Are you afraid that you are trying to die? She could only find her old friend Agatha, but she did not expect that the other party would not even answer her phone. This made Granny Yin very angry. Although Agatha didn't take any benefits from herself, the clansmen of Agatha took a lot of money from her every year. As a result, Agatha refused to even say hello to Professor Oak for herself. Fortunately, they are still friends for decades. Of course, there is also the old witch that Arthur said before, which made Granny Yin even more memorable. No one had ever dared to talk to herself like that. She wanted to tear that kid into pieces. Professor Oak can't deal with it by himself. Can't he deal with an ordinary civilian trainer? This sudden sound made Granny Yin feel a burst of horror. She hadn't seen anyone in the room before. She followed the sound and looked intently and saw a person wearing a spiral mask sitting at the moment. On the sofa with Erlang's legs crossed, he was looking at her playfully, and at the side there is a Jenger looking at Granny Yin with a smirk. At this moment, Granny Yin was terrified. You know, she didn't see anyone sitting here before, but now a person suddenly appeared. How could Granny Yin not get excited? At the same time, Granny Yin also felt the betrayal in her heart, Jenger, and such an unexpected arrival, which made her subconsciously think of that old woman Agatha. So that old woman wants to kill people to silence her. Granny Yin wanted to call for help, but she found that the environment around her seemed to have undergone tremendous changes and she couldn't even shout out. I don't mind if you yell if you can, Arthur said slightly playfully. Who the hell are you? Granny Yin said with a hint of fear in her tone. As a wealthy person and a classmate of Agatha's mother-in-law, she naturally has Pokémon, but her relationship with Pokémon is not particularly good, and she only treats Pokémon as a tool. Pokémon want to enter her bedroom. How is that possible? Nice meeting, Granny Yin. Arthur didn't directly reply to Granny Yin's question. Then show me the evidence of the black transaction between you and the high-level executives of the Alliance. What? Granny Yin's heart sank even more. Evidence of the black transaction? No, I didn't do anything. There is no evidence. Really? Arthur looked at Granny Yin playfully. If you don't have any evidence, are you sure to cooperate with those guys? Those guys are wolves who eat people and don't spit their bones. Granny Yin looked at Arthur in horror as Arthur said she did have the so-called evidence, but how could she give those things to Arthur? Those things are her amulets and life-saving talismans. At critical moments, she will rely on these things to let those guys protect herself. But now someone is eyeing these things. Granny Yin subconsciously doesn't want to hand them over, and at the same time she is sure that this is Granny Agatha's family. This is the rhythm of crossing the river and tearing down the bridge. Hand over all the information on their cooperation. Over the years, although she has not had any illegal transactions with Agatha, the family behind assist and Agatha still has something to do. Just like this time, how could she do this without the senior management of the Alliance turning a blind eye to the matter of Lanpu Urki? It seems that you don't want to cooperate anymore. Arthur looked at Granny Yin and sighed softly, then snapped his fingers. Jenger. Hypnotize her. For Granny Silver, Arthur will not have any mercy. Granny Silver is the standard type who only cares about her own interests, but does not care about the life and death of Pokémon, and she is also the target that Team Rocket must eliminate. Even if the Alliance is overthrown, it doesn't matter if it is not overthrown. The main thing to eliminate is this kind of people. If there were no such people, the world would be at peace. What's more, this guy wanted to deal with Arthur before, and Arthur won't forget it. No, you can't do this, Grandma Yin exclaimed quickly, and then she became drowsy and fell asleep. A purple light flashed in Jenger's eyes, but then he shook his head at Arthur again. Isn't it? This is also reasonable. She must have protected her head. Those key information will not be disclosed, otherwise how could this be her life-saving trump card? Those powerful Pokémon, at any time you can get those secrets. Arthur's mouth showed a smile. However, this is also a good thing for me. Jenger, kill her, Arthur said coldly with a cold glance at Granny Yin who had passed out. If you don't get those materials, you can save yourself some worries. Granny Yin must have put these materials in the hands of key people. Once she dies, these materials will be released, which is also a common method to threaten people. 0. If Granny Yin really died, the people she arranged would expose the evidence, which would save Arthur a lot of trouble. If Granny Silver doesn't do anything, Arthur won't care. Just let someone do something after that. Elite-level ghost Pokémon. Granny Silver has contact with Agatha, and Granny Silver has something to do again. It doesn't make things clear any connection with Grandma Agatha. What? You don't believe it? God, you don't think that elite-level ghost Pokémon are really that easy to find, do you? If that kind of Pokémon could still walk the streets, the world would be in chaos. Do you still dare to say that this matter has nothing to do with Grandma Agatha? Granny Agatha did not provoke Arthur, and there was no grudge between the two parties. But this did not prevent Arthur from doing so. There is no extra reason who made Granny Agatha an Elite Four. Even though she seldom dispatches missions in normal times, she is also a potential threat. Similarly, if Granny Silver could treat her Pokémon better, Arthur would not be able to sneak in like this without anyone noticing, let alone kill Granny Silver 4 easily. Granny Yin's death was discovered shortly after Arthur left. This moment caused an uproar, especially on the Alliance side, which caught them off guard. They originally planned to take Granny Yin away. How to compensate and how to solve it, they will discuss it internally. But now Granny Yin is dead, and she is still dead in the hands of the powerful ghost Pokémon. How can this not make some people fantasize about it? Granny Agatha, this old woman, is also ruthless enough to kill people directly. Although Granny Agatha was not directly involved in some things, the family behind her was also involved. It is really a 533 normal thing to kill people now. This incident made Granny Agatha a little confused. She knew a little about Granny Yin's affairs, but she was always looking for people from her own family, and she didn't do too much. Grandma Agatha also turned a blind eye. It's just that this time there was a big commotion, not only that Professor Oak was provoked by Granny Yin, but also what Professor Oak said. Lugia, the god of the sea, is paying attention to this matter. If it was said by others, they might feel that the other party is scaremongering, but Professor Oak's words make them believe that Samuel Oak will not talk nonsense on this kind of matter. Since he said so, it must be in this way. This time, even Granny Agatha immediately suspected that it was done by someone in her family, but she didn't wait for her to investigate. Another bomb exploded, and all the things Granny Yin and the Alliance high-level cooperation did were exposed. Regardless of whether they cooperate with the company to buy murderers or buy land at a very low price, expel Pokémon, and cause a large number of Pokémon to lose their homes, many people are involved in these matters, and the top management of Ramparky is still a trivial matter. Not only the family of Agatha's mother-in-law, one of the Elite Four, was involved, but the top leaders of Alliance were also involved. And those things are all well-documented things. At this moment, the Kanto Alliance became jittery, and even Granny Agatha lost her credibility in front of the public. Even if Granny Agatha herself did not participate, the matter intensified. There are even many people calling for Agatha's mother-in-law to be unworthy of being an Elite Four, and she should retire. This time, even if the Alliance wants to press things down, it has more than enough energy. After all, the huge Tentacruel incident this time is really too big. Just as Arthur guessed, Granny Yin is a ruthless person. She has already prepared for it and handed over the information about her cooperation with the Alliance to her confidants. If something goes wrong with her, those information will also be exposed. This was used to threaten Alliance, but now it has become something that Arthur uses against Alliance. Of course, some forces under the Rockets also contributed to this. All of a sudden, the top executives of the Alliance were overwhelmed, and I am afraid that they would not be able to pay attention to the Rockets for a long time to come. Ding, congratulations to the host for taking advantage of the Silver Mother-in-Law incident to reduce the credibility of the Alliance and attract a lot of energy from the Alliance. The reward system is a special solar charging device, which can charge the mysterious Black Stone, Plant Frenzy Skill Machine, and Ice Gem. How about Granny Yin's matter? Arthur can't pay attention to it for the time being, and he has no interest in taking care of it. If Granny Yin is not a strong threat, if her situation improves, she may spend money to find someone at any time to deal with himself. Arthur will not deal with Granny Yin. Now it's not just Grandma Yin who has been solved, but also one less worry about the future. Also received system rewards. The system's special solar energy charging device is obviously prepared for the mysterious Black Stone. The mysterious Black Stone does contain a lot of energy, and even Arthur can use the power of the waveguide to restore the energy in the mysterious Black Stone. But the speed of this replenishment is indeed not as fast as Gible's digestion speed. Arthur could clearly perceive that just over a week after being reported by Gible, almost 1/20th of the energy in the mysterious Black Stone had been consumed by Gible. The power of the waveguide can indeed restore the energy in the Black Stone, but it is still not as fast as Gible's absorption speed, and Arthur can feel that with the improvement of Gible's strength, it will absorb the energy of the Black Stone faster and faster. At that time, even if all the power of Arthur's waveguide is drained, it will not be able to keep up with Gible's consumption speed. Arthur doesn't know how fast this system's special solar charging device is, but he thinks it should be 1/4 faster than using the power of the waveguide to replenish energy by himself. The Black Stone can also continuously provide energy for Gible. If the system's special solar charging device can charge faster, Arthur may be able to breed a few more dragon Pokémon in the future. After all, there are such props, no breeder dragon Pokémon breeder. This is the most cost-effective category for Arthur. For Normal's trainer, the dragon Pokémon breeder is extremely expensive, which is beyond the reach of ordinary trainers, but for Arthur this seems to be nothing. As long as it can be charged quickly, solar energy is the natural treasure of your dragon Pokémon. Plant Frenzy's secret machine is a little different from the one in the game. It is not only the grass-type Earl Dervish Pokémon that can learn it. Pokémon with the grass attribute can be learned. And at the same time, Pokémon cannot learn directly like in the game. But through the black technology of the system, Pokémon has the understanding of the principle of Plant Frenzy. After that, Pokémon can learn Plant Frenzy through their own understanding of Plant Frenzy, and this learning speed is twice the result with half the effort. The grass-type Pokémon that Arthur currently owns is only Ivysaur, but Eevee can also learn this Plant Frenzy because it is related to Albus. This is also a good skill, and it can be used as a big killer move in the future. After all, if there is no sunny day, the preparation time is too long. Although Plant Frenzy has the disadvantage of being stiff after using it, but at critical moments, 23 can also play a tactical role that is not inferior to that of the Sun and Flames. In the next period of time, Arthur will have the last special training before going to the Saffron Gym. Thank you for this time. After receiving the prompt from the system, Arthur also directly expressed his thanks to Lusamine. This time, Lusamine also played a big role in this incident. Without the help of Lusamine and the Etha Foundation behind her, otherwise, it would have been impossible to erupt so violently. We don't need to say thank you, not to mention I'm also in revenge. Lusamine shook her head slightly. The two have video chats almost every day, but the missing of each other seems to be deepening. This made Arthur often think of ending his travels as soon as possible, and then going to the Alola region, just going to the most powerful gyms in the region with his current strength. And don't look at Arthur and Lusamine being glued to each other now. If Arthur really clings to Lusamine like a puppy, Lusamine won't be able to get used to it. It is difficult for a strong woman type of woman to accept a man who does nothing and has no ambitions. Is that so? Arthur chuckled. It seems that the Alliance's top executives intercepted and killed Lusamine last time, which made it difficult for Lusamine to let go. But the Alliance should be able to investigate your participation in the fishing boat propaganda that fueled the flames, right? It doesn't affect you. If I hide my name and do things in the dark, the Alliance will be more afraid of me, but this time I do this openly and they will be relieved. After all, I am open and above board in revenge. Lusamine thought pointingly said, and they can't do anything to me after all, they are at fault for this matter. Okay. Arthur rubbed his head. He understood the reason, but if he had to calculate this and that for a long time, it would only make him feel tired. This time your behavior, although the gambling behavior is very big, but obviously you succeeded. However, you should improve your strength now. Lusamine then showed a satisfied look, and she was more and more concerned about her little man. More and more satisfied, not only solved the worries of the future, but also cheated Alliance. No one would suspect Arthur, unless one day his identity was revealed, but that would probably be a long time later. By that time, Arthur had already grown up, and when it was really a last resort, he could also let Arthur come to the Alola region. Within this 3-acre land, Lusamine was confident that he could cover Arthur. The two chatted for a while before hanging up the phone. Eevee, we need to become stronger as soon as possible, and then we don't need to use these plots nasty plot. After hanging up the phone, Arthur also said to Eevee in a strange way. Bye asterisk. Eevee shook her short tail arrogantly. As expected, Arthur still needed his own strength. At the same time, it is also full of confidence in its own strength and talent. It is very strong now and it is still improving rapidly. Eevee, this is Saffron City 543. When Arthur brought Eevee to Saffron City half a month later, during this period of time he has been carrying out arduous training and the strength of Pokémon is also improving rapidly. Bye. Eevee looked at those tall buildings with a shocked expression. It has never seen so many tall buildings. As the largest city in the Kanto region, Saffron City, together with Rainbow City next to it, forms the Saffron Rainbow Metropolitan Circle, which accounts for nearly 20% of the population of the Kanto region and generates 35% of the GDP. The headquarters of the world's leading Sheriff group is established here. Whether it is Pokémon balls, potion, space backpacks, tents, energy cube manufacturing machines, anything related to Pokémon cannot be separated from the Sheriff group. Some people even said that anyone in the Kanto region will be inseparable from eating rest, Pokémon, and the Sheriff group all their lives. There are many buildings in Saffron City, the most conspicuous of which is the 300-meter-high Sheriff building. The Sheriff building has always been a landmark building in Saffron City. Even Sabrina's Saffron Gymnasium is far from being as iconic as the Sheriff building. However, Arthur doesn't have a good impression of the Sheriff group. and he usually spends money there. At the same time, the Huruf group also has a great relationship with the Rockets. At one time, the Rockets were dogs raised by the Huruf group. His grandma, Giovanni's mother, the strong woman who founded the Rockets, he was also enslaved by Shuruf. Even in the end, he was betrayed by the president of the Shilluf group and died. It can be said that this is simply a life and death enmity, even though Arthur has no impression of this grandma. But he also knew he had to retaliate one day. Not to mention Giovanni, Arthur took a deep look at the Shilluf building and made sure that it was a place he couldn't blow up now, and he still needed to improve his strength. I don't know if the system will give me the legendary Pokémon in the future. In the face of such a huge monster, Normal's Pokémon is really not rival. Of course, Arthur wants his own Pokémon to be unharmed and open the kind that destroyed Shuruf Tower. Eevee, what do you want for dinner today? Arthur asked Eevee on his shoulder. Eevee thought for a moment and said that no matter what to eat, it was not as delicious as Arthur's cooking. Don't know? Then let's go eat fried chicken. I want to eat fried chicken today. But it is said that there is an internet celebrity ice cream here. Let's try it too. Arthur took out the Pokémon watch. On it after investigating for a while, he said, "Bye." 7/hearing ice cream. Eevee also showed yearning expression. The little guy still likes sweets like ice cream. This also made Arthur once think that it is likely to evolve into Sylveon. This is Arthur. Just when Arthur was about to come to the internet celebrity ice cream shop, someone stopped him. Arthur looked intently and instantly recognized the other party's identity. "Bill, Professor, why are you here?" "Haha, the previous lighthouse was destroyed. Recently, I have been doing research at home in Saffron City." Bill Professor smiled and said, "And there are important guests coming to Kanto region. I am going to pick them up." Important guest? Arthur was a little confused. You must know that Bill Professor is also very famous in the world. The Pokémon transmission system was invented by Bill Professor. Just relying on this technology is enough to make Bill Professor a lot of money. At the same time, he is also a world-renowned Pokémon professor. Even if he is not as good as a T1 level professor like Professor Oak, he is still enough to be called a T2 level master. Yes, they are world-renowned archaeologists. Have you heard about the Dasha Valley recently? They came here for the ancient Pokémon in Dasha Valley. Bill Professor patiently explained Arthur's confusion road. Ancient Pokémon Dasha Valley, I'm sorry, I've been doing special training all this time, so I don't know about these things. Arthur blinked. Could it be that the Rockets didn't take all those Pokémon away? Bill Professor showed a clear look, then walked up to Arthur's ear and said in a low voice, "It's mainly caused by the incident of Ramperchi some time ago. In order to divert attention, Alliance exposed the incident of Dasha Valley. A large number of bones of ancient Pokémon were found there. According to the investigation, many of these bones were just eaten, which proves that there were living ancient Pokémon there, but unfortunately those Pokémon were all taken away." Speaking of this, Bill Professor is still full of embarrassment. He is also very fond of ancient Pokémon, and he has disguised himself as an ancient Pokémon before. How can Bill Professor not be thrilled to know that the Pokémon that are generally believed to be extinct are not extinct? It's just that I don't know which bloody bastards took all these Pokémon away. It's simply devoid of conscience. Can't even the 10-song Pokémon be left behind? However, Bill Professor didn't know that the guy he thought was devoid of conscience was right in front of him right now. Listening to Bill Professor's words, Arthur showed a clear expression. He really didn't know about Alliance's behavior during this time. Apart from training No Xiao Pokémon, he usually video chatted with Lusamine. MJU4 ND8 NTC3 Autumn 1 NDE3 NJ Katewaj Y equals. As for the bad things about Alliance, it was not Arthur's turn to worry, and even Lusamine didn't take these things to heart. Isn't it a suspected living fossil Pokémon? What's the point? If the Kanto region has an Ultra Beast, she needs to worry. A living ancient Pokémon, it is a gift to be alive. Arthur also said with a slight sigh in line with Bill Professor. Indeed, living is the greatest gift. Bill Professor expressed his approval of Arthur's words. Life is the most precious. This also made Bill Professor think highly of Arthur. By the way, the person who came here this time is the world's leading archaeologist, Professor Kale, and Professor Kale was accompanied by her granddaughter Cynthia, who is the new champion of Sinnoh region. Besides being an excellent Pokémon besides trainer, there is also a famous archaeologist. Do you want to meet? Suddenly, Bill Professor asked as if thinking of something. Mustard Professor, Cynthia. Arthur showed a shocked look. He naturally knew who Cynthia was. This is an existence at the level of a model worker. As long as it is a novel about the Pokémon world, Cynthia must be the protagonist. Good looks, good figure, good temper, and strong strength, how can you make everyone dislike him? And Arthur has been paying attention to Cynthia for a long time. In his home, there are still many videos of Cynthia fighting. It's a pity that 533, Cynthia doesn't publish photo books like Camisley, otherwise, the photo books in Arthur's room definitely a lot more. One thing to say, compared with model workers such as Cynthia and Camisley, Lucamine seems to be not so popular, not even as popular as Lily. Cynthia seems to have just completed the championship challenge some time ago, and she will officially become the champion of Sinnoh region, and she will also become the youngest champion of the Alliance by then. Can I go there? Arthur still wanted to meet Cynthia if possible. It's not that he is greedy for Cynthia, but for his own little guy, Gible's talent is naturally no worse than that of Yusha. Now Arthur's cultivation of Gible is quite satisfactory, and with the help of a lot of resources, it is not too bad. But if he can get some coaching from Cynthia, Gible's strength may also improve by leaps and bounds in the future. Proper training is important. This can make him a breeder Gible with half the effort. Of course, Arthur also knew that it was difficult to get advice from Cynthia, even if Cynthia had a really good temper. Of course, there is no problem, Bill Professor said with a smile. And you also have a Gible, maybe Miss Cynthia will also be interested in you. He is very grateful to Arthur. If not for Arthur, his experiment may have endangered Lucamine's safety. At that time, he must be the unlucky one. Even if he is in the whole world, he still has a good status. And he is really optimistic about Arthur. Bill Professor felt deep affection from Arthur's Pokémon and Arthur. How can someone who can form such a bond with Pokémon be a bad person? Then I'll trouble you, Arthur said hastily. I kept you waiting. Sorry, there was a traffic jam just now. When Bill Professor brought Arthur to the airport, the plane from Sinnoh region had already landed. It's not that Arthur and Bill Professor are slow sea-deck, but that the damn Saffron City is stuck in traffic. This kind of situation, which is rarely seen in other cities, happened at this moment. Therefore, when he found Cynthia and Mustard Professor in the waiting hall, he immediately expressed his apology. It's us who bothered you. Mustard Land Professor smiled and shook his head and said, It's our sudden request to study the underground world of Dasha Valley. It's very good that you can come to pick us up. On the contrary, Cynthia focused on Arthur, seeing Arthur's hair stand on end for a while. What is this young lady looking at her like this? What's the matter, Miss Cynthia? Arthur asked with a little confusion. I smell a familiar smell on your body. You also have Gible, right? Cynthia didn't play tricks but asked directly. Yes, I do have a Gible. Arthur also said seriously, This time, please ask Bill Professor to bring me here, mainly because I want him to meet Miss Cynthia's Garchomp. Know how small you are and work hard to become stronger. Meet my Garchomp. Aren't you afraid that your Gible will never recover after seeing my Garchomp? Hearing Arthur's words, Cynthia's mouth showed a faint smile. She has subconsciously regarded Arthur as a challenger and wants to witness the strength of a Pokémon. Is there anything more impressive than a battle? No, I believe in my Gible. Although it is lively and active, it wants to bite me all day long and make me a disabled person. It is a good boy and faces a powerful enemy. It won't feel discouraged. Arthur is also full of confidence in Gible. It covet becomes stronger, but it doesn't know what kind of strength it will become. Your Garchomp is the best goal. Cynthia looked at Arthur in a daze. Even Kazalan Professor and Bill Professor were silent. Is there unreserved trust between Pokémon and humans? It seems to have seen a piece of jade. In that case, let me show you your Gible. Suddenly, Cynthia's expression froze and she said in a serious tone. As a person who loves Pokémon, how can she refuse Arthur's request? But before that, she still needs to see Gible's situation. After all, Gible is a professional. Okay, hearing Cynthia's words, Arthur didn't think too much and released Gible directly. Wow. The first time Arthur let him out, Gible wanted to bite Arthur's arm for the first time. Fortunately, Arthur, who had already gotten used to it, retracted it quickly, which made Gible a little disappointed tilde a bit. Still haven't bitten. Very nice, very energetic Gible. Cynthia also bent down when she saw Gible's appearance, reaching out her hand to caress Gible. For some reason, Cynthia felt a familiar feeling in Gible, just like meeting her own Gible for the first time like before. Her Garchomp has been by her side since she was a child. She hatched from the egg step by step, and she watched it grow up. As for the Gible's egg, it was my parents who spent a lot of effort to get it. They even paid a huge price for it. If it is Normal's quasi-divine egg, it is indeed not difficult for Cynthia's family to get it, but the potential is not guaranteed. This Gible egg is special, and that Gible is now Cynthia's absolute trump card Garchomp. He was even called the strongest Garchomp in the world by many people. Cynthia naturally knew that her own Garchomp was not the strongest, but this was undoubtedly the best compliment for Garchomp. On the Gible in front of her, she saw Garchomp when she was still a Gible. Be careful, Arthur reminded hastily. My own Gible doesn't like being touched so much, although it is usually lively and playful, but its personality is not very good. But what Arthur didn't expect was that Gible didn't refuse Cynthia's touch, but showed a look of enjoyment instead. Very nice little guy, you're very little breeder, Cynthia said softly while stroking Gible's head. Your challenge, I agree, this kid doesn't look like he will be discouraged. Challenge? Arthur was a little confused. When did he challenge Cynthia? Why don't you know? Isn't it a challenge? What better way to learn about combat than Pokémon combat? Rest assured my Garchomp is gentle and kind, Cynthia said with a smile. I've seen your fighting video. Arthur's mouth twitched. You said your Garchomp is gentle and kind? Ha ha ha, this is definitely synonymous with cruelty, okay. Go ask the current Sinnoh Elite Four, how many of them were almost killed by Garchomp. Do they think your Garchomp is gentle and kind? Perhaps only Cynthia feels that her Garchomp is gentle and kind. Is that so? Cynthia didn't seem to understand Arthur's implication. Your Gible has the same potential as my Garchomp. If you want to mimic me, I don't think it's necessary. You should go out of your own way. Because of the mimic, it's hard to surpass the original. Your Gible has the potential to be the one and only. Arthur silently covered his face. He really didn't want mimic Cynthia. But since Cynthia said so, then Arthur doesn't mind letting Cynthia deepen the misunderstanding, as long as she is willing to coaching Gible. Asking for flowers. Energy is nothing to Gible now, and Arthur has also studied it. Under the help of the system's charging device, as long as there is enough sunlight, half a day of charging the black stone is enough for Gible to absorb for a week. In this regard, resources are no longer an obstacle to Gible, but there are still many skills that need to be learned, which cannot be learned just by leveling up, such as the ultimate move of the Dragon Pokémon, the Dragon Star group. Arthur didn't have that kind of contacts, so he went to find those Pokémon trainers who possessed the Dragon Star group. Even if he found them, the other 8 Samson would not be able to teach them. After all, if they are not relatives, who is willing to teach others their skills that can be used as family heirlooms? Wow, Gible tilted his head and looked at Cynthia. He didn't understand what the beautiful woman in front of him was talking about, but it seemed to make sense. Gible has a good feeling for this woman, so he decides to bite her. Gible directly opened his ferocious big mouth and grabbed Cynthia's hand that was still stroking his head. Be careful. Arthur was about to stop him, but it was too late. Gible's big mouth directly biting Cynthia's arm. At this moment, despair spread in Arthur's heart. Should he run away at this time? Gible directly bites Cynthia's arm. Isn't this arm going to be crippled? This is the champion. She is still the eldest lady of the Temple clan. And there is a group of champion Pokémon in Cynthia. If Retaliate comes out now, your own Pokémon is not rival. But what Arthur didn't expect was that Cynthia was also a ruthless person. After being bitten by Gible's big mouth, she still didn't blush or pant, but her eyes narrowed into crescent moons, and she seemed very happy. Are you all right? Arthur asked cautiously. At this moment he was a little suspicious. Did the new champion of Sinnoh awaken some special attribute? His arm was about to be bitten off, and he could still laugh. You know, Gible can easily bite off a beef leg bone at ordinary times. Usually Arthur prepared expensive molar sticks for Gible to exercise his bite strength. It's okay, it seems that it likes me too. Cynthia smiled and patted 537 on the head of Gible and said, It seems that you have not been bitten by Gible. This is their habit of expressing liking. See, it looks scary, but they won't hurt you at most. They just scratched a little skin when you couldn't control your strength when you were a child. Your Gible is very good, don't worry about this problem. I don't think normal people dare to try this. Arthur's mouth twitched. Cynthia was also a werewolf. Newly born Pokémon, neither light nor heavy. What if one accidentally exerts too much force? That means missing arms and legs. Even if you bite your head, you will die directly. Don't look at Gible looking ferocious. They are actually a very gentle Pokémon. Cynthia patted Gible on the forehead and said. Then Gible let go of Cynthia's arm, and as expected, nothing happened to Cynthia's arm. If you want to believe in your Pokémon, you can try it too. I believe the little one is still looking forward to it, Cynthia said with a smile. Arthur shook his head directly and said, No, although I am willing to believe in my Pokémon, but I already have a psychological shadow just like my Venusaur when it was young. It often used me to test its poison, which caused I have a certain resistance to poison. His Ivysaur also evolved into Venusaur 2 days ago, which is also the main reason why Arthur gave up living in the deep mountains and old forests and entered Saffron City instead. Arthur's words stunned Cynthia, Kazalan Professor and Bill Professor for a moment. They didn't know how to complain. Arthur's Pokémon are also a group of fierce Pokémon. But because of this, they all looked up to Arthur even more. Being able to allow Pokémon to poison themselves continuously is also an expression of his love for Pokémon. Bill Professor, I think you should know, where is the Pokémon battlefield? Suddenly, Cynthia changed her expression and asked Bill Professor beside her. Yes, there should be a battlefield less than a kilometer away. The Pokémon world advocates Pokémon battles, and trainers can rent a battlefield to fight as long as they pay a certain fee. Even Saffron City, where every inch of land is expensive, has many Pokémon battle venues, which are also a way for many people to relax. Thank you, Cynthia said with a smile. Under the leadership of Bill Professor, Arthur and the others soon came to the nearby battlefield. The scale here is not small. There are 6 battlefields, and there are also many people fighting in the exhibition field at the moment. Arthur very self-consciously rented a blank space, 1,000 yuan an hour, and if there is any damage he needs to pay an additional fee. It also made Arthur a little bit toothache. Sure enough, Pokémon Battle is a game of spending money. Without money, you are nothing. But think about it carefully, the price of renting a football field in the previous life was much more expensive than this battlefield. What kind of football do rich people play, young models in clubs, isn't it flattering? Go Gible. Standing on the playing field, Arthur stared at Cynthia in front of him. She deserves to be a model worker in the Pokémon world. Not only is she powerful, good-looking, fair-skinned, and long-legged, she is also very gentle, giving people a feeling of spring breeze. In this battle, even though he knew he would lose, Arthur still wanted to let Gible witness how powerful the champion-level Garchomp was. Come on, Garchomp. Cynthia also threw her own Pokémon ball, and soon a tall Garchomp appeared in front of Cynthia. Pokémon, Garchomp Strength, Champion High Level. Potential Evaluation. Quasi-God. Seeing Garchomp's evaluation, Arthur was also heartbroken, as worthy of Cynthia's Garchomp as his own Gible. Has Quasi-God talent, 0.8, and has the strength of a champion high level when Cynthia was still young. Perhaps very soon, the strength of this Garchomp will reach that of a Quasi-God, comparable to that of Professor Oak's Dragonite. In fact, what Arthur was more curious about was how strong the dandy who is known as the strongest champion is, especially the Charizard, which looks very powerful, even defeated Yulongdu. However, Arthur feels that this has a lot to do with being able to use Gigamax. Not everyone is good at using Gigamax. If he uses Mega Evolution, Dandy may not be the rival of Dew. Wow. Gible held his big mouth with both hands, tilted his head, and looked at Garchomp curiously. For some reason, he felt that Garchomp was very kind. And seeing the little guy in front of him, Garchomp also showed a kind smile, and he also felt that Gible was very kind. It's just that its kind smile fell in front of Arthur. No matter how you looked at it, it was hideous. The tall, majestic, and ferocious Garchomp, no matter how you look at it, has nothing to do with gentleness. Garchomp, this is a teaching battle, Cynthia also told Garchomp. Roar. Garchomp nodded slightly and then looked at Gible with serious eyes. Since it was a training battle, he still needed to pay attention to Drew. He liked the little brat on the opposite side, not just because the other party made him feel cordial relationship, or because it can feel that Yuan 23 Lu Shark's body contains a lot of dragon energy. Even when he was a child, he couldn't compare to Gible in front of him. Gible needs to stimulate and use all these energies. Then Gible, show us our stance, use Dragon Breath. Arthur spoke first. Wow, Gible blinked and then a beam of purple energy light gathered in Gible's mouth and bombarded directly towards Garchomp's position. When Garchomp saw Gible's attack, he remained motionless and stood still, until the moment when Dragon Breath was about to hit. He stretched out his arms in a cross shape, blocking in front of him. Stiffly the Dragon Breath was blocked, and Garchomp itself didn't seem to have any problems. The power is not bad and the time to prepare skills is also very short. Breeders is very good, Cynthia praised upon seeing this. There is a sentence that Cynthia didn't say. The preparation time for Dragon Breath is much shorter than that of her own Gible, which shows the richness of the dragon energy in Gible. It is impossible for normal dragon Pokémon to have such a strong dragon at this stage. Department of Energy. Her Garchomp didn't have it and Dew's Dragonite probably didn't have it when she was a child. If it wasn't for the fact that the other party was really a Gible, and it didn't look like Bide hadn't evolved, Cynthia would have suspected that the one standing opposite was a Gabite. Arthur raised his eyebrows when he heard the words. He was already prepared for such a result, but he didn't know why, but he felt a little uncomfortable. Just can't do it like Garchomp's understatement. The staff on the other side had cold sweat on their foreheads. At this time, they also recognized the identity of the blonde beauty in the black trench coat. The murderous Garchomp was so recognizable. Looking at the pothole about 2 meters wide in front of him, Gible didn't feel the slightest bit of fear. Instead, he looked at Garchomp with starry eyes. If he had such a strong strength, he might be the boss of his team. Obviously, Miss Cynthia is so gentle, beautiful, and kind that she even asked Garchomp to come off the field to give advice to Gible. Maybe she is the kind of person who refuses to admit defeat in her bones, whether it is a friendly match or a perish. As everyone knows, Arthur and Gible's performance has already amazed others, and being able to use Dragon Breath in front of Garchomp is already very rare for Gible. And Gible's current strength is still very weak. At this time, the trainers on the other battlegrounds were also attracted by the situation here and couldn't help swallowing. Could this be an elite or a champion Pokémon? Just what is this woman doing in the Kanto region? You must know that in the Sinnoh Region Championship Challenge that just ended some time ago, Cynthia easily defeated Sinnoh Elite Four, and no Elite Four could even defeat Cynthia's third Pokémon. Wow. Thinking of this, Gible moved his short legs and ran up to Garchomp in a hurry, looking at Garchomp eagerly as if humbly asking for advice. Challenge the Elite Four on their side. This woman is pretty, but she is too cruel and cruel when fighting. Boom. Under the effect of this dragon breath, the dust flew up instantly and the whole ground began to shake crazily. Facing Garchomp's dragon breath, Arthur was not surprised or flustered. Garchomp didn't use all his strength and his own Volcarona could also use such an attack. Roar. Accompanied by Garchomp's roar, Garchomp raised his head to gather energy, and then directly spit out the blue energy of dragon breath, and a huge beam of energy fell directly not far in front of Gible. There is nothing wrong with Gible. Garchomp's attack is intentionally missed, but for the site maintenance fee, I'm afraid I will have to spend money to eliminate the disaster. In the future, perhaps Arthur and his Gible might become rivals to Cynthia and her Garchomp. Garchomp, we also use Dragon Breath, remember to miss, Cynthia then said to Garchomp. As the smoke cleared, Gible's figure appeared in front of everyone again. Gible's familiar look made Arthur feel embarrassed for a while. How could he say such a thing directly? No matter how good-tempered and informal Cynthia is, it's impossible for Salacin to teach her. Arthur had already prepared to take the time to figure it out. Cynthia has almost no flaws in battle, but Arthur knows that Cynthia has a weakness that is not considered a weakness. That is, he likes to eat ice cream, and this happens to be what Arthur is best at. The most delicious spring ice cream, guaranteed to satisfy Cynthia. When the time comes to satisfy Cynthia, is it still a problem to teach your own Gible? And during the period of contact with Cynthia, he just needs to behave a little bit more well-behaved. Then when Cynthia is soft-spoken, it shouldn't be a problem to teach him more or less, right? It's just Gible's behavior that broke Arthur's plan. However, what he didn't expect was that, facing Gible's request, Garchomp stretched out his arm and patted Gible's head. Not only did he not refuse, but he accepted it, expressing his willingness to accept such a little brother. Looks like Garchomp likes your Gible, Cynthia said with a smile. She doesn't have the power of Wave Guide, and she doesn't have the power of Perpetual Rock, but as a Pokémon she gets along with day and night, Cynthia can roughly understand Garchomp's meaning. In this regard, she did not refuse and to teach others for no reason. At most, it is just to give advice. How much she can learn depends on the luck and understanding of the other party. But if Garchomp wants to teach Gible, Cynthia will not refuse, let alone besides her senses for Arthur and Gible are quite good. She also hopes that Gible can get the best growing environment. Maybe it's because they are all Gible, Arthur said after thinking about it. At this time, there was no need to continue the fight. No matter how you looked at it was impossible to fight, and the things I had calculated before had become futile, but things were moving in the best direction. In Bill Professor's villa, Bill Professor, Mustard Lane Professor, and Sinnoh champion Cynthia are sitting together enjoying the dinner made by Arthur. In order to get closer, Arthur suggested that he cook for a few people. Although they had never eaten the food made by Arthur, they did not refuse. What delicacies did they not eat? Cynthia and Kale Professor, who were tired from the flight from Sinnoh, did not refuse Arthur's kindness, and Bill Professor provided Arthur with the kitchen. However, they did not expect that Arthur's cooking skills really exceeded their imagination. I really didn't expect Arthur to cook so well. This is already the most delicious food I have ever eaten, Bill Professor said in disbelief. He can also be regarded as a world-class rich man. The Pokémon transmission system alone has already made him a lot of money. He has also eaten countless delicacies, but he did not expect that Arthur, who was not particularly expecting the food, however, is so delicious. Indeed, the food that Arthur cooks is the most delicious I have ever eaten. Cynthia also nodded seriously. I just don't know if Arthur cooks the ice cream what will happen. If Arthur can make delicious ice cream for himself, she will never mind teaching Arthur, helping his Gible training to become a mega powerhouse. Of course, it's definitely not because she covets the deliciousness of Arthur's food. Is she Cynthia like that? It was the emotion between Arthur and his Pokémon that moved her. Well, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Even the mustard professor is constantly looking at Arthur at the moment. He is young and handsome. Although he is not strong, he has potential. He is a person who loves Pokémon and life. He can cook such delicious food. He is also a man who can take care of others. The only shortcoming is that she is too young, 5 years younger than her own Nana. As long as you like it, Arthur said with a smile. If it weren't for the mustard professor and Bill professor here, the food he made would definitely overwhelm Cynthia. Lucamine's behavior before left him with a deep memory. Although Cynthia is also a strong-willed person, what is wrong with Lucamine? I also specially made ice cream, but I have to wait for 2 hours before I can eat it. Nuo to how, Arthur said with another meaningful look at Cynthia. Really? Cynthia's eyes lit up when she heard that. She was already looking forward to the taste of ice cream. Arthur, can I have a look at the Pokémon food you made? Suddenly, Kazalan professor asked. Yes. Arthur didn't refuse and directly took out the food that is usually used as a snack for Eevee. Several people turned their gazes over one after another, and Mustard Professor took out a piece of biscuit and chewed it, and then his eyes lit up. No wonder your Pokémon is so good by your breeder, so you are still a Pokémon bred home. This Pokémon cookie is the best I've ever seen. So that's the case. Cynthia didn't hold back either and took out a biscuit and chewed it. God, is this really Pokémon food? Why does she feel like the food she ate before is no different from the main food? How can I not compare to Arthur's Pokémon? Thinking of this, Cynthia's gaze at Arthur also became strange. What should I do? I really want to bring him back to Sinnoh. Now she has also confirmed why Arthur's Pokémon is so good by breeder. If other people's Pokémon can eat this kind of food every day plus some natural materials and earth treasures, they can also grow up. A Pokémon breeder? I'm sorry, I'm not. Arthur also shook his head slightly. I just want to give the little ones the best treatment. While saying this, he didn't forget to stroke Eevee's head. And this time, Eevee was also rare without being arrogant, allowing Arthur to rub his head in front of outsiders. Obviously, after hearing Arthur's words, Eevee was also moved. It seems that Arthur has done more for them than they imagined. 917, and they must train harder in the future to improve their strength. Hearing Arthur's words, Cynthia and the others also showed a hint of a smile. They are all people who love Pokémon. Now that they hear Arthur say this, and they can all feel that this is true emotion, how can it make them dissatisfied? While waiting for the ice cream, Cynthia also began to give Arthur some advice on how to train Gible, and Kazalan Professor and Bill Professor didn't bother them and started chatting about ancient Pokémon. Time passed without knowing it, and Arthur brought Cynthia's long-awaited ice cream. In order to prevent Cynthia's difficulty in choosing again, Arthur only prepared matcha-flavored ice cream for Cynthia. It's also his usual favorite flavor. Is it matcha? Cynthia picked up the spoon CDDG and took a sip. It's really delicious, the best I've ever had. Then came Stuffed Cheeks, who didn't care. Seeing his granddaughter's appearance like this, the Mustard Land Professor also showed a wry smile. Sorry my granddaughter is like this, but she is not like this usually. Maybe the ice cream you made is so delicious. Thank you for the compliment. Arthur chuckled. I think it's my honor. Arthur didn't expect that his Help Rocket team found the underground world of Dasha Valley and took all those ancient Pokémon away, which would attract Cynthia, and he met Cynthia by mistake and got her give pointers. Sure enough, kind people are always lucky. Since Gible is already teaching, it is no problem for other Pokémon to teach, right? When Arthur left Bill Professor's house and went to the hotel, he also managed to get a call from Cynthia and a promise to teach himself. And the only price was to make at least one ice cream every month and send it to Cynthia. I don't think I will ever forget this deliciousness in my life. Cynthia said while eating, the things I promised you before may have to change. I can teach you the breeder Gible, but you have to make ice cream for me. This scene stunned the man and the other apprentices in the gymnasium for an instant. Such a lot of strength. Is this kid still human? This is really nothing to Arthur overall. Arthur still makes a lot of money. After a good night's rest in the hotel, Arthur also went to the Saffron Gym. It seems that the people here are a little confused. Many of the people in the Sabrina Gym are psychic apprentices. If you practice too much psychic, you are prone to mental illness. I recommend my friend Lily's novel, Resurrection. I'm really not a magician. If you are interested, you can read it. Personally, it seems that among all the champions, Cynthia's Pokémon lineup seems to be the most complete and reasonable. Hello, I'm here to challenge the gym. At the door, Arthur could clearly feel that the atmosphere inside seemed to be a bit wrong. Okay, there was a slight smile on the corner of Arthur's mouth. It seemed that his plan was successful. Ice cream foreign policy success. Challenge the gym. The leading man glanced at Arthur, and another guy who was overbearing came and he took out a spoon directly. You can challenge Lord Sabrina, but you have to just break this spoon. Fortunately, I didn't put in too much effort, otherwise Cynthia might cry now. Twisted the spoon. Arthur took the spoon, raised his eyebrows, pinched the handle of the spoon directly, pressed his thumb on it, and with a little force he successfully twisted the whole spoon. As for Cynthia and Mustard Professor, they followed Bill Professor to the Dasha Valley, and that was their real purpose of coming to the Kanto region this time. And Cynthia's powerful Pokémon is not just Garchomp, her other Pokémon are also very powerful, such as Pokémon like Lucario. Seeing the stunned appearance of the apprentices in the gymnasium, Arthur also showed a slight smile. Is it really rare and strange? Is he very strong? For normal people it must be very big, but compared with Ash, the current Arthur is still much worse. That guy is the real hanger with a huge waveguide power, but fortunately Ash's waveguide power, it seems that normal has been fixed, and there is no growth in the slightest after several meetings. Unlike Arthur, the power of the waveguide is constantly growing. Like this special exercise spoon for psychic, doesn't Arthur just pinch it, no pressure at all? This is already a god man in the eyes of others. You're great, you can break a spoon, but you can't beat Sabrina-sama. The staff member saw this scene but put down his harsh words. Take me there. Arthur's mouth twitched, but he didn't mean to argue with the other party. After all, for this group of psychopaths, Sabrina is indeed their spiritual pillar. Under his leadership, Arthur finally met the gymnasium master of Saffron City, and she was sitting on the huge golden seat at this moment, looking at Arthur disdainfully. As expected of the gymnasium owner of Saffron City, even if the seat is not pure gold, it is at least gold-plated. Ah, this damn rich man. Through the power of the waveguide, Arthur could clearly feel that the opponent's psychic stopped on his body, obviously scanning him with the psychic. It's just that, unlike the schizophrenic patient in the original animation plot, Sabrina here is not so ugly. After all, when I was a child in the previous life, Sabrina and the woman who drove the Devil Commander with the four-wheel drive brother were really silly and unclear. The Sabrina here, on the contrary, looks a bit like the Sabrina in the later reset version, and it also looks like the Sabrina in the special chapter. The good looks are absolutely appropriate. Coupled with the cold and arrogant personality, it is indeed very attractive, which also won a lot of support for Sabrina. However, the Sabrina in front of him seemed to be somewhat different from the Sabrina he had heard about. As for the difference, Arthur couldn't tell. He just thought that what he heard was believing what he saw. Suddenly, a smile appeared on the corner of Sabrina's mouth. Interesting ability. It seems that you are also a person with special ability. I can't use psychic to spy on your heart. Isn't this impolite? Arthur frowned. Well, his previous thought was indeed wrong. This woman is still that crazy woman, a normal woman who would use psychic to spy on others at every turn, even if it's peeping, and I won't say it openly. Sabrina didn't care about Arthur's words at all and said, politeness is not polite, it's just to restrain normal people. Are you here to challenge the gym? Yes. Arthur nodded slightly. Then you should know the rules of my gym, right? Sabrina showed a playful smile. If you lose to me, you will become a doll. If you can do it. Arthur chuckled, not to mention that he is a user of waveguide power. When it really came to a last resort, he doubted very much that Volcarona and Jengar would come out to save the Lord. The time has come for Natu to become rich, asking for flowers. Although Sabrina is considered to be a woman who has the potential to become an elite Pokémon, Abra looking at the system's evaluation of Abra, Arthur's eyes are also slightly squinted. Is he only using the elite mid-level Abra? Sabrina picked up the Pokéball and threw it towards the playing field, and she also floated up, slowly drifting towards the playing field. After speaking, Sabrina also tapped the button on the seat, and a Pokémon ball rose from the armrest of the seat, confirming that it is indeed not pure gold. At that time, the strength of this Pokémon will not only be elite mid-level, but also have the blessing of Sabrina's own psychic comparable to elite psychic Pokémon. Do you really think that Sabrina's family has no influence? Then let me see what you're capable of. Sabrina chuckled lightly. The competition rules are 1v1, only one Pokémon is used. However, Sabrina's Pokémon is different from normal's Pokémon. It is said that she has Assist's own psychic, which allows Pokémon to evolve temporarily. But the current Sabrina, after all, is just a gym master with potential, and her strength is indeed not bad, and that special psychic is also highly valued by Alliance. Strength. Elite mid-level, ask for flowers, ask for a monthly ticket, ask for an automatic subscription, please. Many people say that Sabrina Psychic is the #1 in the world. Here, she is currently the #1 in the world that she can control. However, I personally feel that Catlia is stronger. After all, it's the gym master who can control Psychic and directly become Elite 4, and I think Catlia looks better. 1. If there is no influence behind Sabrina, she will challenge the loser and become a doll thing. Why didn't Alliance come to punishment her? If there is no power behind Sabrina, how can she become a gymnasium owner in Saffron City, the largest city in the Kanto region? Potential. Elite, this is simply a natural bug. Among the currently known Psychic, I am afraid that only the eldest lady of Sinnoh can compare with Sabrina. Unfortunately, the Psychic of that eldest lady is too violent, and she wants to go berserk from time to time. It is impossible to control it all, otherwise this power would be above Sabrina. Sabrina's Pokémon should not be underestimated, but Arthur is not too scared. Since the opponent is Abra, then it is you, Alakazam. Just kidding, he doesn't want to be turned into a doll by Sabrina. If he is defeated by Sabrina, he can't guarantee that he won't be turned into a doll without revealing his identity and strength. Looking at the Alakazam released by Arthur, Sabrina's beautiful eyes flickered slightly. Very good Alakazam, very interesting, actually using Alakazam in front of me. Sabrina's Psychic is very powerful, and her Abra is also very special. Sabrina has developed her own 963 application from the inheritance received from her father. If it is only used for the Abra family, Sabrina, it can definitely be ranked among the top 3 in the world. Of course, because she became an autistic child at a very young age, and later became the gymnasium owner of Saffron City, Sabrina has never traveled, but she still has no shortage of talented Pokémon. Among them, Abra is not the most talented, but it is the most Earl Dervish Pokémon, and it is also the one that Sabrina relies on the most. Now Arthur uses the Alakazam to fight in front of him, which makes Sabrina both angry and funny. But since this is the case, let's see if Arthur is qualified to use this Alakazam. I saw a trace of blue light flashed in Sabrina's eyes, and then Abra's figure began to change. Under the wrapping of the light of evolution, he quickly turned into young Jira, and then there was no trace of it. What was stagnant was another change, a rapid change towards Alakazam. Is it really possible to evolve in 2 stages? Arthur showed a clear look, but he also clearly felt that Sabrina's Psychic had a lot of consumption. Obviously, in order for Abra to evolve into Alakazam for a short time, Sabrina needs to consume a lot of Psychic. There are so many Psychic, even enough to squeeze dry the sum of all Psychic in this gym except Sabrina. It is also thanks to Sabrina's huge Psychic that it can withstand such consumption. If it were changed to a normal human, I am afraid it would have been drained long ago. At the same time, Arthur is also puzzled. Why can Sabrina's Abra change back to its original appearance? You must know that for normal Pokémon, evolution is irreversible. It can't be because Sabrina thinks Abra is cuter, right? The feeling of carrying a child with you is different from carrying a grandpa with you. And after Sabrina completely evolved Abra into Alakazam, the opponent's strength also changed drastically. In a short period of time, Abra's strength was raised to the middle level of the gym. Sabrina is really a H******R. Alakazam use Calm Mind. Taking advantage of the evolution of Sabrina's Abra, Arthur also responded quickly and let Alakazam perform Calm Mind. I kept you waiting, let's start the battle. Sabrina's face still didn't show the slightest sign of fatigue, even though she had consumed a lot of Psychic before. After returning home yesterday, I sent out the saved manuscript. Because I drove back and forth for more than 3 hours and I didn't take a nap, I was a little tired, so I went to sleep directly after taking a shower. There was no code word and I woke up. It was past 9 o'clock and this one was coded after I got up in the morning. Now I really don't even have any manuscript saved. Is Alakazam's confusion so powerful? No, not only Alakazam's own confusion, but also Sabrina's Psychic blessing. Arthur was about to curse this. Sabrina simply didn't talk about martial arts. Alakazam, we also use Cybem. Arthur saw that Professor Who was fine, so he continued. Fortunately, this is just Cybem, and Professor Who was not confused by Cybem. At this time, they are already using their full strength to fight. Otherwise, this battle may be very difficult. At the same time, Arthur was no longer in a hurry and instead directed Who Professor to fight through the power of Waveguide. The following battle suddenly entered into a fierce contest condition. The 2 trainers did not seem to command their Pokémon 5-8, but they knew each other on the opposite side. Alakazam released a surge of Psychic to block Cybem. However, what he didn't expect was that Sabrina was not a serious person. Although she didn't speak when the battle started, Sabrina's Alakazam had already made an action. A Cybem was aimed at Professor Who lazing over here. The battle has already begun. Alakazam, use Reflect, Arthur said directly. As expected of the owner of Psychic, he is cunning and vicious. Arthur also learned today. Sabrina glanced at Arthur thoughtfully. Arthur was the first guy to fight with her, but she didn't know what effect his special ability would have. Could it be that the tortoise who bullied her family has not fully grown up yet? Believe it or not, wait until your Kung Fu turtle evolves into Blastoise, and then give Blastoise the blessing of Wave Guide, directly blowing up your Saffron Gym. Not to mention the use of Psychic to control the evolution of Abra Alakazam, and now it is also blessing Alakazam through Psychic. It directly hit Professor Who was still using Reflect. Seeing this scene, Arthur directly exclaimed, how despicable. On the battle arena, Professor Who and Alakazam were constantly confronting each other. All kinds of psychic skills were flying across the battle arena all of a sudden. The other spectators watching the scene were stunned. This man's Alakazam was not inferior at all. Alakazam, owner of Sabrina. The two were evenly matched. Of course, what surprised them the most was that apart from Sabrina, Arthur also fought silently. This is simply incredible. Even Sabrina rarely sees such a battle. She can clearly feel that Arthur is different from herself. Even if they have special abilities, they are definitely not psychic. Sabrina is very curious about what Arthur's special ability is, so she also wants to observe it during the battle. Although Arthur's special ability is not very large, it does not seem to be inferior to psychic in essence. At least if he wants to peek into Arthur's heart, there is not much he can do. As the battle time increased, Sabrina also more or less understood the special nature of Arthur's magical power. Your own Psychic can connect with Psychic Pokémon to temporarily increase the strength of these Psychic Pokémon. But Arthur's situation seems to be different. He can also conduct silent commands with Pokémon, and it seems that he cannot temporarily improve the strength of Pokémon. It is also possible that the Pokémon chosen is different, and it may have an effect on other Pokémon. However, it seemed that the Alakazam on the opposite side was depleting much slower than he expected. To be precise, Alakazam was still recovering his physical strength quickly when he was fighting his own Alakazam. If his Alakazam has his own Psychic as a charge treasure that can last longer, then Arthur's special ability is at least the type of solar charge panel. Although the charge speed is not fast, it can't stand to absorb and convert solar energy. Just as Sabrina thought, Arthur's waveguide power does have a certain effect of helping to restore physical strength. But unfortunately, it can't achieve the same effect as when Xiao Huang used the power of Viridian, and can only slowly restore his own Pokémon's physical strength. But use it slowly, it is still possible to fight a protracted war. As the battle continued, the original Saffron Gymnasium, the incomparably hard playing field, was now full of potholes. Gym-level Pokémon are the absolute backbone of the entire world. Most Gymnasium trainer, the main force of Pokémon is actually this strength. Her sudden teleport this time also made Future Sight miss this time. In theory, skills like Future Sight cannot be avoided, but I can't stand the teleport used by the opponent. Only after using the teleport this time, Sabrina's complexion also became paler and paler. Gradually, Sabrina and her Alakazam couldn't hold on anymore. Although Sabrina has a lot of Psychic, they can't withstand such consumption. It can be said that her Alakazam at this time not only can't help her fight, but has even begun to drag her legs. This time, even if Sabrina wanted to use the teleport again, she couldn't do it anymore. The destructive death light finally fell on Alakazam, completely making the opponent lose his fighting ability, and his body shape degenerated into the original Abra's appearance. "You're losing," Arthur chuckled suddenly. Sabrina's face changed slightly when she heard this, and she hurriedly commanded Alakazam to carry out a teleport. Psychic, who was originally hidden in the midair, crashed down. This was the Future Sight that Arthur specially prepared for Alakazam before. But it's different now. Don't look at Sabrina's continuous supply of Psychic to Alakazam, but this kind of Psychic is not only to make Alakazam fight, but also to maintain Abra's contest condition in Alakazam, which is a huge consumption of Sabrina's Psychic of. "Look, I won." As Arthur's words fell, a huge beam of energy burst out from Professor Who's chest, and fell on the opposite Alakazam. As the battle progressed, Sabrina became panting and pale, and Arthur's contest condition was not particularly good, but compared to Sabrina, his consumption was much smaller and he didn't need to rub the aura sphere himself. That's enough for most crises. As for Sabrina, because of Alakazam's loss of fighting ability, her face became paler and her whole body became precarious, as if she might fall at any time when the wind blows. Her psychic is indeed very powerful, even ranking among the top 3 in the world. If Sabrina were to fight by herself, she might be able to display a strength not inferior to her Alakazam. If it were a normal person, he would have died of mental exhaustion long ago. But Sabrina still looked worriedly at the disabled Abra, looked at it nervously and walked towards it. In the normal gym challenge, Gym Trainer Normal will not use gym-level Pokémon. You are too arrogant when you are fighting with others. Even your psychic is not enough to make it continue to evolve contest condition, and go to Sabrina staggered to Abra's side. And after finding that it was only injured and nothing serious, she also breathed a sigh of relief but facing Arthur's words. She just looked at Arthur coldly and said, "What are you doing? I don't even know, it can't evolve forever because of me." Arthur was a little silent when he heard the words, couldn't he evolve? Such Pokémon are actually not particularly rare. These Pokémon are not like Ash's Pokémon who are unwilling to evolve but really unable to evolve. Some of them are due to injuries. These Pokémon are much more miserable. Obviously, Sabrina's Abra is also unable to evolve due to some special reasons. At most, it can only evolve briefly under Sabrina's help. It's no wonder why Sabrina likes to fight with Abra. Most Pokémon Earl Dervish contest condition will progress slowly after reaching a certain strength. Evolution is needed to continue to rapidly improve strength. Abra's strength has long been able to evolve, but he still maintains the current contest condition. If it evolves, it may reach the high level of Gymnasium or even the strength of Elite. Not every Pokémon like Arthur's Eevee and Ash Pikachu. At that time, with the blessing of Sabrina Psychic, the current Arthur is definitely not rival. With Sabrina's conditions, it is enough to find a Pokémon to replace Abra, but she still uses Abra to fight, and many people even think of Sabrina, in addition to her terrifying psychic, she also has her Abra. "Sorry, I don't know," Arthur said apologetically. He really didn't know about Abra's situation, otherwise he wouldn't have said such words. At the same time, it also gave Arthur a new understanding of Sabrina. This woman who looks indifferent on the outside actually cares about Pokémon, especially Abra. Sabrina took out a saffron badge and threw it towards Arthur. "You won this battle, this is the saffron badge, you can leave now." Arthur took the saffron badge and sighed silently as if he had offended him. However, there seems to be nothing wrong, after all, he has nothing to do with Sabrina. Although she is beautiful, it seems that she can't be casual. After all, it is impossible for Arthur to stay in Saffron City for a long time, and it is impossible for Sabrina to leave the gym, unless she stops being a gym trainer. As some people said, handing over the gymnasium to other people is okay to do this kind of thing once in a while, but it is absolutely impossible to do it for a long time. He also doesn't think he can get Sabrina in a short time, so there is no need to care about the relationship between the two parties. Just one leucemine already made Arthur feel tired. If he had time to find Sabrina, he might as well find Cynthia. At least Cynthia has a definite weakness, but Sabrina... Arthur didn't know why Sabrina's Abra couldn't evolve, but presumably it was also because of a special injury, maybe it was caused by Sabrina. Even if there is a weakness, it seems that it has nothing to do with one's own expertise. Even if there are some things that he must do, he must have enough strength to crush the opponent. Arthur didn't know Sabrina's thoughts and experiences, so he could only say, "Fate, it's amazing. Okay, isn't it the gym? At worst, the Rainbow Gym will let you challenge." Arthur said with a smile. They can help themselves to rescue Abra, but they must join them. After getting the saffron badge, Arthur felt somewhat lost, and he was not relieved by getting the badge. There are still many tragic things in this world, and Sabrina has always lived in guilt and pain. She refused before, but now Sabrina's heart is moved, and she must help Abra recover no matter what. Seeing the back of Arthur turning away, Sabrina looked at Abra in her arms again with a complicated look on her face. She remembered the man's invitation when the man told her. There are really no manuscripts left, alas. If there are manuscripts saved, there is no need for such hard work. I miss the days when there were manuscripts saved. If this continues, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. When traveling in the wild, there will be dangers, and Pokémon will be injured or even die. If the injury is not treated in time, it may leave an incurable dark wound, which is extremely troublesome. Eevee, let's get ready and go to Rainbow City tomorrow. After thinking for a while, Arthur said to Eevee on his shoulder, "There is no rest at all, OTT. Oh, it seems that my own strength is still not enough. In order to make my Pokémon safer, I still cannot do dangerous things in the future, and at the same time try to improve the strength of my Pokémon kings. Fortunately, my Pokémon have not encountered such problems for the time being. Otherwise, I'm afraid I will be like this too. By A/3 degrees. Eevee turned his head away. It was still angry that Arthur didn't let him challenge the gym. Thank you. Arthur took the badge, turned around and left directly. Bye-bye. Eevee kept calling, as if telling Arthur that if he didn't let him play next time, he would be angry. Okay. Arthur also felt helpless for a while. His Pokémon have been working hard to become stronger, not only for themselves but also for Arthur. They all want to fight for Arthur. Similarly, the little ones also want to know how their own strength is through fighting. The normal trainer can't make them show their true strength at all, so the gym trainer is the best. Good choice. Arthur doesn't like Saffron City very much. It's a typical big city style. But in comparison, Arthur prefers a city like Tokyo City that is suitable for living. There is no busy pace of life, and the road will not move at all, just traffic jam. When you want to train Pokémon, you can also go to the nearby forest at any time to exercise Pokémon. Arthur doesn't like skyscrapers very much. At first glance, these skyscrapers look good, but after you get tired of looking at them, you will feel that the rural life is more family. Perhaps this is exactly what happened to Professor Oak. In the middle of the night, Arthur was preparing for rest in the hotel. When he suddenly heard the sound of a bang explosion coming from a distance, he looked out through the floor-to-ceiling windows and only saw the landmark building of Saffron City, the Shilluff building, which is currently there was thick smoke, especially on the highest floors. And even a fire broke out. Someone is attacking the Huruff group. Arthur's eyes flickered slightly. Thinking of this kind of thing, he immediately thought of the Rockets. After all, the relationship between the Rockets and Huruff is not very good. Although the Rockets were an evil force under the hands of the Huruff group at the beginning, as the Rockets became bigger and stronger, they gradually separated from the Huruff group. Taking control, they also stabbed the Rockets in the back. If it weren't for Giovanni's outstanding ability, I am afraid that the current Rockets would have already disappeared. Over the years, the relationship between the Rockets and the Huruff group has been very contradictory. It seems that there has been a lot of cooperation. Giovanni put everything down, and Giovanni even bought some shares in the Huruff group, but Arthur knew that Giovanni was not like that people. Now that the Sheriff building was attacked, Arthur immediately thought of the Rockets. Looking at the Sheriff building burning with raging flames, Arthur took out his Pokémon watch, hesitated for a moment and put it down. Instead, he put on the mask directly, turned into a Fae, let Jengar take him and left the current Pokémon watch. Own hotel. In the Golden Gym, Sabrina was also woken up by the sudden explosion. Her mind froze. Did she act so soon? She had already discussed with that person before, and she was willing to join the Rockets, but the other side needed help to study the method of treating Abra by herself. Abra is her Earl Dervish Pokémon. In her lonely childhood, only Abra was with her. For Sabrina, Abra is her family, which is much more important than her team of irresponsible parents. When she was still young, she found a way for Psychic to promote the evolution of Psychic Pokémon in the cheat books at home, so she did an experiment with Abra when she was still unskilled. It's just that that experiment has become Sabrina's eternal pain. Her Abra has indeed evolved, but because of her immaturity, the strong CDCI evolution caused problems at the source, and then she returned Abra's contest condition. Team Rocket, are you really going to burn Jade and Stone together? An old man looked at a middle-aged man in front of him full of anger and roared as a raging flame was burning on the top floor of Shilluff building. You know, this is just a Beedrill. It's just that the man's reward is too important to him. But when facing this Beedrill, they were defeated without any suspense. It moved Sabrina's heart, not to mention what the boy said today. He didn't understand the situation, but there was one sentence. Arthur was right. He was too arrogant. If it wasn't for his arrogance and recklessness back then, Abra would not will become like this. For the Rockets, she was neither alienated nor friendly. No matter what your purpose is, just don't make trouble with me. At this moment, he is showing his original face in front of the other party. Over the years, she has been living in pain, looking for a way to cure Abra and also using Abra to fight. Other Pokémon cannot replace Abra's position in her heart. There is still a lot of blood on it, obviously left over from the previous defeat of those Pokémon. After thinking about it for a while, Sabrina was moved. At the same time, she also learned that the other party will take action today, and she doesn't need to pretend that she doesn't know. He will arrange someone to act for her, and then she only needs to paddle. As for the Pokémon defeated by it, there are many powerful Pokémon, Nidoqueen at the elite level, Arcanine at the elite level, and a Bangira at the champion level. Beside them, there are still many scenes of Pokémon fighting. At this moment, several powerful Pokémon have fallen on the ground and lost their fighting ability. There are hideous blood holes on it. It seems that you haven't recognized the situation clearly. Jade can indeed be burned, but stones won't burn, Sakamoto said in an extremely cold tone. Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for automatic subscriptions, please. Who would have imagined that there would be such a ferocious beedrill in this world? The dead can't speak at this moment, he has decided to kill. And beside the middle-aged man, there is a beedrill. The spikes on its hands are extremely ferocious and terrifying. Even after that, it can no longer evolve. By the way, I'll show you something interesting. Suddenly, Giovanni clapped his hands and then saw two members of Team Rocket escorting a young man over. The teenager's face was full of fear and worry, and his pants were still wet, obviously being astonished. Looking at this boy's appearance, Giovanni's eyes flashed a trace of disgust. He really is a waste. Compared with his own nephew, he is far worse than his own nephew. What about the trainer with the most potential in the past 3 years? It's not a waste. This reputation was bought by Timeo's money tilde. No, maybe those media in order to please the Shilluf group so as to flaunt the other side and such news. The possibility of error is extremely small. After all, this is the young master of the Shilluf group. The resources in his hands are countless, as long as it is not too much. With the resources of the Shilluf family, no matter what, you can give him a group of god Pokémon, right? For the Shilluf family, all things that can be solved with money are nothing. They can find the best Pokémon breeder for this person, and they can spend a lot of effort to find those Pokémon with outstanding talents, and then spend a lot of money. For resources, turn those Pokémon breeders up. However, now this so-called genius was vulnerable in front of their rockets, and he was captured without much effort. Aining, the chairman of the Shilluf group, was horrified when he saw this young man. This is his only grandson. If something happened to him, then the Shilluf family would have no successors. Although the Zalufu family is not small and there are countless collateral descendants, but the real relatives are the return. If something happened to him, what would he do in the future? Are you going to have a few more? And he also knew that it was absolutely impossible for the man in front of him to keep them alive. Shirofu Zishu, now your only relative is in our hands. Do you regret it? Giovanni's eyes became extremely cold and he said icily, "Don't touch him, Anning is innocent." Zalufu Zishu, the chairman of the Zalufu group and an old man who usually controls the lives of hundreds of thousands of people, was also panicked at this moment. Innocent. Isn't my mother innocent? Isn't my brother innocent? Giovanni's tone was a bit crazy. My mother founded the Rockets back then and she worked hard for you, but what about you? Because my mother's beauty was jealous of your wife in order to prove your innocence. You sold my mother's information to Alliance and even backstabbed her in the end. My brother, a peace-loving man, never got involved in the Rockets' mess. He was just covet to bring real peace to the world. And finally, the one you egged him on to go find some ideal dragon and finally unite with the Alliance attacked him. You say, are they innocent? In my opinion, none of you are innocent, including your grandson. He knows the gifted Pokémon of Snatch because of his wealth, power, and even the 2 breeders you found for him were even killed. He was R*****D by force. Do you think I will believe it? Shirofu Zishu looked at Giovanni coldly and said, "Come over and have a look, but you also know a lot, if you don't mind letting me deal with one of these 2 people," Arthur said lightly. But for Arthur's request, Giovanni did not refuse. "Wait a minute, I still have one important thing, I haven't got it yet." After finishing speaking, he turned his eyes to Shirofu Zishu. "Hand over the Master Ball and I can consider letting your grandson's life go." As for frustration to others, is this considered frustration to others? What he eliminates is a scumbag. And you have known my identity for a long time, but you have not revealed my true identity to the Alliance people. But you are trying to use this to control me, use this to control the Rockets. You think I will not stay your life. It's something Giovanni can never forgive. "Afei, why are you here?" Giovanni frowned slightly and asked. "Asking for flowers." "Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for automatic subscriptions, please, mouth." Giovanni's eyes are full of hatred. He thinks he is not a good person, but the hatred of killing his own mother and his younger brother. He recognized Arthur's identity, not because he really analyzed the other's identity, but because he remembered many things about Arthur very clearly. When he really saw Arthur, Giovanni also showed a little surprise. If he hadn't known the truth earlier, he might not be able to recognize Arthur's identity. What is this mask made of? His reaction made Giovanni stunned for a moment. It seems that this kid already knew his identity, but he thought he was hiding it well. But now is not the time to pursue these things. It is precisely because of Alliance's inaction that even if these people do something that angers others, no one will care about them, causing them to do things even more recklessly. Regarding Arthur's mask, Makoto had already reported to him. So there's such a thing. At this moment, a figure broke through the French window beside it, and the huge Aerodactyl landed not far from them. HMPH. Giovanni also snorted coldly when he saw Shirofu Zishu. Giovanni had already expected his choice. Now the rockets are also searching for the trace of Master Ball. It's not that I don't have much interest in Master Ball technology, but that the materials used to make Master Balls are extremely special. It can be said that the Master Ball of the Huruf group is unique, even if it is the Huruf group that wants to make a new one, is almost impossible. It contains the power left over from the time when Arceus created the world. Master Ball. Arthur murmured, I know where it is. What? At this moment, Giovanni's entire Zero people were shocked. He knew that Arthur was not a person who talked casually, and since he said that, he really knew where the Master Ball was. Shilufu Zishu showed a slight sneer because Shikyu, you are the only one in the whole world who knows where the Master Ball is. This is your own life-saving thing. Although the Master Ball cannot forcibly subdue the legendary Pokémon, it can also accommodate the power of the legendary Pokémon. If it is traded with the Alliance, it can play an unimaginable role. I saw Arthur chuckled and walked slowly to the not far from Shirufixishu and stopped there, but this made Shirufixishu terrified. How does this guy know? Arthur squatted down, knocked on the wooden board and said to Aerodactyl, come on, give this place a destructive deathlight. No, Hirufu Zishu hurriedly shouted. It's just that before he finished his words, Aerodactyl spewed out a terrifying ray of light, instantly blasting a big hole in the wooden board. Even after the beam of light blasted through a floor, it continued to move downwards. Go through the hole. However, Giovanni, who has been paying attention to this place, clearly saw that when Aerodactyl destroyed the dead light and pierced through the floor, a Pokémon ball also appeared for a moment. He immediately made a gesture to Beedrill, and Beedrill raised his hands and understanding the sharp thorns pierced through the floor and quickly drilled down. Giovanni is sure that is the Master Ball, but don't worry, it was destroyed by Aerodactyl. If the Master Ball is so easy to destroy, then it's not worth making a special trip. If it can't even withstand Aerodactyl's attack, how can it withstand Mutewo's Power Emperor? Then goodbye Shirufu Zishu, Giovanni said with a cold tone while holding the Master Ball in his hand. It is still said that the Black Stone is an important prop for making a Master Ball, but even if the Black Stone is an important prop for making a Master Ball, Arthur will not make the Black Stone into a Master Ball. Today is Huxia New Year's Eve, and it's a new year. I just found that the taste of the new year has become weaker and weaker recently. I haven't felt the taste of the new year for a long time. It is the fireworks and firecrackers that are often set off in previous years. These years there is no more. There seems to be no difference between Huxia New Year and not Huxia New Year. I still have to send money to the elders and younger generations. I wish you all a happy Huxia New Year. I will try to update more today. Hearing Arthur's words, Giovanni showed a look of satisfaction. Even if he died, he would still be able to deceive Shirofu Zishu, and at the same time he could better hide his identity. Before Shilufu Zishu could move, Beedrill had already fired a beam of destructive death, which landed on the body of one of the richest and most powerful people in the world at 4'8". Now when the Master Ball appeared in front of him, Arthur was also a little surprised. The aura of this Master Ball was somewhat similar to his mysterious black stone. Aerodactyl, use the destructive deathlight. Arthur pointed to the boy beside him and said, who would have thought that the person who can easily find the Master Ball is a person who has just entered Saffron City and has never been to Saffron City before? For Arthur, the Black Stone is more important. It can continuously provide energy for Gible and future Dragon Pokémon. Why do you know? Shirofu Zishu asked in a daze. But everything was going in a good direction and he didn't ask too much. Maybe it was his dead brother who arranged for Arthur before he died maybe. But he didn't ask much. This nephew of his has become different since he set off on a trip. As long as he has done his best, Arthur will not let this young man go. He is not a good person anyway. If he kills him, he will kill him. Could it be that his Black Stone is also related to the Master Ball? It's just that Giovanni is very confused why Arthur can find the Master Ball, obviously his own Pokémon, and the rocket's equipment can't do this step. This probably means that science and technology are no match for mysticism, right? But Arthur still sneered and said, sorry, I have been preparing for more than a year to investigate the traces of Master Ball. This is the most advanced insulating material of the Huruf group, and they think that no one can detect the Master Ball. Arthur also looked thoughtfully at the Master Ball brought back by Beedrill. Everything has a waveguide. Arthur also found the waveguide of the Master Ball through the power of the waveguide. coding so that it cannot be detected by the machine, but Arthur senses it. I'm leaving first and I'll find you later. Giovanni said with a complicated expression when he saw that Arthur had killed the heir of Sheriff without hesitation. Okay, Arthur nodded slightly, but he didn't say anything. A helicopter had already arrived to pick up Giovanni. Giovanni is not afraid that Arthur will be arrested at this time. As the largest city in the Kanto region, Saffron City is also the location of the headquarters of the Sheriff Group. Arranging Interpol and an elite-level trainer to guard Saffron City. But these obstacles, Giovanni has long thought that since he is here, the arrangement must be foolproof. Those Interpols and elite trainers have already been intercepted. Arthur saw Giovanni leaving and was about to leave an Aerodactyl, but before he left, a figure appeared near him which caught Arthur's eyes instantly. Why is this guy here? All I saw was an Aerodactyl with its claws on the boy's backpack, leading the boy towards Arthur. The boy still had the familiar hat on Arthur's head. Crimson, unexpectedly, he is actually in Saffron City at this moment. At this moment, Saffron City is already a battlefield. In order to deal with the people of Alliance, the Rockets have also made a lot of preparations. At this moment, there are at least 100 powerful wild Pokémon, making trouble everywhere, and the targets of the attacks are those who are rich and unkind, the location of the guy's family. They were all injected with Berserk potions by Team Rocket. Although this will cause the Pokémon to go into a Berserk contest condition, it will not cause fundamental damage to the Pokémon. Just rest for a while. At the same time, the houses of those big bosses were attacked by Pokémon, which also made it impossible for those Alliance personnel to take care of both ends. This world definitely doesn't belong to the Alliance, it doesn't belong to those big families, it belongs to all human beings and all Pokémon. Arthur said with a little madness. And all those who stand in front of us are destroying the world, an obstacle to peace. Boy, I can see that you have a very good relationship with your Pokémon, and you are a person who loves Pokémon. I hope that after you truly understand the truth of this world, you will work hard for this world like us. Arthur's words shocked Kai Hong's heart. He wanted to refute something, but his heart told him that this might be true. If it's just research on drugs, that's nothing. Then Arthur said again, there are many talented people, their backgrounds are not very good, but they have done some research. The Rockets, it is necessary to plunder the results of their research for the Sheriff Group. We, the Rockets, are the sharp blades that tear through this darkness. Many people with outstanding talents but no background, their Pokémon were poached, not by the Rockets. Our Rockets only rob rich people and basically will not go to snatch civilian Pokémon because we are also from civilians. How many of the medicines you usually use are researched on white bones? But now hearing the words of the Rocket team member in front of her, Kai Hong didn't know why, but she felt a little passionate. Less than 30% of it was done by thugs raised by other big families pretending to be the Rockets, and those people were all high-level members of the Alliance. But the Alliance wants to smear us because we are the Rockets and we are the representatives of civilians, and we want to shout out the slogan, princes and generals are better than each other. Arthur said slowly, but it made Kai Hong stunned for a while. As for the others, you might as well ask Professor Oak behind you for the truth of all this. And why does he, the dignified head of Pokémon, hide in Pallet Town to do research instead of taking a position in Alliance? Team Rocket Help Sheriff Group captured a large number of Pokémon and conducted various inhumane experiments. The researchers were all prepared by Sheriff Group, so Team Rocket became an evil organization, but Sheriff Group has become a company that has brought about changes in the world of medicine. Usually when he hears about the Rockets, it's all bad things about the Rockets. So, is the Rockets going to rebel against the Sheriff Group? Kai Hong frowned and asked, but they shouldn't attack other people, right? Even wanting to kill their lives, it was the Rockets who were to blame in the end. And the Sheriff Group obtained the corresponding technology, and the Alliance also knew about it, but they did nothing. Crimson is not a Madonna B***********. If what Arthur said is true, then the Sheriff Group will deserve to die. Why? Arthur chuckled. If it was someone else, Arthur would naturally not care about it, but if the other party was Kai Hong, then you would not mind and said, you don't know, do you? The reason for the establishment of the Rockets, in fact, the Rockets were a thug team secretly established by the Sheriff Group from the very beginning, and they were specially established for the Sheriff Group to collect research materials and deal with commercial rivals. The Rockets have long been out of the control of the Sheriff Group. This time it's just the Rockets' revenge. At the same time, other people, do you think they are all clean? Do you know how many crimes are defined by the Alliance as the Rockets every year? Did the Rockets do it? Why Team Rocket, why are you doing such a thing? Kai Hong looked at Saffron City, which had been reduced to a battlefield, and roared in displeasure. Arthur's words were obviously read, and he was taken aback for a while. He didn't expect that the guy in front of him would actually invite him at this time. Do you want to join the Rockets? At this moment, Chihang has more or less heartbeats. If Arthur's guy is telling the truth, he is not Ash, who is reckless like a fool. What do others say? Is what? Seeing the appearance of the red, Arthur also chuckled and said, maybe you are wondering, then you might as well go to more places and learn more about those so-called big families. Looking forward to one day you will be with Let's fight together for the future of this world. Bring dawn to this dark world. After speaking, he stood on Aerodactyl's back and left directly. This time, Kai Hong didn't try to stop her but fell into deep thinking. And after Arthur let Aerodactyl send himself out of Saffron City, he sneaked into Saffron City with assist Jenger's help and participated in the action against the Rockets. At this time, the battle is almost over. Those who stay here are either abandoned or have problems themselves, and they will not hold back, just start the fight. In less than half an hour, the Rocket team's attack on Saffron City finally fell to Veilstone, and the entire Kanto Alliance was boiling. The Shiluf group was attacked. Half of the Shiluf building was destroyed. Shiluf Zishu and Shiluf Ning were killed. A figure suspected to be the boss of the Rockets appeared, and even the Rockets executive called out the Prince, and General Ning has a kind of slogan, which made the top leaders of Alliance ring the alarm. What is the Rockets going to do? Don't they hide their ambitions? Is this going against their families? On the contrary, there are quite a few depressed civilians who are a little bit emotional. Yes, princes and generals are kind. Why do others have a lot of excellent resources from birth but we don't? Why can we just live a lifetime of mediocrity? Ding, congratulations to the boss of the host help Rocket team for attacking Saffron City, killing the heir of Sheriff, finding the key item Master Ball, rewarding a special Pokémon egg, and a system-made Poké Ball. When Arthur came to the Pokémon Center, he was also taken aback for a moment. Although he also knew that he didn't put in too much effort, the attack this time was all arranged by Giovanni. He just went to help, looking for props, picking people's heads. But no one can erase his credit, but now the system directly gives him a Poké Ball and Pokémon egg. What is this for? Poké Balls are okay, but what about Pokémon eggs? What are Pokémon? Didn't you send Pokémon directly before? Why did it become a Pokémon egg this time? But now is not the time to study this. He came to the Pokémon Center, intending to treat his Pokémon. It's not that his Pokémon was seriously injured. He just came to see the situation in the Pokémon Center, inquire about information, and by the way, said that I have worked hard for Alliance. But when he came to the Pokémon Center, he also gave up this idea. The place was already full of people. As an international metropolis, Saffron City also has more than one Pokémon Center. A small city like Tokyo City also has 3 Pokémon Centers. This is the case here. If you want to come to other Pokémon Centers, I am afraid that there are similar ones. Case. Not only the trainers' Pokémon who fought against Team Rocket and those wild Pokémon were sent over, but also those Pokémon used by Team Rocket were sent over. It's not that those people in Alliance are so kind, they even hope that all these Pokémon are dead, and they have made such a big thing. But they couldn't stand the demands of Ms. Joey. They thought that no matter what conflicts between Alliance and Team Rocket, those Pokémon were innocent. Alliance has nothing to do about this. After all, in order to win over the Joey family is still very important in the Pokémon Center. What's more, Alliance's reputation has been affected a lot after this battle. If they really ignore these Pokémon, I'm afraid there will be countless people who love Pokémon and attack them. The Pokémon Center staff and Chanseys are constantly busy. It seems that many wounded were sent to the Pokémon Center in the neighboring city for treatment. Arthur Lee Wangao just looked at all this quietly and felt very sad in his heart. Sure enough, Miss Joey is still so kind. What will happen to Pokémon Center and Miss Joey? They are truly worthy of respect. Looking at the busy crowd, Arthur sighed lightly, touched Eevee's head and said, let's go back first. Just when Arthur came to the gate of Pokémon Center, he saw a familiar figure again, Red. The Crimson at this moment is completely different from a few hours ago. Without the strength and fortitude before, there is only confusion and exhaustion. Red. Arthur hastily greeted Red. Kai Hong raised her head, saw clearly the identity of the person looking for her, and said with a forced smile, it's you, Arthur. What's wrong with you? Arthur was also very curious. His mouth is not really that strong, is it? All of a sudden, Kai Hong was limp. You must know that in the special episode, Giovanni also offered to recruit Kai Hong, but he failed. Giovanni still appreciates Crimson, but now it's my turn to recruit Kai Hong. Kai Hong's potential is also great. Although it is much worse than Kai Hong in the special chapter, even without the treatment of the protagonist, she is still a character that cannot be underestimated. Trainer. As long as he is given a certain amount of time to bring out his main lineup breeder, then Red will also be a powerful Pokémon trainer at that time. It is not impossible for ordinary people to have a powerful trainer, but it is too difficult for them to get ahead. Currently, Giovanni is considered by all to be the best civilian trainer. As for Crimson, in Arthur's view, perhaps it might not be impossible to become the second Giovanni. Although Giovanni also owns the Rockets, if Giovanni hadn't turned the tide back then, the Rockets would have fallen apart at that time. No, I was interrogated by Alliance staff just now. Kai Hong smiled self-deprecatingly. If Professor Oak hadn't vouched for me, I might have been arrested too. Huh, what did you do? Arthur was a little confused. What happened? How much is unknown to oneself? It's nothing, it's just that some people think that I have a connection with the Rockets. They saw me going to stop the Rockets' CDBG team. In the end, the battle didn't even happen and they just let the opponent leave. Kai Hong reluctantly took off her hat, looking very depressed. At that moment, he was indeed a little confused, but he couldn't stand the people of Alliance, who directly arrested him indiscriminately. If it wasn't for Professor Oak as a guarantee for me, I'm afraid I really wouldn't be able to get out. Ah, Arthur looked at Kai Hong with pity. It seemed that he had indeed deceived Kai Hong. After doing this, Kai Hong's impression of Alliance changed a lot. Extremely difficult. Although he has only seen Arthur twice, but he has a good sense of Arthur, he let Pikachu stand on his shoulders, and Arthur let Eevee stand on his shoulders. If it is not very close to Pokémon, it will definitely not be like this. Since we are friends, I can't implicate you. Kai Hong said helplessly. He was touched by Arthur at the moment. But if he knew that the man in front of him was the culprit who caused him to be suspected by Alliance, I'm afraid we'll have to go straight to a live PK. If other people have a certain chance to become the middle and high-level members of the Alliance after they become stronger, then Scarlet Red has almost no hope. Haha, me too. Kai Hong smiled and then asked in a low tone, Arthur, you are also a trainer born as a commoner, right? Indeed. Arthur nodded slightly. Actually, I prefer Coke. Okay, don't get too close to me these days, I'm afraid I'll hurt you. Kai Hong said helplessly, Don't worry, Alliance can't do anything to me. Arthur waved his hand and said, Want a drink? Maybe it really is. Sometimes trainers are like this. They have met and fought, helped each other, cherished each other, they are friends, and sometimes they will take risks for such friends. It's just that he will offend more people because of it. It's okay, people who go on a trip already have the qualifications to drink. Arthur directly pulled Kai Hong and left. Kai Hong smiled helplessly when she heard the words friend, maybe so. In the hotel suite that Arthur rented before, Arthur and Crimson had a glass, and drank without a glass. I didn't expect the taste of wine to be surprisingly good, but you can't drink too much. It will affect your nerves and reactions, and it is the enemy of Pokémon trainer. Kai Hong is worthy of being Kai Hong. Even if he drinks alcohol, he will analyze the harm of alcohol to Pokémon battles. It's okay, just get involved, if you treat me as a friend. Arthur patted the red shoulder. He is the leader of the rebels, at least at the level of a prince, and there is no one behind him, even if Giovanni's identity is not good. Being able to expose, that is, Lusamine, can help solve a lot of troubles by yourself. Have a drink. Kai Hong was stunned for a moment. Is that okay? We are just children. He can see that Arthur is a person who loves Pokémon, is also a master, and is his future rival. Is such a person a friend? He thinks about fighting all the time. He is worthy of being a fighter. This is true even now that Professor Oak has vouched for Crimson. Well, it's a normal family. I haven't seen my mother since I was a child. My father was a trainer, but he died when I was 10 years old. Arthur nodded slightly. However, I have an uncle who is quite rich. When I was traveling, he provided me with the first sum of funds, and the rest of the money was earned by Alakazam. Speaking of Professor Who, Arthur has to look at the sky silently. At the beginning, he gave Alakazam 1 million as startup capital, and he lost 300,000 at the beginning. It's also normal. But after that, Professor Who's way of making money was out of control. Although he occasionally bought some bad stocks, most of them made money. More than 10,000 became more than 3 million, and it is still making money. He also discussed this matter with Lusamine, and Lusamine expressed that he was very interested in Professor Who, wanting to turn 1 million into 3 million in a month. For Lusamine, well, it is not impossible. She goes up and down several million in minutes. However, Professor Who was able to achieve this step without the slightest inside information, relying on his own knowledge and a little information, which is already very commendable. What's more, when Professor Who selects 10 stocks, at least 7 of them can be guaranteed to be profitable, which can already be said to be a stock god tilde. This proves that Professor Who is really talented in this area. If Arthur didn't need Alakazam now, otherwise, Lucamine would want to borrow Alakazam and let him go to Eevee Foundation to work. The annual salary is definitely more than 1 million. Hundreds of millions all are small sums. At that time, even if Arthur has the dignity of a man and doesn't want to accept too much money from himself, the money earned by Alakazam is enough for Arthur to use. Is that so? Kai Hong nodded slightly. Humans often rely on Pokémon, and Arthur relies on Alakazam to make money. Although it is strange, it is not unacceptable. Today I met a member of the Rockets and he told me something that overturned my 3 views, Kai Hong said after a moment of silence. And then? Arthur asked back, raising his eyebrows. I really want to deny it, but combined with what I encountered during my previous travels, I kind of believe what he said. Kai Hong said in a low tone, and people from Alliance suspect that I have a connection with the Rockets. Obviously, I was in the forest outside Saffron City, and when I saw what happened here, I hurried over and dealt with the Rockets. They actually thought it was my problem that those people escaped. However, he was in a bad mood, coupled with the first drink, he soon became drunk. Crimson got drunk very quickly. In fact, he didn't drink much alcohol. The wine Arthur bought was also fruit wine, and the alcohol content was not very high. Arthur arranged him directly in another room of the suite, and also took out his newly obtained Pokémon egg from the system. It's just that when he saw the identity of this Pokémon egg, he couldn't calm down instantly. This time he made a profit. It's almost 12 o'clock, worship a bodhisattva and then cook some glutinous rice balls. Happy Huxia New Year everyone, thank you. Volcarona, this Pokémon egg is for you, Arthur said as he handed the Pokémon egg with blue and red patterns to Volcarona. Although he doesn't know how much time and energy he needs to spend to cultivate it, but it's all worth it. No wonder the system is giving yourself a special Pokémon ball. At that time, Arthur will even be forced to hand over this Pokémon. I'm just an ordinary person. That guy's Aerodactyl is much stronger than mine, and I'm not rival for the time being. I'm not even rival even if I try my best. I'm not afraid of fighting, but I don't want to make unnecessary sacrifices, and I need to be responsible for my Pokémon. And the other party has no hostility towards me. But they put the responsibility on me. It seems that if I stop the other party, they can catch the masked man normal. In the same way, Arthur would be in danger once he let others know that he owns this Pokémon. Those families in Alliance will not just sit and watch 10 Pokémon like this fall into the hands of civilians. It's all going to be blamed. Kai Hong felt that it made sense when he heard the words. He clenched his fists and said a little angrily. If he didn't know that Misty can hatch this Pokémon egg, and the waveguide of the egg is fine, he would even suspect that it is a dead egg. Some time ago, he had been letting Volcarona hatch Togepi's eggs, but unfortunately they never hatched. Arthur heard the words and there was a hint of understanding on his face. Maybe they are looking for someone to take the blame. It is said that this time the chairman and heir of the Huruf group are dead, which is not even true for the entire alliance. Huge incident, those of them cannot bear this responsibility, so you need to find someone else to take responsibility. Obviously, you are unlucky. Who knows? Arthur curled his lips noncommittally. This time the Rockets have made such a big fuss. Although the rewards are great, Alliance's counterattack will come soon, but we don't know what will happen after Giovanni acted. Arthur feels that his character has been questioned. How can Arthur not be moved by a Pokémon like Togepi, both cute and playable? Especially after evolving into Togekiss, it is the most outstanding flying Pokémon besides the legendary Pokémon. It can not only be used as a flying mount, but also extremely powerful in battle. It is super lucky to add the Togekiss of Scope Lens. Don't be too fierce. It seems that Cynthia has such a configured Togekiss, which is used in rotation between the main team and the second team. Arthur also covets Togekiss, especially on the basis that he has a Togepi egg with outstanding talent in his hands, but now Togepi has been reluctant to hatch. It seems that he looks down on him. Isn't he a good person, Chi-san-san? Look at Eevee, how happy they are. But Arthur also knows that maybe as the Rockets himself, he really can't let Togepi hatch. Even the hatching moth has nothing to do. What else can I do? Didn't you see that the newly arrived Pokémon egg has gradually reacted under the hatching of the hatching moth? It's not that Volcarona's hatching ability is not good, but that it can't help the Togepi's egg. In this regard, Arthur can only continue to try. If it really doesn't work, he has to find a suitable Pokémon trainer for him. Of course, Arthur couldn't send Togepi out for nothing. That's what Fools and Ash would do. This is a Pokémon with champion qualifications. For these Pokémon, I don't know how many people broke their heads. The Rockets have gone too far this time. President Damaranci asked us to step up our efforts to attack the Rockets in the near future. Don't spend the extra time targeting other criminal organizations. Inside the Indigo Plateau, the red-haired Yulongdu said in a deep voice. Are you finally scared? Lorelei sneered noncommittally. The responsibility of the Elite Four is to fight against evil criminals, whether it's Team Rocket or other criminals. As long as they cause damage to this world, we need them. The object of destruction. Seeing Lorelai's appearance like this, Yulongdu and others were a little silent. Are the Rockets going to attack? Naturally, they want to crack down. This is their responsibility and obligation of the Elite Four. But let them give up the task of cracking down on other evil organizations. How could they give up? No matter what, do what you have to do, Grandma Agatha said with a light sigh at this time. Recently, her life has not been very good, especially the incident of Granny Yin, which put her and her family on the cusp. Before, she thought it was just Normal's cooperation, but she didn't expect Granny Yin and the others to be so courageous big. And those guys in my own family dare to do anything. She is so tired and wants to retire, but she can't. Once she retires, she will be in the trouble of being settled by Kyuhu. Although she has a younger sister who is also an elite of Alliance, the situation is not very good. If possible, she really wants to kill those guys who are in trouble with Granny Yin. This is the annoyance of people who come from the family. Sometimes they can't help themselves. I don't care about this matter. Elite Four are not thugs. Our responsibility is to maintain the peace of the Pokémon world. The Sheriff group is also doing it on its own. Alliance also turned a blind eye to the Sheriff family. For their past, if they want to cancel my position as an Elite Four, then cancel it, Bruno said with a sneer. He is a completely civilian-born trainer. Since the incident of the Sheriff group broke out, what they have done has also been exposed. Bruno wants to give the Sheriff group to embargo, but the Alliance does not allow it. How can Bruno accept? Hearing Bruno's words, Dew and Granny Agatha glanced at each other and sighed softly. Among the Kanto Elite Four, they were the only ones who were inherited from the family. Bruno was born as a commoner and Lorelei was similar, but she had a good teacher. They want to be like Bruno if they can, but they have family behind them. At this time, Dew missed the cousin who ran away from home when she was a child, and she didn't know what she was doing these years. As she said, the clan will only restrain the real strong, limit their strength, and make them a lot when I can't help myself. Dew is a person with a great sense of justice. If it was normal, he might applaud the saying that princes and generals are kind. But unfortunately, he is not only the Elite Four, their family is also on the side of the Alliance. The next day when Kai Hong woke up, Arthur had already left Saffron City. He looked at the note Arthur left for himself, and a wry smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Are you looking forward to fighting with me at the Indigo Plateau Conference? I don't know if they will target me at the Indigo Plateau Conference, but if it is your invitation to fight, then I accept it, as long as we defeat all those who stand in front of us. Speaking of fighting, Kai Hong's heart also became hot for a while. Maybe in the future he will become very difficult, but he still has his own Pokémon and a group of friends. As for the Alliance and the Rockets, he intends to see with his own eyes, and seeing is believing. He decided to go to more places to see the true colors of Alliance and the Rockets 3-6. As for what he will do in the future, that is up to him. Time to say he still needs to improve the strength of his Pokémon. Arthur left Saffron City early, and now Saffron City has also been under martial law. Regardless of whether Salacin is not allowed to walk around on the street, even if he enters and exits Saffron City, he must undergo a rigorous investigation. Fortunately, on Arthur's side, luck was pretty good, and he didn't accept too many interrogations. Maybe it was also related to his efforts to fight against those rioting wild Pokémon yesterday. On the Alliance side, he left an impression, or maybe he had a relationship with Lucamine. A certain relationship Alliance already knows. But anyway, Arthur is clearly on Alliance's books. After leaving Saffron City, Arthur walked towards Rainbow City. The two cities are not far apart. There is a special train between the two cities. It only takes half an hour to get there, even if you walk by people. It only takes 3 days. Compared with Saffron City, Rainbow City is obviously more suitable for settlement. Many people even choose to work in Saffron City and settle in Rainbow City. After walking in the wild for 2 days, one day before arriving in Rainbow City, something strange happened to one of Arthur's Pokémon. You mean who is calling you? Arthur looked at Venusaur curiously and asked. I had just set up my tent, released all the Pokémon, and was about to go camping, but Venusaur told me that I wanted to go somewhere. How could Arthur not be confused by this? Bana. Since the evolution, Venusaur has also lost the activity of Bulbasaur and Ivysaur, but gives people a sense of calmness. 23. Is that so? Then let's go together. After thinking for a while, Arthur also said, I didn't feel anything strange, but since you feel it, it shouldn't be too far away so I can take care of it. Bana. Venusaur didn't refuse either. It knew that its trainer was worried about itself. Arthur put the tent back quickly and then followed Venusaur towards a certain place. Venusaur's body is very large and it seems that he walks very slowly, but this is a bit of an impression. In fact, its speed is not slow, but its body is too large, but it looks a bit cumbersome. Need to trot to keep up with Venusaur. Not long after they walked, they came to a vast lawn, and at the same time there were many grass-type Pokémon walking in one direction, including many trainers follow closely behind them. What the hell is going on here? Some trainers have already become impatient, and their Pokémon is very wrong, which makes them want to put the Pokémon into the Pokémon ball, and then go to the Pokémon Center to check the situation. But unfortunately, their Pokémon didn't listen to their words at all this time, and some people even tried to put the Pokémon into the Pokémon ball, but their Pokémon got out actively and then continued to walk in that direction. This is beyond their understanding, and all they can do is to accompany their Pokémon to that unknown place. But he didn't expect that he would meet a trainer who was in the same situation as him along the way, and what was going on? I don't know. Arthur shook his head slightly. In fact, he was also confused whether he had forgotten something. But he couldn't remember it anymore anyway. He could only follow Venusaur at this time. Immediately afterwards, they saw many trainers walking in the same direction. Gradually, the number of people became more and more, and there were even hundreds of trainers following their own Pokémon, which made the crowd more and more curious about how this happened. Erica smiled gently. It's some kind of ritual of the nearby Pokémon. It's only good for Pokémon. There's no harm. Don't worry about it. With Erica's words, many people breathed a sigh of relief. This girl's temperament is very brilliant, with the gentle breath of Yamato Nadeko. But no one dares to underestimate this woman. This is the gymnasium trainer of Rainbow City. Arthur didn't dare to underestimate this beautiful woman. No one knew what her strength would be, who could become a gym trainer, and which one was easy. There are so many Pokémon and trainers here, no one will act rashly. She found that not only their Pokémon, but also Erica's Pokémon seemed to be attracted by something. At the beginning, they all suspected that there was some kind of natural treasure that attracted their Pokémon, but now even if there is a natural treasure, it is very difficult for them to get snatch. Even in the special chapter, she is still the commander-in-chief of the Kanto Region Gymnasium, and her strength is 773, which can be seen. Don't look at the original version. Erica's strength doesn't seem to be very good, but that's the fourth gym to challenge after all. In the past, I went to my grandmother's house for dinner on the first day of the Lunar New Year. This year, my uncle and the others started to be the masters of the house and they didn't call us. Hey, I'm still not used to it. Arthur speculates that this may be because he has more contact with grass-type Pokémon, which brings more natural feeling. In addition to one's own background, strength is also very important. Rainbow City is the second largest city in the Kanto region, and Saffron City normal. If it can become the gym trainer here, it must not be a normal person. Master Erica, do you know what's going on? A female trainer asked curiously. As if she noticed the eyes of other people, Erica smiled gently. Even if it was just an ordinary smile, it gave people a feeling of spring breeze. Erica in Heart Gold and Soul Silver is still very strong. Look, that's Erica the owner. Suddenly, a trainer pointed to a short-haired girl in a kimono and said, as the owner of Alliance's official gymnasium, Erica still has a certain prestige. Many people are willing to believe Erica at this time. The Rockets have made such a big commotion recently and many places have become jittery. If Erica also makes a big move, it will definitely be over. It can't be. Even Erica is a member of the Rockets, right? How can that be? Ritual. Arthur murmured. It is said that some powerful grass-type Pokémon will transfer their own energy to their younger generations in a special way before they die, which may increase the strength and potential of the grass-type Pokémon. What? The trainer at the scene couldn't calm down after hearing this. This is an opportunity to improve the strength and potential of his Pokémon. How could they miss it? At the same time, they also began to think secretly, how can they increase the chance of improving their strength and potential? Erica also looked at Arthur with a surprised expression, nodded slightly and said, indeed. It's a Venusaur from my ancestors. It's almost 300 years old and it's on the verge of death. A 300-year-old Venusaur. Many people were stunned when they heard the news. A normal Venusaur lived to be 100 years old, which is actually pretty good. A 300-year-old Venusaur is really capable of living. Except for some special reasons, the lifespan of normal Pokémon is only a few years to several decades. The faster the growth rate, the faster the evolution rate of the Pokémon, the shorter the lifespan. Like Dragonite, it can live for hundreds of years. Years of Pokémon, not many. When their strength reaches a certain level, they can more or less break the lifespan of some races. Just like Beedrill, the normal Beedrill's lifespan is less than 10 years, but Giovanni's Beedrill is still in its prime, which is related to its strength. The Quasi-God's strength is enough to keep Beedrill alive for hundreds of years, even if it's just a Beedrill. Is that so? Arthur nodded thoughtfully, but why do you want to open it up? If it's just the grass-type Pokémon in your family, I'm afraid the benefits will be even more. Others are also vigilant, yes. Why does the Erica Pavilion mainly give up such benefits? People do not kill themselves. Many trainers love Pokémon. But there are also many trainers who will do some selfish things for some things. For example, they saw some natural treasures in the wild. These natural treasures, it was previously occupied by Pokémon in the wild. And they would all snatch over. This is a normal phenomenon and they will not feel guilty about it. But now that they encountered such a thing, they also began to have to wonder if there was some conspiracy in it. Hearing Arthur's question, Erica smiled wryly. This is the decision of our ancestors and we cannot change it. Moreover, the amount of energy and inheritance that each Pokémon can absorb is not certain. Even if there is only one Pokémon, there is no guarantee. There may not be too many benefits and the excess energy will be wasted by then. After deliberating for a while, Arthur also asked Eevee at the side, "Don't you feel it?" With Erica's family to maintain order, and the Pokémon who came here are very well behaved, those trainers, even if they want to fight for a better position for their own Wang Heiahao Pokémon, are powerless. But this Venusaur, not only its head is 3 meters high, but the petals on its back are almost 5 meters high and its body length is also over 10 meters. A small child. Now that Erica has been met here, Venusaur is not far away. Sure enough, it is a champion-level Venusaur. If it has a chance to reach the strength of a Quasi-God, its lifespan may be greatly improved. Strength, champion high level. As for the later Pokémon, it can only be queued at the back. It's a pity that limited talent and insufficient resources have made it difficult for Venusaur to break through, and now it is on the verge of death. That's it, it's a pity. Arthur sighed helplessly, originally thought he could give Eevee a boost. Arthur also saw the huge Venusaur lying on the lawn from a distance, who was about to face death, and felt a shock in his heart. What a big 10-song Venusaur. Pokémon, Venusaur. It is true that it can use Pokémon skills and can also get the bonus of attribute, but it is not a real grass type. Eevee tilted his head. Did he really consider himself a Pokémon? Arthur nodded slightly when he heard the words. What Erica said was also very reasonable, and it was true. Do you want to evolve Eevee into a Pokémon? Erica, who happened to be on the side at this time, came over and asked curiously. Arthur directly arranged for Venusaur to choose a place closer to him to sit down. They were relatively early, so the distance from the huge Venusaur was only a few tens of meters away. Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for automatic subscriptions, please. Arthur's Venusaur was less than half a year old, definitely considered young among the Venusaurs, and his body shape was almost normal. Arthur looked at Erica suspiciously. What does this woman mean? In other areas, Eevee has been proven to use leaf stones to evolve into leaf Pokémon. But only a supercharged leaf stone that is extremely energy-rich is enough to make Eevee evolve into a leaf Pokémon, and normal leaf stones cannot do it at all. The price of leaf stone has also reached tens of millions, which is not affordable for Normal's family. Erica also said with some regret. Arthur nodded slightly. Eevee can use leaf stone to evolve. This point, Arthur is no exception. In the beginning, when Pokémon first appeared, it did not evolve by leaf stone. It evolved by leaf stone, which is also a new setting that only appeared in Pokémon Sword and Shield. Tell yourself now that not every leaf stone can make Eevee evolve into a leaf Pokémon, which seems reasonable. Actually, I'm also very curious whether the energy erupted by the ancestors can make Eevee evolve into a leaf Pokémon. It's a very powerful grass-type Pokémon, but it's a pity that I didn't conquer Eevee in 123 fights before. Immediately after Erica said with a smile. Arthur has also understood what Erica means, which is hinting to himself that the grass-type energy that Venusaur burst out before his death may help Eevee evolve into a leaf Pokémon, and the leaf Pokémon is also a very powerful grass-type Pokémon. Thank you. Arthur took a deep look at Erica. It was undeniable that Erica was a nice person, and she was indeed reminding herself. She is indeed a gentle woman, and Erica's wave guide told me that Erica was not hypocritical or pretentious. Instead, she reminded herself sincerely. As expected of last year, she was named the woman Kanto men most want to marry. She is only 18 years old, but she is so sought after, which shows how attractive she is. But this is somewhat related to the fact that there are only a few famous beauties in the Kanto region. Lorelei is too aggressive. Although she has a mature style, she is about to grow old. Sabrina is a psycho in the eyes of many people. Miss Juncha and Miss Joey, they are very beautiful, but they all look almost the same. Many people can't bear the fact that their wives look like other people's wives. The three Cerulean sisters need to have a good figure and good looks, but unfortunately they are just vases. Arthur nodded slightly, which reminded him of the whale fall in his previous life. Venusaur's behavior may have no similar effect. Even Arthur's Venusaur has received a lot of care, and his strength has vaguely begun to improve. Even the grass around it began to grow crazily because of the energy of these grasses. Venusaur, whose vitality was somewhat exhausted, suddenly surged wildly in the waveguide. Countless green lights emitted from its body, and it began to sweep towards the nearby grass-type Pokémon. But I still want to listen to Eevee's ideas, little guy. I don't want to evolve yet. It was naturally impossible for Arthur to tell Erica that his Eevee didn't need to evolve anymore. Situations like the ancestors, in fact, often happen in the wild. Many powerful grass-type Pokémon will distribute their energy to their own clansmen before they die. This will help them quickly improve their strength. Erica sighed as she watched this scene. Then Erica is the goddess in the minds of countless people. She needs to have good looks, temperament, wealth, and knowledge. She is the youngest lecturer in the history of the world's #1 Rainbow University, and her personality is also a gentle and loving wife and mother. Who doesn't like this type of woman? Bana, the old Venusaur, didn't have much vitality in the first place. This time, he burst out all his remaining vitality plus the energy he had accumulated over the years. It didn't take long before it began to be unbearable. Even the consciousness began to become blurred. It scanned the Pokémon around the scene, continued to emit grass-type energy, and then slowly closed its eyes. Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for automatic subscriptions, please. Huh. Erica noticed this too and looked at Arthur thoughtfully. How did this guy pay attention to this? As expected of a Venusaur that has lived for hundreds of years, the grass-type energy it has accumulated is not comparable to that of normal's grass-type Pokémon. Arthur also said staggeringly. He has seen quite a few grass-type Pokémon begin to evolve under the help of those strong grass-type energy. You know, before Venusaur took action, Arthur said this. In addition to the Sun Pokémon and Sylveon, Arthur also considered making Eevee evolve into a Leaf Pokémon. As for the Ice Pokémon, although it is also very good but the hat on the head is a bit inconsistent, Arthur said he was ugly and refused. This also made Arthur have to feel the power of Venusaur. Here we come. Suddenly, Arthur looked at Venusaur at the side. Erica nodded slightly when she heard the words and did not continue to persuade. She just gave Arthur some suggestions since he was unwilling to accept. Then she would not say more. Everyone has their own choice. Is Yi Pokémon powerful? Of course it is powerful. Didn't you see an author named Chi-Wu Ming-Ching Ying who arranged a Yi Pokémon for the protagonist in a book? Venusaur is dead, but its death is valuable. Countless Pokémon on the scene have received Venusaur's gift, and their strength has been improved. More than 100 grass-type Pokémon have evolved under Venusaur's help. Before death, the energy erupted by Venusaur is terrifying, and the accumulation of hundreds of years is beyond the imagination of normal people. Countless Pokémon are grateful to Venusaur, and Erica presided over Venusaur's funeral, which is very simple but very solemn. Venusaur, how are you? Arthur asked Venusaur after everything was over. My own Venusaur should not even have any benefits, get it? Bana, Venusaur nodded with joy. Although its level has not improved much this time, it has comprehended 2 major skills which greatly improved its experience. Is that so? That's great. Now that you have learned Energy Ball, the task of helping other little guys to comprehend the skill of Energy Ball is entrusted to you. Arthur said with a smile, you are already a mature Pokémon and it's time to share the responsibility for me, Bana. After hearing Arthur's words, Venusaur also showed a look of joy. Pokémon, Venusaur attribute Poison Grass height 198 m, racial average height is 2 m. Weight 98, 2 kg, race average weight is 100 kg. Ability. Lush Chlorophyll abilities. Petal Blizzard, Petal Dance, Tackle, Growl, Vine Whip, Growth, Leech Seed, Razor Leaf, Sleep Powder, Poison Powder, Seed Bomb, Takedown, Sweet Scent, Synthesis, Worry Seed, Sacrificial Impact, Solar Beam, Magical Leaf, Plant Frenzy, Energy Ball, Ultimate Absorption. Strength Gym middle level potential. Elite system evaluation. Venusaur is very good, but it still has quite good potential. It is recommended to cultivate it well. Suggestion: due to its huge size, Venusaur's sensitivity is a problem. As a field-controlling Pokémon, it is recommended to develop Venusaur's ability to resist blows and learn protect skills. Arthur is very satisfied with the harvest this time. Venusaur's strength has not improved much. The key is to learn two powerful skills: Energy Ball and Giga Drain. These are the core skills of Venusaur, but unfortunately normal Venusaur is difficult to learn, especially Giga Drain, which is almost an inherited skill. For example, in Erica's family, Giga Drain is the core skill of her family, but it turned out to be learned by her own Venusaur by chance. After everything was over, Arthur also went to Rainbow City. It took just over 3 hours to arrive at the most livable city in the Kanto region, the largest garden city, best business city, second largest city. Unlike Saffron City, Rainbow City is also very large, but walking on the streets of Rainbow City, you will feel like you are in a huge park. Here is the largest commercial street in the Kanto region, a variety of perfumes, Pokémon beauty salons, and the largest game arcade in the world. The game arcade seems to be the property of the Rockets. Like in other cities, Arthur directly found a relatively high-end hotel to live in. Arthur was exhausted after driving outside for 3 consecutive days. However, just as Arthur was lying down, his Pokémon watch also rang. He glanced at it. It was the real bird's phone, and Arthur thought for a while before answering the phone. Asking for flowers. "Are you in Rainbow City?" Giovanni said directly, although it was a question, but judging by her appearance, she knew that Arthur had already arrived in Rainbow City, otherwise she would not have deliberately called. "Well, what's the matter?" Arthur asked. Actually, he was more curious, why didn't Giovanni call himself? He felt that Giovanni should have a lot of things to tell him, right? As the Crown Prince, he should also be officially appointed, right? "Go to the game arcade over there when you have time and get your reward." Giovanni didn't hide anything and directly said that the Rainbow Game Arcade was their Rockets' business. Was it Hooligan or Arthur? Arthur still asked. Of course it's Arthur. Makoto said angrily, although the Rainbow Game Hall belongs to our Rockets, it's also a regular business. Eevee is a wanted criminal of the Alliance. Are you sure you're not doing something here? Listening to the real bird's words, Arthur also showed an embarrassed look. So there is no Rockets base under the game hall. The real bird gave Arthur an angry look and said, how could there be a problem there? After all, the game hall is extremely important to the Rockets and is an important source of income, so how could they build a base there? Once the game hall is discovered, isn't it over? As for the base, where can it not be built? Why do you want to find a place with so many people? Arthur looked up at the sky silently when he heard the words, and there was no problem in listening to Makoto's words carefully. Fortunately, he joined the Rockets. Otherwise, he vowed to make a deal with the people from Alliance and told them that there is a team of Rockets under the Rainbow Game Hall. The base, if you didn't find it by then, wouldn't that be a fool? There is no Rocket hideout under the Rainbow Game Hall, which also makes Arthur have some other thoughts in his heart. This is undoubtedly a warning to himself that he cannot look at everything from the perspective of a traveler. This is a real world. What you know is not necessarily true. I just don't know what reward it will be. Arthur asked in confusion. It's just some rewards and the ribbon for you to be promoted to the Rockets executive. Makoto looked disapproving. Those rewards were all prepared by her, and they were very useful to Arthur. It can be seen that she has always been paying close attention to Arthur's contest condition, and she knows all about Arthur's Pokémon. Okay. Arthur nodded slightly. 573, isn't it executive? If you were a normal person, you might be very concerned about it, but on Arthur's side, it really doesn't matter in the absence of a son. Giovanni is indeed the #1 heir of the Rockets. In the future, the entire Rockets will be himself. Isn't it just promotion and salary increase to executive? No, I have no salary in the Rockets. OTT, I have been doing white jobs all the time. Only when I make a huge contribution will I be given some natural talents and earthly treasures. As for normal times, there is no salary. I don't know if there will be a salary after being promoted to executive. If it is still the same as before, isn't my executive the same as before? By the way, how's the situation at Alliance recently? Arthur asked again. What are you talking about? Makoto gave Arthur an annoyed look. Originally, our attack on Sheriff Building was just a terrorist attack, but because of your words, it became a thorn in the side of the Alliance. Arthur also showed an embarrassed look. There was nothing wrong with that. His words did indeed involve rebellion. If the Rockets were just a terrorist organization before, they are now a rebel extremist organization. It seems that I accidentally cheated the rockets. However, your statement that princes and generals are kind has resonated with many people. Recently, the emotions within the rockets have become more and more high. At the same time, the number of civilians who want to join the rockets is much higher than before. Few. Even if Alliance wants to target the rockets, it is undeniable that the impression of the rockets in many people's minds has changed a lot. In addition, we have made corresponding preparations before. This time the loss is not much, but word of mouth and reputation have improved a lot. The real bird's words made Arthur slightly relieved. It would be good if there is no pitfall for the rockets. Now the rockets should implement the Mutuo plan. Once Mutuo is manufactured, let it work for the rockets wholeheartedly. Then the rockets will not fail easily. We have already made corresponding preparations before. After all, the Huruf group has a great say in the alliance. Now the president and heir of Huruf have been killed by us. The alliance will definitely attack us. After a pause, the real bird continued. In the next period of time, our actions should be low-key and you don't mess with things. When the plan is completed, there is no need to be afraid alliance now. Okay, Arthur nodded slightly. Is he very high profile? As for the perfect level of ice stone, this is for the future evolution of Vulpix. After a long time, the real bird seemed to have received some instructions from Normal and said, "After your Rainbow Gym challenge is over, I will pick you up and tell you something when the time comes." Pokémon that use evolutionary stones to evolve, when they evolve, they can not only use one evolutionary stone, but many people have tried to use 2 or 3 evolutionary stones to give Pokémon 2. 4 so that it can absorb a large amount of energy during the time, enhance the strength after evolution. Ding! Congratulations to the host for becoming the senior executive of Team Rocket, rewarding Earthquake secret skills, Earth Gem, Ice Gem, and Perfect Grade Ice Stone. This is especially true for Earthquake esoteric skills. Arthur is naturally unwilling to let go of such a powerful skill as Earthquake, which is almost the core skill of Ground-type Pokémon. If he can't absorb a lot of energy, he can't absorb it. Anyway, he doesn't lack that little time. Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for automatic subscriptions, please. As for Arthur's Pokémon, there are many that can be learned. Venusaur, Blastoise, Aerodactyl, and Gible can all learn this powerful Nirvana-level skill. And just as Arthur hung up the phone, the system's notification sounded, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. But this method is not particularly safe. After all, when Pokémon evolves, it not only absorbs the energy inside, but also absorbs the impurities in the evolution stone. That plan, can you let me know? Arthur continued to ask. Why doesn't he feel it? Earth Gem, Ice Gem, these are pretty good treasures for the current Arthur. Vulpix and Gible are all useful. Okay. There was a slight smile on the corner of Arthur's mouth. Did he completely break into the rockets? The real bird over there was a little hesitant, but it wasn't that he couldn't tell Arthur, it's just that things like man-made mythical beasts were too shocking. This increases the Pokémon's destructive power and striking surface. Therefore, using poor-quality evolution stones to evolve may have an impact on the future of Pokémon. As for this perfect grade of evolutionary stone, it is almost not found in nature, and I am afraid that only the system produced can have such a quality. Vulpix, this is yours. After Arthur gave the Earth Gem to Gible, Arthur also handed the Ice Gem to Vulpix. Every time he sees Vulpix, Arthur still has a feeling of indisputable anger. He obviously has such a good talent, but before he knows it, Vulpix's strength ranks last in his team. Vulpix's strength on Arthur's side is a little weaker than other Pokémon and a little stronger than Squirtle, and this is based on the fact that Squirtle is just a baby. But now, Squirtle's strength has surpassed Vulpix. You know, Vulpix's talent is still higher than Squirtle. Even if Squirtle is really working hard to exercise his body, the gap in talent cannot be ignored. If Vulpix can make corresponding efforts, it will not be the case. It's just a pity that I can't think of Squirtle. 623 tails are much lazy. Even Eevee works harder than Vulpix. This is one of the 6 Pokémon on Arthur's face. Except for Professor Who, the one who doesn't work hard and grows the slowest, but who makes Vulpix look good. You have talent and good looks, and you can make a living with your good looks, so why work hard? Even Arthur can't deny this truth, and it's not that Vulpix doesn't work hard at all. Compared with Lucamine before, Vulpix has changed a lot now, but the level of effort is not as good as Arthur's other Pokémon. Basic exercise these, Vulpix will also complete according to the training requirements. The main reason is that Vulpix was originally raised by Lucamine as a pet, not as a battle Pokémon. We must work harder in the future, at least you can't be too far away from my friends, Arthur said, rubbing Vulpix's fox head. Slip. Vulpix wandered around with its sapphire blue eyes, trying harder. If you really don't want to work hard, then go back to Lusamine. After thinking about it, Arthur also sighed and said, if Vulpix really doesn't like fighting, then go back to Lusamine and Arthur won't stop him so that he can also find other Pokémon to train as the main force. Compared with aptitude, the will to fight is actually very important. Slip. Hearing Arthur's words, Vulpix made a smart move in an instant and went back to Lusamine to throw. Bye. Eevee stepped forward, waved his paws and patted Vulpix on the head, saying that this guy should be handed over to me. I will look at it in the future, and if it dares to slack off, I promise to kill it. Vulpix is indeed a bit of a lady temper, not particularly willing to work hard, but it has not completely become a dead house. Slip. Vulpix showed an aggrieved look, but faced with the big sister's oppression, it dared not say a word of no. God is sorry, this is the big sister. On the contrary, Vulpix showed an excited look. It hasn't been massaged well for a long time since following Arthur. Alas. Seeing Vulpix like this, Arthur stroked its head and sighed softly. It's not important to become stronger or not stronger, but if your strength falls too far, you will fight with other friends. They are out of place. And now I have a reason to become stronger. Vulpix shook his head again and again, expressing that he was willing to stay here and fight for Arthur so as to become stronger. Okay, I won't challenge the gym tomorrow, I'll take you to Beauty Street to see. Pokémon also need health care just like humans. I'm not very good at this, let you enjoy it. Arthur stroked, looking at the little heads of Eevee and Vulpix. You know, it's over there on Lusamine, but you can enjoy it every day. It doesn't want it. It's not that Lusamine is not good for them. They have to eat and drink there, and there are professional breeders to massage and groom their hair, etc. Usually they don't need it, wind food do. It's actually quite good here, the food is much better than before, let it linger, and the friends are also very good to me. As an Eevee who wandered outside since he was a child, his life with Arthur has been the happiest time in his life. He can eat and drink without worrying about 360 degrees, and he can quickly become stronger. Eevee is somewhat overwhelmed by the big health care. Ask for flowers, ask for a monthly ticket, ask for an automatic subscription, what? It still wants to travel outside, not to mention being sent back in such a disheveled state. It is a strange thing that Lusamine can give himself a good face. But there is no warmth here, no matter how comfortable the environment is, it will get tired after staying for a long time. So cute Eevee and Vulpix. This Vulpix is completely different from my Vulpix. Is it a Pokémon with different colors from Flash? The next day when Arthur came to a beauty salon called Vivi, the owner looked, seeing the two little guys, their expressions lit up. Boy, big healthcare, 58. Hearing Arthur's words, Eevee lost his composure for a moment. My Vulpix is the Vulpix of the Alola region. The Vulpix over there is different from the Vulpix of the Kanto region. It is ice type. Arthur also remembered the identity of the other party at this time. Vivi, Zyogang's Vulpix seems to be hers. If I dare to disobey the big sister's words, I'm afraid I will be beaten badly. Arthur didn't even think about looking for Vivi to see it. His identity meant that he could only travel alone instead of looking for a professional breeder. Things. If he doesn't do things, he won't have the corresponding resources to become stronger. Don't you still have to eat soft rice? It's different like Lusamine, she is the president of Eevee Foundation, she has high authority, and the relationship with Alliance is not very good. And during this period, the cooperation between Lusamine and the Rockets is also due to the honeymoon period. If nothing goes wrong, this honeymoon period will continue. But the others, Arthur couldn't believe it, unless it was the rest of the Rockets traveling with him. Isn't this to expose your identity? After thinking about it, Arthur still decided to travel alone. With his own Pokémon, he would not feel lonely, but he couldn't do everything. Maybe he could also learn about Pokémon massage. This Vivi is indeed a good breeder, but I don't know how many people want to invite her to be their own private breeder. Nor would Salaison accept invitations from others. Once accepted, she will take care of each other's Pokémon for a long time. This makes breeders feel very unfree, and more people still prefer to open a breeding house after raising the level of breeders. Is the Vulpix of ice type? Vivi was stunned when she heard that, and at the same time, Vivi's Vulpix also ran out from behind her. When it saw the ice Vulpix, it was stunned for a moment, and then said, touching the ice, Vulpix called softly. Facing Vulpix's overture, Bing Vulpix just wagged its tail. Obviously, it has its own arrogance. It's so cute, can I hug it, Tilda? Vivi asked Arthur. Okay, I just wanted to give them a big health care, Arthur said with a smile. Although this is the first time I have encountered Vulpix of ice type, I will try my best. Vivi said hastily and then hugged Ice Vulpix, which Ice Vulpix did not refuse. After Vivi rubbed it, it immediately showed a comfortable and satisfied expression. Eevee, who was watching from the side, was also stunned for a while. Is it so comfortable? Do you want to be so exaggerated? Although I haven't seen other ice-type Vulpix, but as a breeder, I can feel that it is very good by your breeder just in terms of hair and muscles. This is no worse than my Vulpix. Vivi somewhat skeptical about life. The other party is a Pokémon trainer, not a breeder. Why is Vulpix's hair so good? But I don't know how to massage. Then Arthur noticed his blind spot in knowledge. Can I have a taste? Vivi's eyes lit up. She is a woman with vision. When she saw the energy cube made by Arthur, she immediately knew that the energy cube was better than her own. We don't know how to massage. He directly threw an identification spell at Vulpix and found that it was indeed the case. The system also suggested that Vulpix should rest for 2 days before training. Now I still have plenty of time, and it is quite worthwhile to spend some time and some money to learn the skills of horse-killing chickens. Everything is for the little guys. You can't massage. Vivi looked at Arthur with puzzled eyes. You can't massage. Why Kyan Yu Zhao, your Pokémon looks so healthy. Vulpix and Eevee's hair, I've seen it all, one of the best countries. It should be related to the energy cube I made. Arthur said, taking out a can of energy cubes. Is that so? Arthur frowned slightly. Among his own Pokémon, Vulpix was regarded as the Pokémon with the least amount of training besides Alakazam. Even Vulpix was like this, and so were the other Pokémon. It seems that exercising Pokémon is also about combining work and rest. Of course, this is not a problem. Under normal conditions, such as Vulpix, it is enough to rest for 2 or 3 days, but if you give them a corresponding massage after training, you can speed up their recovery and make the muscles tired. Rapid decline, said Vivi with a smile. Is that so? Arthur nodded slightly, indicating that he understood. But soon she felt a little strange again. However, Vulpix seems a little tired and the muscles in the calf are a little swollen. You train it very harshly, but after the training you don't get a corresponding massage. Although it is not big problem, but it will affect the efficiency of training, and if it takes a long time, it may also leave hidden wounds. Of course. Arthur showed a smile. How about he and Vivi learn Pokémon massage? It seems that it is not impossible. It seems that we need to find some opportunities to give them a good rest. Since arriving in Cerulean City, Pokémon have been training, even in a hotel. They will go to train with training equipment. And the only time to rest is probably staying in their own Pokémon balls while they are on their way. Thinking about it carefully, my Pokémon does have a lot of training compared with Ash. It is simply a world of difference. It seems that I was a little negligent before. She looked at Eevee's condition again and checked the eyes, which is also quite good. Isn't this here to mess things up? When Vivi ate the energy cube made by Arthur, his eyes lit up instantly. This is the most delicious energy cube I have ever eaten, and it looks like it should be specially for Eevee. How do you know? Arthur looked at Vivi in surprise and asked. He made many kinds of energy cubes for his Pokémon. Eevee's energy cube is the most special and the most popular, and other Pokémon can also eat it. I will also make some energy cubes, but I don't do as well as you, but this is very similar to the energy cubes of the normal system, Vivi said with a smile. Then she showed an embarrassed look. Well, can I ask you how to make an energy cube? Vivi seemed to have noticed that his behavior was presumptuous and quickly added, of course, I don't want your secret recipe, your loyal wife, Normal's ability to make cubes. She has already noticed that 653, the man in front of her, is definitely a top boss in making energy cubes. Since she met him, she must not miss it. I just don't know if the other party will agree. Okay. But I need you to teach me how to massage Pokémon. Arthur didn't refuse and said directly. Okay, Vivi showed a sweet smile. This kind of thing, no matter how you look at it, is earned by her. For massage skills, you can still learn some places and spend some money, but the energy cube is it's different. Even if you know the formula of a certain energy cube, it is very difficult to make this kind of energy cube. This seems to have something to do with cooking. On a table, Eevee lay down on the table without love, allowing Arthur to do whatever he wanted. Since CDFB, Arthur wants to practice massage techniques, then Eevee is the best choice. Poor Eevee, who hasn't received Vivi's massage yet, is going to be under Arthur's clutches. Is that so? Arthur put his hand on Eevee's ribs and asked Vivi, who was beside him. Yes, remember to be careful. Pokémon are very sensitive, especially Pokémon like Eevee. Vivi also reminded Arthur. Understood. Arthur took a deep breath, followed Vivi's instructions, and began to knead Eevee. Soon, Eevee's growl resounded throughout the room. Your strength is too great and you may have pressed the tendons. Vivi reminded quickly, and it really made things difficult for the boys to massage the Pokémon. Its body is already very tired. If possible, in addition to massage, you can give them a scald bath after training or prepare a special potion to spray on them. Some high-end stores can still the ones I bought are a bit expensive, Vivi patiently explained to Arthur. In terms of effort, the Pokémon it targets is nothing but Squirtle. Eevee, why don't I give you a massage first? Vivi said to Eevee at this time. So the arrogant Eevee still let Vivi caress her body. And as Vivi started to massage, Eevee also showed a look of enjoyment on her face, just like taking a scald bath when she was tired from training. Everyone knows what kind of character my turtle is. Outside of the Pokémon Ball, he usually runs or does push-ups, and even asks himself to find martial arts cheats for him to practice. It's just a little strong who can't die. Eevee is also working very hard, especially after using the system's special medicine. Eevee's physical fitness has been strengthened in all aspects, which is also a benchmark for Squirtle. Bye. Eevee looked at Arthur angrily. It had already guessed that nothing good would happen, but it didn't expect it to be so painful, and that feeling was not the pain of being injured in the battle, but a kind of nerve pain. The pain is the pain that goes straight to the sky. Bowie. Eevee tilted his head. Massage. Are you sure it's not bone-tearing? But thinking of the way Vulpix enjoyed before, Eevee was a little moved. Intimacy is not only unable to increase, it may even decline. This beautiful woman is indeed not as dark-hearted as her trainer. Yes, this kid is very strong, and Covet has also become strong, so he never lags behind in training. My god, Eevee is definitely the most hardworking Eevee Arthur has ever seen. Sorry, Eevee. Arthur quickly apologized to Eevee, who was already furious. Goodness, he really didn't do it on purpose. Who would have thought that Eevee's reaction would be so sensitive? It seems that massaging Pokémon still needs to be exercised. If one is not careful, it will cause big trouble. At this moment, Arthur was also confused. What should he do at this time? It's just that Eevee was unwilling to believe Arthur's words this time, jumped directly off the table, and even showed a disgusted look towards Arthur. Come on, I know the problem now, give me another chance. Arthur quickly smiled at Eevee, and if it's uncomfortable, it's also an act of smashing the job. Eevee's condition is more serious than that of Vulpix. Its training volume should be greater than that of Vulpix, right? Vivi asked Arthur while massaging. Eevee showed a satisfied look in Vivi's hands, this feeling as if being in the clouds is really wonderful. See clearly? Vivi asked Arthur, who was beside him. Yeah. Arthur came to Eevee's side, eager to try again, not because he wanted to torture Eevee, but once he learned how to massage himself, Eevee would be the biggest beneficiary. Venusaur's body is too large, and there are many poison glands on his body. If he massages Venusaur, he will be poisoned to death. Professor, who doesn't need much massage, Squirtle has a turtle shell on its back. It's hard to massage. Gible's shark skin. Are you sure you're massaging it? You're not molting yourself. After thinking about it. Only Vulpix and Eevee are suitable, but Vulpix will evolve into Ninetales sooner or later, and it will not be so easy to massage at that time. And only Eevee is the most beneficial beneficiary, so use Eevee to do it. Experimentation is also a matter of course. Seeing Arthur's arrival, Eevee also froze, but under Arthur's repeated assurances, it chose to trust Arthur again. Attention, don't use any more force. Vivi gave the position to Arthur and help found the position for his hand and urged again. Okay. Arthur was also apprehensive for a while. According to Eevee's personality, this is definitely the last time. If he hurts Eevee again, Eevee will never let himself try again. He carefully began to massage Eevee's body, but its frowning made Arthur nervous for a while. Could it be the uncomfortable massage again? Under the tension, the power of waveguide in his body surged unconsciously. Booey! But unexpectedly, Eevee showed a comfortable expression at this moment. It seems that Arthur's massage was successful. Could it be the effect of the power of the waveguide? Arthur was also surprised. The power of the waveguide on his body began to surge, and it was blessed on his hands. Under the action of the hands with the buff, the pores of Eevee's whole body were opened. Full of enjoyment, wagging his little tail and limp all over. This scene made Vivi dumbfounded. Is this a success? From the first attempt, Vivi could see that Arthur was definitely a novice. His hands were not very flexible but a little stiff, and he accidentally used too much strength, which is why Eevee reacted so violently just now. But now, Eevee showed a look of enjoyment without any affectation. He grasped the point just twice. Isn't this a bit too exaggerated? However, what Vivi didn't know was that Arthur's massage skills were still poor, but he found that his waveguide power seemed to have other effects. The power of the waveguide itself contains life energy. It is normal to use life energy to supplement Pokémon and show a look of enjoyment, right? Asking for flowers. And this woman is not like the kind of woman who is willing to be ordinary. She is self-reliant and hopes that one day she will establish her own breeding house and become a world-renowned Pokémon breeder. The man was Arthur's old friend Gary, and beside him was a beautiful girl with shawls and long hair, bright eyes and white teeth, and a sweet appearance, so Arthur couldn't help but look at her a few more times. In this regard, it is indeed very possible. If it were not for Arthur's own conditions, he would probably invite Vivi to join his team. In this way, Arthur studied with Vivi for 7 days in a row. During this period, he not only learned basic massage techniques, but also learned a lot of Pokémon care knowledge. Vivi is indeed a woman who is taken away by many male protagonists. My sister happens to be studying at Rainbow University here, so I went shopping with her when I came here, Gary said with a smile. It's you, Gary. Arthur looked at Gary in surprise. This kid would actually go out shopping with women. This is not Gary's style. The perfume here is world famous. Even if it is Lucamine, you can't refuse the perfume here. In this regard, Arthur can only encourage the other party spiritually. As for lending her money, it is impossible. For such an independent and strong Stephanie, lending her money is more like a humiliation. Now she also has a lot of things to learn. From what she said, she opened this beauty salon to raise tuition fees. Once she has enough money, she will apply for Rainbow University. The last update on the 2nd day of the Lunar New Year still maintains the 5th update. I am indeed a model worker author. This is not enough technology plug-in to make up. Of course, Arthur didn't dare to massage casually, which might make the Pokémon's situation even worse. After exchanging contact information with Vivi, Arthur also bid farewell to Vivi and planned to take a good stroll in Rainbow City and buy some presents by the way. Your sister. Arthur glanced at the woman in surprise only to see her showing a gentle smile at him. This is definitely a healing smile. Yeah, she's my sister, Daisy Oak. Gary introduced with a smile. He didn't think there was anything wrong. His sister was 3 years older than Arthur, so could he have any bad thoughts? As everyone knows, is it a thing for Arthur to be 3 years older? But he is just 3 years old, but Lucamine is 7 or 8 years older than Arthur. Are the two still together? Sister, this is the Arthur I mentioned to you before. Immediately afterwards, Gary introduced to 217 Daisy Oak. Hi Arthur, Gary, please take care of me. Daisy Oak gave Arthur a normal smile. Everywhere they are all friends. Arthur touched his nose. He felt as if he was melted just now. Ah, this woman is so damn sweet, but he's a blonde. By the way, what about you? Are you going to challenge the Rainbow Gym? Immediately afterwards, Gary asked Arthur again. Well, I really plan to challenge the owner of Erica after that. Before that, I learned the technique of Pokémon massage in the Rainbow Beauty Street over there. My Pokémon have trained a lot and they have accumulated a lot of fatigue. They need a good rest for a while, Arthur said with a smile. Pokémon massage, Gary nodded knowingly. Indeed, proper massage for Pokémon can help Pokémon rest. I usually massage Eevee after training. Yes, I didn't know this before. If Vivi hadn't mentioned it, my Pokémon would have been exhausted for a long time. Of course, Arthur also spoke modestly. From time to time, he still checks the status of Pokémon through the system, and sooner or later he will find out that Pokémon is tired. Now that he has learned how to massage and the power of Waveguide, the effect is better. Arthur is also relieved that his Pokémon can be trained better. Are you going to the perfume shop? Then Gary looked at the perfume shop behind him and asked. Well, I brought it for my girlfriend. Arthur didn't hide the fact that he had a girlfriend. Although Daisy Oak was delicious, it was his own food, but Arthur wouldn't do dog licking either. Didn't you see that Lucamine was the one who took the initiative to pick up Arthur? Arthur didn't even have time to react. And the people of the Oak family are not so easy to fool. Girlfriend? So you also have a girlfriend? Gary looked at Arthur in surprise. It seems that this guy has always traveled alone, right? Isn't it time to take a walk-and-go trip with your girlfriend? He does have quite a few girlfriends, but that's not a big deal. After all, in this world, one can get married at the age of 16, which is the same as the age for traveling. Even if Arthur got married, Gary wouldn't be too surprised. Why don't you know about 1-4? Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for automatic subscription, please. Gary's sister's real name should be Casey May, but it seems that many people say it's Daisy, so Daisy, it should be just a translation problem. Yes. Gary nodded slightly, and then he seemed to remember something and said to Arthur, by the way, there will be a special program in Rainbow University tomorrow. Do you want to come? However, if it's to meet Cynthia, then I will come. Arthur also said immediately afterward. And Gary's eyes have become dark. When did this guy get this kind of treatment? But this guy is really lucky. It must be good luck, right? But it's very simple to think about it. He is beautiful and capable, and his family is good. How can he not be admired by others? It's just that Arthur hasn't traveled with his girlfriend all this time. Well, she is from the Alola region and she gave me my Vulpix. Arthur nodded slightly. It's like this. Tomorrow, Rainbow University will invite the famous professor of Sinnoh region, Kale Professor, to give lectures. At the same time, the new champion of Sinnoh region, Cynthia, will be here. One lucky audience will be drawn to fight against the champion of Cynthia, and she will be awarded your advice. Gary said a little excitedly. Maybe it's because of Gible. Arthur touched his neck and Gary instantly understood. Yes, Arthur's Gible talent is so good, it's not impossible for Cynthia to be interested in hunting. He would never have imagined that that woman would be Lusamine, the goddess of dreams in the minds of countless people. I've actually met them, and I've also been taught by the champion of Cynthia, Arthur said with a little embarrassment. Obviously, this guy has a lot of respect for Cynthia. Huh? Arthur looked at Gary suspiciously, that is, Daisy Oak, and also looked at his younger brother in surprise. She didn't expect her younger brother to mention this matter to Arthur. That's it. Gary nodded thoughtfully, being given a Pokémon like Vulpix by his sister. It seems that this woman is not simple. Then I'm going to buy perfume first. Then Arthur said again. Erica owner, long time no see. Gary said goodbye after explaining something, and Arthur also entered the perfume shop directly but saw Erica owner here. It's Arthur, are you here to buy perfume too? Erica also recognized Arthur's identity. She still has a deep memory of Arthur. This man discovered the beginning of the ceremony earlier than herself. Yes, is this your shop? Arthur asked with a slight nod. Yes. Erica explained with a smile, but I usually only come here every 5 or 6 days and a friend came over just now, so I'm here. Friend. Arthur didn't ask too much, Master Erica. I want to buy some perfume for my girlfriend. Girlfriend. Erica's eyes flashed a strange color, but she nodded and said, so what kind of fragrance does your friend like? What smell does 23 like? How does he know? The smell of the sea. As if seeing Arthur's embarrassment, Erica quickly asked, then what type of woman is she? Many boys also come to buy perfume, but they don't know how to choose. A strong woman. Arthur pondered for a moment. It's like the type of domineering female president in a novel. Erica glanced at Arthur suspiciously, never expecting that Arthur would like this type of Stephanie. But selling perfume, she is professional. Erica took out a perfume and said, this is our store's signature perfume. I think it should meet your requirements. Huh. Arthur nodded slightly. In fact, he didn't know much about perfumes. It seemed that the most high-end perfumes used the diluent of gloom's smell. This is much better than some high-end perfumes in the previous life, which extract the essence from excrement. No matter how you look at it, the perfumes in this world are better. Erica sprayed some perfume in front of Arthur, and instantly a fragrance permeated the surroundings. Even an ignorant person like Arthur could feel that the perfume was very good. Well, this is all I need. How much is it? Arthur asked with a satisfied nod. A bottle of 50,000 can last for a long time. Erica smiled and squinted her eyes. It's such a good money. Arthur couldn't complain anymore, but things like perfume can be used for a long time. Just one bottle can be used for at least a few months. On average, it's really cheap. Then give me 4 bottles first, pack them up for me. Do you have any other perfume recommendations? Shortly afterwards, Arthur asked again, we can provide free express delivery here as long as there is a Pokémon Center it can be delivered. Erica said with a smile. Okay, send it to Alola region for me. Arthur didn't refuse either. Although Alola region wasn't favored by the Alliance and didn't even formally join the Alliance, there were still Pokémon Centers, like the Orange Islands. Alola region, I can deliver it. Erica nodded slightly. Although Alola region is far away, it doesn't cost much to send it there. Regardless of the cost of these 4 bottles of perfume, she can earn 150,000 yuan. Well, as for these perfumes, give me a copy too. Shortly afterwards, Arthur chose a few more expensive perfumes on the shelf and said, these don't need express delivery. He found that he didn't seem to have anything good to give as a gift now, so he might as well bring a few more bottles of perfume with him. And if he wanted to let others do things in the future, he could also give bottles to Mr. Although the price of the perfume is not much, but the gift is light and the affection is heavy. Okay. Erica smiled and arranged for Arthur's perfume to be prepared. Sure enough, it is a big customer. There are more than 10 bottles of perfume and there are hundreds of thousands. Although the money is nothing to a person like her, it is indeed a good income. It was just that when Arthur filled out the delivery form, Erica was shocked. The receiver is Miss Lusamine from Eevee Foundation. Yes, she is my girlfriend. Arthur showed a smile. Please help me deliver these perfumes. Erica was dumbfounded. She never thought that the boy's girlfriend 50 in front of her was Miss Lusamine, and there was quite a difference in age between the two. She really wanted to say something. Young man, I'm afraid you've lost your mind. Do you regard everything in your dreams as reality? But it's not like that either. Maybe you think it's absurd, but it's true. Arthur chuckled. Okay. Erica didn't think about it anymore. Even if it was fake, she had nothing to lose. After all, Arthur had already paid for it. By the way, I still want to challenge the gym, so I will trouble you, Ms. Erica. After paying the money and putting away the perfume, Arthur looked at Erica seriously and said, challenge the gym? This in itself is my responsibility. Erica's normal smile, which was like a spring breeze, also restrained, and she looked at Arthur with burning eyes. It's not the same as usual, but it's very similar to Cynthia, who is usually a gentle big sister. But when she fights, she changes completely. Rainbow Gym is a botanical garden, where there are a lot of grass-type Pokémon living, and the environment inside is not inferior to the wild. Erica is indeed a rich and beautiful woman. Although the housing price in Rainbow City is not as expensive as Saffron City, the price is not much cheaper. This huge gymnasium is nominally owned by Alliance, but in fact, it belongs to Erica's own family. Her family is the biggest landlord in Rainbow City. The rules of the competition are 1v1 and the number of Pokémon used is 3. Be careful next time, I won't let water, Erica said in a serious tone. Okay, following Arthur's words, Erica threw a Pokémon ball and a Weepinbell appeared on the battlefield. Weepinbell. Then it's you, please, Vulpix. Arthur glanced at Weepinbell's level and directly released the weakest Vulpix on his side. This is also the experience for Vulpix, let it get used to fighting. A Vulpix from Alola region? Erica glanced at Arthur in surprise. According to the information, Arthur seems to be from Viridian City, and now he took out a Vulpix from Alola region, which seems to have been cultivated quite well. Now she somewhat believed that Arthur really had something to do with Lucamine. Slip. Vulpix stood on the playing field, somewhat nervous inside. This is still its first gym challenge, but it can't be easily defeated. Otherwise, they will be sent back and then they will not be able to eat such delicious energy cubes. Vulpix use Powerer Snow Tilde. As Arthur's words fell, snow particles spewed out from Vulpix's mouth and attacked towards Weepinbell's position. Weepinbell used Vine Whip to avoid the ground. Seeing this, Erica also reacted quickly. Weepinbell stretched out the Vine Whip, slapped it on the ground, and lifted its body directly into midair, avoiding Vulpix's powered snow attack. Seeing this scene, even Arthur was stunned for a moment. Can he still come like this? Learned. This trick will be mine in the future. Unfortunately, Venusaur can no longer use this trick because its body is too huge. Vulpix used Confuse Ray. Arthur continued. A faint blue light emitted from Vulpix's eyes, directly hitting Weepinbell, who had just landed on the opposite side. Weepinbell, keep dodging, use Stun Spore. Erica tried to repeat the same trick. I guessed it a long time ago, Vulpix Aurora Beam. There was a smile on the corner of Arthur's mouth, and he saw that the strange light was not as long as the ordinary strange light, but only had such a short beam. Oops. Erica also knew that the strange light was just a trick for Vulpix to lure the enemy, and she was also surprised. How did this guy get so close to Vulpix? Little did they know Arthur was cheating. The moment Weepinbell jumped to splash and was about to use the Stun Spore, a light blue light shot out from Vulpix's mouth, directly hitting Weepinbell in midair. In an instant, half of Weepinbell's body turned into ice and fell heavily on the ground. Give it the last ice shard. Arthur gave full play to his style of not listening, at this time, let alone hold back, and continued to let Vulpix launch the attack. Countless ice shards were spat out by Vulpix again, hitting Weepinbell, who had just fallen and was a little immobile, instantly making the opponent lose his fighting ability. Nice job, Vulpix. Arthur's mouth curled into a slight smile. Although Vulpix is challenging the gym for the first time, its mentality is also slowly changing, and Vulpix is also getting stronger in covet, which Arthur can still feel. Slip. Vulpix also shouted with a little excitement. He defeated rival. Finally, he didn't have to be sent back to Lucamine. It seems that as long as his own strength keeps improving, he can abuse food occasionally and Arthur will still be happy. It feels like it knows some truths. It seems that Arthur is not so unreasonable. Vulpix has found the best way to catch fish. Very good tactic, so my next Pokémon is it. Come on, Ivysaur. After Erica took the Weepinbell back, she threw out the next Pokémon. Vulpix, come back too, come on, Gible. Arthur didn't continue to let Vulpix fight. This kind of time needs rain and dew evenly. He also used Legia's Pokémon to provide the little ones with combat experience. Moreover, the previous series of attacks also consumed Jupiter a lot. Gible. A trace of surprise flashed in Erica's eyes. In the Kanto region, it was really difficult to see Gible. She glanced at Arthur's face. He was really handsome, one of the most handsome people she had ever seen. Now she doubts very much Arthur must be Lucamine's little boy, right? I heard that Miss Lucamine specially came to the Kanto region a month ago. No one knows why she came here. Now it seems that it is for men. Ivysaur used sleep powder. Erica over there slandered the relationship between Arthur and Lucamine, but she didn't say anything. Gossip is a woman's nature, but how can a gentle and sweet big sister like Erica ask questions about probing other people's privacy? Gible dig. Facing sleep powder, Gible yanked his little paw on the ground and then yanked twice on the ground, and a hole was drilled into it, allowing Ivysaur's sleep powder to succeed the miss. Ivysaur used the energy ball at the entrance of the cave. Erica quickly commanded. She also regrets that this Ivysaur of hers can't earthquake. If she were to be her main force Venusaur, Gible would lose her ability to fight once the earthquake came down. Ivysaur hopped to the entrance of the cave, and there was a green energy ball in his mouth, and he spit it out towards the entrance of the cave. Boom! A shock began to vibrate with the burst of the energy ball. 693, but before Ivysaur could relax in the slightest, there was a strange movement under Ivysaur's feet. A small figure crawled out from Ivysaur's bottom, grabbed Ivysaur's abdomen with one claw and instantly struck Ivysaur. Flew out. Very good. Arthur glanced at the injuries on Gible's body. The energy ball still caused some damage to Gible. But this is all within the acceptable range. Although Gible has not yet evolved, his strength is not bad at all, especially after Arthur obtained the mysterious black stone. Its efficiency in absorbing the energy in the black stone is much higher than that of Dragon Gem. After such a period of time, the land shark is equivalent to absorbing the stiffness of 4 Dragon Gem. If it weren't for the energy required by Gible, it would have evolved a long time ago. Dragon Breath, Arthur continued. Energy Ball. Seeing the energy gathered by Gible opposite, Erica's face changed slightly and she said hastily. The blue-purple energy was spewed out by Gible and it attacked Ivysaur. When it was about to hit Ivysaur, Ivysaur spit out a green energy planet again and met Gible's Dragon Breath head-on. The two energies collided together and a violent explosion quickly occurred and the thick smoke surrounded Ivysaur. Now Gible used the flamethrower. Arthur continued. What? It's not that Erica can't understand that Gible can use flamethrower, it's just that this kind of Pokémon needs a lot of effort to master flamethrower, why it hasn't evolved yet. It's useless. Arthur showed a confident look on his face. As he said, although Ivysaur's movement speed is not slow, Gible's attack is not so easy to dodge. Get out of the way, Erica said hastily. After the flames receded, Erica glanced at Ivysaur's situation and continued. Ivysaur used Toxic. The scorching flame instantly dispersed the thick smoke, found the trace of Ivysaur in the thick smoke and attacked it. It blocked the toxic attack for it. Good job, Arthur's mouth curled into a smile. Ivysaur, protect, Erica responded quickly. Wow. Hearing trainer's praise, Gible's small mouth twitched, revealing a joyful expression. When attacking, he turned a slight angle and easily hit the opponent, knocking Ivysaur into the air and then lost his combat ability. Erica also felt distressed watching this scene. The loss of venues in the gym challenge is all at the gym trainer's own expense. Of course, they can also report to the Alliance, but they get so much funding from the Alliance every year. Among them, there are site maintenance fees. But now seeing the good lawn, Erica still feels distressed when Arthur is so aggressive. This scene made Arthur's eyelids jump. Did he evolve after defeating rival or did he evolve after being praised by himself? Isn't this efficiency too high? Trouble, Gible, Rock Tomb. As Arthur's words sea deck fell, Gible stepped on the ground and the terrain of the scene began to change. Countless dirt began to drill out of the ground from under the lawn, blocking the in front of Gible. Gible, take advantage of the present and continue to use Dragon Breath. The azure beam of energy was quickly spewed out by Gible. Although the battle is troublesome, it is reasonable after all. This is just Gible. If it is Garchomp, the battle will become much simpler and rougher. Immediately afterwards, its body began to emit a dazzling white light. Gible is about to evolve. Suddenly remembered that today is Valentine's Day. I wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day. The author is still working hard to update the code words. And today the internet is disconnected, garbage broadband. Use the network in your mobile phone to update. Anyway, 50G a month is also a waste. It's just a little unwilling. Valentine's Day, you are dating, but I am typing. This is even more sad than New Year's Eve coding. An invisible energy sustained in front of Ivysaur, allowing it to endure the scorching flames. Under the light of evolution, Gible's body has undergone rapid changes, and the small and round body has also undergone tremendous changes, and the body shape has gradually become slender. with slender arms and strong legs, which can be regarded as a huge improvement over Gible. Of course, the most important thing is that at this moment it finally has a neck, simply gratifying. Congratulations, Gible no Gabite, Arthur said with a smile on his lips. Scatter. After the evolution, Gabite is also calmer than before, showing a gentle but somewhat ferocious smile. Pokémon Gabite attribute. Dragon ground height 145 m, racial average height is 140 weight, 61 kg, racial average weight is 56 kg. Ability. Sand hidden rough skin skills, double cleave, sand tomb tackle, sand attack, dragon breath, flamethrower, dig, dragon claw, bulldoze, bite, slash, rock tomb strength, elite high level. Potential quasi-god system evaluation. Gabite, who has great potential, has strong potential and talent. At the same time, Covet is constantly getting stronger. It is recommended to cultivate it well. Suggestion: the powerful dragon quasi-god is first class in all aspects, but it still needs a lot of training. It is recommended to use 25 kg for regular weight training. If you can, learn some powerful dragon Pokémon which lacks a Nirvana. Missing a Nirvana? Seeing this prompt, Arthur's eyes also flashed. Gabite and even Garchomp can learn powerful skills naturally. But as Nirvana, I'm afraid there are only a few of them. It seems that we need to find Cynthia. Congratulations! Erica took a deep look at Arthur. She could see that Gabite's strength was very good. In addition, there is still half a year before the Indigo Plateau Conference, and Arthur's strength will also be greatly improved. She has a hunch that this time in the Indigo Plateau Conference, Arthur will be a blockbuster. Thank you. Arthur smiled and nodded. Evolving from Gible to Gabite, it went from the elementary level of the elite to the high level of the elite in one go. It just doesn't know what level it needs to reach to evolve to Garchomp, and whether it will directly reach the elite level after evolution. Right. Then come back first, Gabite. The next fight is Eevee's. Arthur put Gabite into the Pokémon Ball. This is what I promised Eevee before. If Eevee's pigeons are still released in this gym challenge, then the little guy will have to ignore him for at least a day. Even if he makes special desserts for him, it won't be good. Kind of. Boy. Seeing that Gabite and Arthur knew each other so well, Eevee called softly, jumped off Arthur's shoulder and came to the playing field. All I saw was that Vileplume was caught off guard and was bitten by Eevee, who was close at hand with flaming teeth which made Vileplume utter a wail again. Eevee? Erica glanced at Eevee and then released her third Pokémon. Come on, Vileplume. Vileplume let Eevee approach, tackle landed on him and let out a cry of pain, but this also made Eevee inevitably absorb a large number of stun spores. Vileplume used Stun Spore. When Eevee quickly approached Vileplume, Vileplume's body was already filled with Vileplume's Stun Spore. Asking for flowers. Scatter. Although Gabite wanted to continue fighting but thought of Eevee, it decisively chose to give up. Even though it evolved and its strength became stronger, it couldn't stand Eevee's heart. And then there's the Flame Vortex. Arthur continued as if Eevee wasn't paralyzed. Even Erica was stunned when she saw this scene. Her Vileplume was completely abused by Arthur's Eevee. There is something wrong with this Eevee. The scorching flames were spewed out from Eevee's mouth, turning into vortexes, moving towards Vileplume's position, continuously rotating and compressing. And finally the flames continued to burn Vileplume's body, making it directly lose its fighting ability. Step by step, Arthur caught the fact that Erica didn't know that Eevee could use fire-type skills. He took advantage of his illness and waited until Erica reacted, and it was too late. Eevee is not only good at fire-type skills, but also powerful, can be buffed to crush Vileplume even in level. Ask for flowers, ask for monthly tickets, ask for automatic subscription. Momoda pill. And now Eevee has already scratched his hair on his shoulder. If he doesn't send it up, the little guy may turn his face straight away. Is it really Vileplume? There was a smile on the corner of Arthur's mouth. Eevee, use quick attack. However, before Erica could make the next counterattack, Arthur had already made the next move. Eevee, Fire Fang. It is undeniable that after Eevee hit the Stun Spore, the speed was much slower than before. Even the speed of releasing skills was much stagnant than usual. But Vileplume couldn't stand it and was stunned by Eevee. If I compete with Eevee for the chance to fight, I am afraid that I will be attacked by Eevee in various ways in the future, and I will not even be able to eat rest.
Hello, everyone! As we wrap up this video, I want to share a quick note. I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to support me and enjoy on-demand audiobooks, you can become a Patreon member. Alternatively, you can check out my Google Drive link, which has 500+ novel audiobooks available through my Ko-fi or Patreon shop. I appreciate your support.